And if we're talking about birthdays, shout out to Husky backstage. Happy birthday to you, and hopefully that buff alone could be the breaking point for Imperial, hoping that Team SMG might get that lead.
It's like a double birthday buff for SMG. But let's take a look at the player head-to-head right here for Sasa and Aurora. When it comes to KDA, Aurora is definitely a standout. But in the Lord kill per game, that's where Sasa really has a bit more of an edge over Aurora. And in this level of competition here, the final match between the two, we have to say, man, the late game is definitely also a big issue. With SMG having all the nodes on their hands, knowing how to calm down and aim for a recovery. Even if Aurora does get ahead in the early game, there's a chance that they just have a plan ready to really shut them down once the mid-game and late game rolls around.
I feel like there's two scenarios that we're expected to see here. It's either Sasha is able to secure every single one of these neutral objectives, while Aurora is going to be power farming until we reach that late game, because that's just how SMG plays. We haven't seen them close out a game pre-10 minutes or pre-12 minutes, unlike Imperial. They have closed out games pretty quickly.
Here's what I think. The trial here for Imperio, and just as we saw from the player head-to-head, is for Aurora to, we've seen him play the YSS, be very flashy, get a ton of kills. We saw that in the KDA, but now it's like, can you actually go toward the utility game? Can you fight these objectives? Can you contest them? Can you still pick those kind of heroes and rely on your team to help you for those lore dances that we know are so important, especially later on in the game? And that is something that team SMG and Soxa in particular has had many reps on, right? Now for Imperio, that's where I feel like if they can still go with their strategy, the way, the playstyle they have shown us, and match that objective-taking playstyle, then that's where they can come in with an advantage, because we know that they like to play flashy, they like to go for those kills, and we've seen teams make the mistake too, give up too many early objectives for trying to get kills, and then it backfires on them, right? So that alone is something that Imperial really wants to kind of be in that headspace before even game one starts.
We have to see, man. That's a very great point. The aggressive style of Team Imperial. Opposite end. They're so calculative and they strangle you. So in the early game, they can possibly really match the rotations and really stifle the bulk of the aggression coming in from Imperial. If that happens, then that's where it's going to fall onto those neutral objective takes in the mid game. That's where, like you mentioned, Naisu, the utility junglers might just come really handy, but Aurora hasn't really shown a lot of experience using those, at least in the tournament so far.
Well, that's the thing, right? Again, for a lot of these teams, they kind of take their time with these, especially on day one. Everybody looked rusty. Everybody looked a little out of practice, or maybe even jet lag. But now, this is it. This is their moment that they could set a name for themselves to change the world as we see it, to qualify for M5, and it all begins here today in this best of 5 series. Team SMG versus Imperial. Let us begin to draft.
There it is. That's already the YSS ban, by the way. So the respect is there. I feel like, again, Imperial has garnered the respect, not just from SMG, but from multiple teams now paying attention to this. And it's good because they do the exact same thing, right? This is someone that we talked about quite extensively, Smooth with that R-Lot. Now, what is left open too was the performance of Stormy, the Lilia. Those are probably priority picks
SMG กับทางด้านของ Imperial นะครับแบนยีซันชินเลยครับแบนเอ็กเจล่าครับแล้วก็ตามมาด้วยหวานๆครับขอน้ำก่อนไม่ไหว
We're going to immediately lock in that farm, as we've seen how devastating that mid lane duo with the help of Stefe really kind of maneuvers around if they are trying to protect the king.
And with the farmers picked up right here, usually we see them really willing to go for a double support, but they're going to go for Terizla early on here, trying to secure a power pick for Marquinhos to try and really make plays around the map.
Oh, he's going to do a roll live.
Doing it.
He's doing a tempo. Oh, he did it.
What?
He just got it.
Just one of the day. Let's go.
Hey, yo, this isn't even like, I'm pretty sure.
Even the players.
I can't. He didn't even have pity. He didn't even have pity, and he just nails it. Well done.
Even the players want to know what's going on.
That was insane.
That's so nuts.
That came out of nowhere.
Hey, what a way to start the day.
โลโก้เป็นไนท์แมร์ไปแล้ว
By the way, if that, that's on Team SMG side, you guys talk about birthday buff. I think he got the birthday buff.
Look, I'm not gonna push it forward. I'm not gonna push that agenda.
เข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามด้วยนะ
And if it goes over the top, it might just be over for Team SMG. Now, following up on the picks, we are seeing the joy as well as the linear from the side of Team SMG to close out phase 1. And from Imperial, we are seeing the Clint.
จะมาเป็นบูโน่นะครับจอยนะครับแล้วก็
Well,
Lee
here is
Lee
going to play the 1-1,
ไม่
but
ดี
take
ขึ้
it
นเลย
the
ว่ะ
way. There's definitely a lot of marksmen that can really match the aggression and also the late game potential, like the Bruno. The Clint is one of them, and with the route they move
อยาก
out
แก้
that
ไอ
they
ยี่ห้อ
have,
นี้ไม่ดี
it
ด้วย
is still pretty safe. And that's why they also banning the Joy, knowing that the Clint is also a ripe target to be pushed out of the Netherrealm with that way of the Dragon.
ปาเซียนะครับแล้วก็ชูนะครับถูกแบนออกไปนะครับอุ้ยเกวนนิเวียเกวนนิเวียมาแบนเฟส 2เลยอ่ะเกวนนิเวียมาแบนเฟส 2เลยอ่ะไกลมากเลยอ่ะ
Cool. There's a statement right there too, and I
โบ
feel
ห้า
like
นะครับโบ ห้า
this is where Aurora kind of has to adapt, right? He's probably not going to get his hands on
แบน
the
เป็นแบน
YSS,
อา
so
ไค
we'll
นะครับ
see what he actually decides
เอ็
to
มเปอริโอ
park in the
นะครับ
jungle.
กับการแบนตัวที่
Not only
4 ครับ
that, but hey, it's hammer time.
Terizla currently the most picked hero at the M5 wildcards, having been picked 20 times with a 55% win rate overall.
Well, it doesn't seem too high, 55%, but considering the amount of picks, it's definitely significant. But back to the topic of Aurora, though, are we going to see something like the Roger? Because again, with the Faramis, they want to go aggressive, they want to have that early game, they go for the Kufa pick. Relatively
จะมาเป็น
less
คูฟ่า
seen
ครับ
in the wildcard series so far, but when it's picked
แบน
up,
เป็
we
น
saw
คู
Step
ฟ่า
Day
ครับ
just
ฮีโร่
put
โคตรแปลกเลย
demolish
ครับ
on it just yesterday. Let's see, man. Is it going to be
จริงนะฮีโร่โคตรแปลกเลยอะ
SMG with
แล้ว
so
ออ
much
โรรา
control
เนี่ยมีโอกาส
and
เล่น
also
จัง
the
เกิล
Aurora
นักฆ่า
Purifier as
นะครับ
well.
It's pretty scary
มีโอกาสเล่นจังเกิลนักฆ่าสูงมากเลยครับ 2 ตัวสุดท้ายครับ NMG ครับ น่าจะเล่นตัวจับตายนะ
This is all for Aurora. He wants something that can dash, and a couple of things are coming to mind. I'm thinking about
น่าจะเล่นฟังโก้ครับ
that, or even Hayabusa maybe.
คือถ้าเล่นฟังโก้หรือคาจาจะคุ้มมากเลยนะ NMG อ่ะเพราะว่าแต่ว่าคาจาเล่นยากเพราะว่าตรงนี้เขามีคูฟ่าครับใช้ว่าเป็นกล็อกครับเคลียร์ไวเดินกลางโคตรไวเลยครับโอ้เอาเอ็กบอกมาเผาครับทั้ง ทั้งเทลิสลาทั้ง คูฟ่าครับอย่างที่บอกครับเนี่ยฮะมาแล้วครับโรเจอร์ครับ
But against so much tankiness, against a Grok, they can also nullify a lot of the crowd control. We'll see if he can snowball as efficiently, because that is something that you definitely need to be looking for when you're playing this Roger.
Exactly, right? It's that first kill that makes
สวัส
such
ดี
a
ครับ
big
สวัสดีทุกคน
difference
ด้วย
for
ครับ
Roger as he snowballs into the later stages of the game. But keep in
เสี
mind,
ยง
Team
อาจจะ
SMG's
กาก
overall
ๆนิดนึง
comp
นะ
is pretty
แต่ปก
squishy.
ติ
I
ก็
mean,
กากอ
you
ยู่แล้ว
have escape mechanisms, but at the same time, if you're below 50%, even 40%, you're in danger.
Not only that, but the biggest thing for Imperio is to time the Netherrealm correctly because of the pacing of this game, but also to work around this X-Borg. We have seen X-Borg be in the hands of Smooth before, and even though it might not be a high impact in terms of kills, he does the positioning perfectly.
Well, it is time to head into the land of dawn for the M5 World Championship wildcard stage. On the
มาครับ
blue
เกม
side,
แรก
we
ของ
have
คู่
Team
นี้ครับ
SMG up against Imperial Esports
อ๋อพี่
on
ไม่ได้
the
เปลี่ยน
red side for our first game in this
แอบ
best
เสน่ห์เลยอะ
of 5
แอบ
series.
เจอแล้วนี่
Arashi, break down these compositions. What are
ไหน
we
แม่
looking
ต่อ
for
จาก
here?
คู่นี้ครับ จบคู่นี้ก็น่าจะประมาณ 4-5 โมงอ่ะ
Go in aggressively, have that Netherrealm to play around
สวัสดี
with.
ครับสวัสดี
And
ทุกคน
for
ด้วย
SMG,
นะครับ
I think it stalled
มา
out the laning phase, and then afterwards in the neutral team fight,
มาดูการเดินเกมเดินเกมเดินเลนกันก่อนครับด้านบน Xbox ครับเลนกลางเป็นกล็อกกับทางด้านของลิเลียครับ
Taking a little bit of damage.
โอ้
He
มา
should
คิน
be
โย
okay
โดนหนัก
here.
เลยครับเข้าเลนไม่ได้ครับ
Not gonna give first blood just like that.
Yep, should be fine as he is. But again,
โอ้เทลิลาเข้าเลนไม่ได้เลยครับโดนแบบนี้ครับ
as long as he needs it, right, through the
เลนกลางครับก๊อกลิเลียครับมีทางด้านของจอยครับด้านล่างเป็นบูโน่ครับ
because we know that's what they're looking for.
ส่วนทางด้านของเอ็มเปอริโอนะครับด้านบนครับเทลิลาครับเลนกลางเนี่ยเป็นฟารามิดครับกับทางด้านของคูฟ่าครับจังเกิลโรเจอร์ด้านล่างเป็นทางด้านของคลินนะ
is cause for concern. Maybe it's okay, but Marquinhos.
So dangerous. That's gonna be
เรียบร้อยเลยครับเจอจอยสไลด์แตกเลยครับ
the first blood.
ฮีโร่ SMG ได้ดีกว่าเยอะเลยครับเฟิร์สบัตรแรกมาแล้วครับ
A lot of gold shielding going over to Smooth. Like Smooth likes winning.
ค่อนข้างแหบๆไปสักพักหนึ่งเดี๋ยวมันจะมาเอง
Laners specifically here in Malaysia. So now that you have that counter matchup, he just wants to press that advantage
จอยครับ
as much as he can.
Xbox ครับ
Kind of lose momentum when the EXP gets pressured.
ยังไงครับ
Maybe
ตรงนี้ครับ
Sasa trying to go and shut Marquinhos down even further. Looking at the
สัก
battle
พักหนึ่ง
spells
เสียง
though,
มัน
and
ยัง
the
ไม่คืน
emblems
อย่างเงี้ย
in
แหละ
particular,
เพิ่งตื่น
the agility and the wilderness blessing in the mid lane. That's how you know they're planning on just roaming,
ตื่
not
นมา
exactly
ได้สัก
going
ประ
for
มาณ
a 1v1.
ครึ่งชั่ว
But
โมง
maybe
มั้ง
that expectation is what Imperial can use to really trap Stormy in a bad situation.
I personally feel that in these types of situations, I feel like Team SMG could potentially
ดาราครับบูโน่
make
ครับ
the
เจอกับ
call
คิด
to,
ครับ
you know what, let's just give up this
พยายามจะจ่ายดาเมจเข้าไปครับเต่าตัวแรกครับ
We don't necessarily
Emporio
need to be
มา
here,
ก่อน
and
ครับ
our laners are doing phenomenally.
I think they're gonna fight it anyways, you know.
โอ้
At
ด้านล่างนี่
least
จ่าย
they're gonna
ดา
go
เม
ahead
จ
and
กัน
park smooth there. Of course, the gold laner is gonna go ahead and hash it out in the bottom lane, but once again, Aurora he kinda needs
อยู่
these
ๆทำไม
buffs,
เป็น
and
แบบ
this
นี้
is
เนาะ
his play style. So we'll see if they actually commit to it.
Looks like the rest of
บู
it
โน่
here,
ครับ
though.
ก๊อกครับกระแทกมาสวยครับแต่ว่าไม่โดนกำแพงครับ โดนสวนเลยครับเปิดผีรับมาเอ็กบอกไล่เผาอยู่ครับพยายามจะเอาคิวครับได้คิวมาออกได้หรือเปล่าครับจอยสไลด์ใส่เลยครับโรเจอร์เรียบร้อยครับโอ้เสีย2อะแล้วเสียบัฟอีกต่างหากครับ
Full stop.
โอ้แต่ว่าด้านล่างโดนโซโล่คิวครับ
Your rage for the earlier stages of the game, dominating his lane, and now with the lead, he's really, you feel
ด้านล่างเจอ
like
ยู
he's
โซโล่คิวครับ
It's exactly what Team SMG were planning, man. All that AoE really paid off.
โอ้เล่นโดน solo kill ที่ไม่ดีนะครับ
looked a bit weird, a bit too rushed. But afterwards, the follow-up was just on point. And Imperial, they like the damage to really contest in these big fights. They gotta go for skirmishes, man. 2-for-2s, 3-for-3s, something like that, in order for Saxa and Smooth to not really just dominate because of the AoE.
Now, one thing that a lot of people don't talk about are the side
ไล่มาตรงนี้ครับ
POIs.
กูฟ่าครับ
Right? The
สัก
side
พักหนึ่ง
POIs,
สักครึ่งชั่วโมง
things like the river crab, for an example, is actually pretty important for a laner like Export. Once that Firaga armor is broken and you
ยัง
can't
ไงครับ
walk back up to lane,
กล็อกครับ
an easy way to kind of find these charges is that river crab. Step base
ไล่มาที่หน้าของคูฟ่าครับเป็นหน้าของพลัมมิดครับโอ้ยคิดโดนจ่ายดาเมจหนักอยู่ครับแต่ว่าเอามาจนได้ด้วยครับอู้แล้วไม่ตายต่างหากครับ
Look at that, man. Aurora late to
ปิด
the
ทางด้าน
party.
คิดไม่ได้ครับ
SMG, they're just trying to make sure that they are the ones in control right here, making sure
ทำไมมัน
Imperial are
แปลกๆ
always
วะ
guessing, because Miko is just always around the corner.
แป๊บนึงนะ
He's just gonna take a couple shots. Aurora wants to commit to it though. Gonna use that retribution, but does not want to go under the turret with Sasa there.
Especially if he's going to take his time, but I mean, Smooth, once again, being really, really annoying. Marquino doesn't stand a chance against Smooth as
เสียง
of
ขึ้น
right
จมูก
now, but notice that at least Smooth is communicating to the rest of the team. The information that he provides allows Saxa to get a free orange buff, and they're still proxying the lane. Like
แป๊บนึงนะครับ
Marquino is going to be losing a
สักประมาณครึ่งชั่วโมงอะเดี๋ยวมันจะ
he
รี
can't
เซ็ต
get past Smooth.
Well, he finally gets past right here, but Marquinho, well, if he's not really on curve, if he's really behind on the gold, he's one of the main
วันนี้พี่
frontliners
เปิ
for
ด
Team
ช้าด้วย
Imperial. They need to make sure that Steppe is hidden in order to actually get those
จอย
big
ครับ
engages. If Marquinho is too squishy,
ดึง
it
เต่า
means
มา
that
ครับ
the
ตรงนี้ครับ
Imperial
โร
will
เจอ
not
ร์
be
ครับ
able to really contest ground in the first place.
ลิเลียครับ
Imperial that wants to go ahead and
แล้วไล่ใส่เลยครับตรงนี้ครับจอยครับได้เต่ามาแล้วห้าวเลยครับ สกอร์ 3-3 ครับกันเงิน 1,600 ครับ
Imperial wants to just go ahead and give these up for now and try to get back from letting the gold lead get too far out of hand.
And honestly, everything is working out for the side of Team SMG, despite it being 3-3, this 1.7k lead, and more importantly, where is this gold coming from? It's from the side laners, the gold and the EXP.
เสร็จกันมาตรงนี้ครับ
Smooth a lot, but Sasa is actually just
ยัง
bullying
ไงครับ
out
ตรงนี้
Yor.
ครับเป็นหน้าของ
Also
เท
from
นิสลาครับ
Sasa, just farming really fast. I mean, the Joy is a great hero for farming as well as going for those ganks and
ลิ
kills.
เลียครับ
So for Imperial,
บูโน่
now,
ครับ
they
ด้าน
have
ล่าง
to
ครับ
find a way to really keep
การเงิน
keep on
1,800 ครับ
but
บูโน่
also to try and fight from the
ไล่
sides.
เตะมา
Because
เคาะ
for
มา
front to
เรื่อย
back,
ๆครับ
Villia and Bruno damage is going to be too much to deal with. If they come from the sides, even Smooth's damage on the export can be mitigated to a certain degree.
They possibly can, but notice the movements coming out from Imperial, right? Again, Aurora's making some decisive decisions. Whoa!
Whoa! Okay.
แล้วใส่เข้ามาตรงนี้ครับ
As well gets a huge rage off.
เรียบร้อยเลยครับ
And now Smooth gonna have to flicker out. The rest of Team SMG to help him out.
โอ้แล้วใส่มาตรงนี้สวยจัดครับโรเจอร์ครับ
Goes in with a wild
กล็อก
charge
เข้า
of
ไป
his
กระแทก
own.
ด้านหน้าฟารามิดครับเข้ามาลิเลียเข้าไปจ่ายครับแต่ว่า
He'll be fine though.
เอาไม่ลง
But
นะ
right now Imperial has an answer.
Man, I know
โอ้
we
แล้ว
joke
SMG
about
เสีย
this
เยอะเลยครับ
airlines,
เหมือน
but
การ
I
เงิน
mean,
ขึ้น
talk
นำจริงนะแต่เสียเยอะจัดนะตรงนี้
Premium starship that we saw. This man went flying.
เสียเยอะเลยครับ
Is in the air
วันนี้ทุก
right
คนด้วย
now,
นะครับ
man. They came out of nowhere. We thought Marquinhos was miscoordinated, but Steffe just steps in and steps up to the plate. Of course, now Team SMG with a tower taken in the mid lane, they're gonna try and get into Aurora's jungle
เซต
even
มา
more.
ตรงนี้
But it
ครับ
seems like with that
คู
play,
ฟ้าครับ
they're a bit deterred here, knowing that Imperial can still strike back with a 1 to 2k gold deficit.
Yeah, I think
ริว
people
กัน
need to recognize that for Steffe, that's not
เจอ
exactly
กับ
easy.
ไนท์แม
You're
ร์
going
ตอน
at
เย็น
max
นะครับ
range, but you also have to flicker at the right position to make sure that your end spot is
ยังไม่ได้ดูเลยว่าเขาเล่นอะไร
50% of the wall to make sure that you're on the opposite end. Aurora
ลิเลียครับ
having a little bit of trouble.
ไล่ทางด้านของโรเจอร์ออกไปครับ
Start to
กล็อกครับ
collapse
ไล่ทางด้านของ
Yeah,
เทริลาครับ โรเจอร์ครับจ่ายดาเมจเข้ามาลิเลียวิ่งไล่ครับเล่นลำบากครับจังเกิลนักฆ่าแบบนี้ จอยครับวิ่งใส่เลยครับตรงนี้ครับเอ็กบอกเข้ามาระเบิดคูฟ้าอย่างในบ้านเลยครับปูเปิดผีรับมาแต่ไม่รอดครับโดนจ่ายเยอะจัดครับเอ็กบอกจะแตกเหมือนกันครับปูและลิเลียจ่ายได้สวยจัดครับเดลิลาเข้ามาครับเจอเลียนติดจากลิเลียเข้ามาจ่ายอีกรอบนึงครับไม่รอดครับเข้ามาทีละตัวแบบนี้เสียเยอะนะครับเอเปอริโอฮะ
This is starting to look disgusting from Team SMG. A lot of chaos on the bottom side, and now maybe even another kill.
They're still gonna go. They weren't
โอ้
done.
เกม
SMG wanted more.
เกมนี่เล่นตามเสียงกองเชียร์เลยอะ
Way too much, man. Imperial, they are forced to really funnel one by one right there. They thought they could turn it around. It's worked for them before, but against Team SMG, it's a bit too much to ask for.
The laners are doing a phenomenal job. Chaos on the bottom side, turrets all across the board, a solo kill coming out from Sasa on that top side against Yor. This is really not looking good for Imperial. If you're Imperial's position, Arashi, how do you deal with this based on the items and the state of the game?
คือต้องบอกว่าตอนนี้เล่นเอาใจกองเชียร์แล้วครับเข้ามาแล้วขอคนละหนึ่งคอมเมนต์นะครับหนึ่งแชร์พี่นิดนึงนะ
But if you arrive late and you funnel one by one like that, it's only going to serve to put you even further behind. Right now, it's a 700 gold deficit for Yor, but it's not fatal, right? He can still come back
จอย
from
ครับ
this.
เซตด้านล่างครับเป็นทางด้านของกล็อกกับทางด้านของ
But in the
Xbox ครับ
jungle, that's just a bit more difficult.
กำลังจะเซตเลนครับเพื่อจะไปเล่นหลอดตัวแรกครับ
The Team SMG are doing.
I think this is actually a set
ขอ
game.
คนละหนึ่งไลค์หนึ่งแชร์ครับอย่างเงี้ยแหละ
They
ไม่
are
แจ้งเตือน
really
แม่งหลอน
slowing down Aurora. I mean, they're even delaying the buff. It's not necessarily we have to steal your buff. We just have to delay you, reset it time and time again with Smooth and Miko.
You talked about this before the draft. Their play style, right, from Team SMG. They're probably going to choke out at least one lane, and that's kind of what they did. They hyper-focused on Aurora, but again, this all kind of
วันนี้ครับวันนี้ทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
for Smooth as well, which is already a great pick into the Terizla. So it forces
เข้ามาแล้ว
to
ฝาก
kind
กด
of
ไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตาม
constantly
นะค
try
รับ
to catch up here.
It's one of those like situations where real life reflects these video games. In MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to choke somebody out compared to Muay Thai, looking for that big knockout.
Xbox
It's a
ครับ
different style for sure. And now look at Team SMG.
ไล่กันมาตรงนี้ครับ
But they're also trying to
บู
bring
โน่ครับ
Imperial
หลอด
into
ตัว
a
แรก
fight,
ครับ
seeing if they're gonna get
ทีม SMG
impatient.
ครับ
And
คุ
if
ม
they
พื้น
can
ที่
find
ไว้หมดเลยครับ
this fight, they'll be
จะ
great,
โถม
man.
เข้ามาหรือเปล่าครับ ไม่กล้าเล่นเฉยค
I
รับ
don't think they can. They just have to give up the Lord here. Team SMG furthering the lead. Now
ไม่
they've
กล้า
got
เล่น
the
เฉย
Lord.
ครับ
Let's see if Imperial can defend against the push.
Dude, Saksa is 3 levels ahead of Aurora right now. Like, these neutrals are impossible to take, even if you get a 50-50.
They're gonna find
ไล่มา
Smooth
ตรง
here.
นี้ครับ
Armor's gonna be gone,
วัน
but
นี้
it's
ทุกคน
cut
ด้วย
off
นะ
with
ครับ
the Guardian's barrier there. So Imperial has no option but to go back to base and get ready.
It's a big problem.
ไหล
with
มา
that
ด้านบนครับ
composition,
บูโน่
man.
ครับ
He
ลิ
thought
เลีย
that
ครับ
He's gonna get picked off.
กล็อก
But with
ครับ
the Pirago armor, he essentially has a second lease at life. And just to take out the armor, Imperial has to commit so many things, and you're stuck.
Oh, okay. Little misplay there. Steffi gonna go in with rage. They're gonna be able to find Stormy. Now can they win?
แล้วเรียบร้อยเลยครับตรงนี้ครับ
Gonna be in trouble. They change
จ่าย
the
ดา
map.
เมจเข้ามาครับ มีเรื่องของกล็อกครับ
Miko the next target. They're still going for it. Smooth here to keep him at bay, but he could be in trouble as well. Soxa's gonna jump in. They're whittled down.
แล้ว
Smooth
เป็นทางด้าน
has
ของจอยครับ
immortality, but Imperial has to deal with their base.
ไหลเข้ามาตรงนี้ครับ
Earlier about wow, Stormy not taking the purifier earlier. That's really bold of him. It pays off at least for Imperial Esports this time around. And I think we need to take a small breather here, right? The Lord is starting to walk up.
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับ เข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามด้วยนะครับ
I don't know if they're going to get an inhibitor turret off of this, but so far I feel like Steffe is holding Imperial together right now.
I mean, he has the highest kills in the game. As a roamer, not ideal, but better than nothing, right? He's holding it in. He's making sure that he is on curve as well. If you have a tanky Kufra, it's also more risk for Team SMG to consider if they're trying to make all these bold, aggressive plays.
เสร็จกันมาเรื่อยๆครับ
With that warning,
Xbox
though,
ครับ
with that moment, Imperial Esports are
เสียง
able to
มัน
take
จะเริ่ม
out
คืน
2
ประมาณ
members,
ครึ่งชั่วโมง
but
อะ
now Team SMG will be a lot more careful when they're walking around those danger zones.
ประมาณครึ่งชั่วโมงประมาณครึ่งชั่วโมง
Until the next Lord actually spawns. Team SMG with their slow playstyle, right? This is starting to get into, well, not dangerous territory, but on the
ล็อก
cusp
กับ
of
กู
it.
ฟ่าครับ
Yeah, again, even
แต่ก็คงไม่ดีกว่านี้หรอกวันเนี้ย
you know, the past 10 minutes of this game have gone. Imperio is keeping it together, and I think, like you guys mentioned, Stefe's doing a great job, but he's been a key component to Imperial's success this whole wild card, right? Aurora's
Lilia
the one
ครับ
getting these MVPs
Uno
and
ครับ
shining, but Stefe is there all the time for him, and as we take a look at the replay here, you can see this kind of unfold.
ยังไงครับ
and it
จ่าย
worked
ดา
out
เมจ
well
เข้ามา
for
ครับ
them, right, for the most part, and I feel like Team SMG
เป็
was
นหน้า
kind of
กล็อกครับ
surprised here.
And even their decision there, they saw the Bruno, and they're like, okay, that's a value target. So they expended several battle spells. They committed a lot because they know that's the prior target right there. If it turns out that Saksa was in the area, I think they're very happy to, and willing to take that fight, particularly because the main big damage that really burst them out of that nether realm is the damage coming in from Stormy on the Lilia. So he is definitely someone that's going to be hunted
วันนี้
down
เปิด
in
ช้า
the
ด้วย
middle
คิด
of
ว่า
this fight.
ตอนแรกคิดว่ามันแข่ง3 โมงแล้วเนี่ยเอาจริง
against Imperial before it gets really dangerous. This upcoming Lord is going to be very,
พี่คิดว่ามันแข่ง
very
3 โมง
important.
ด้วย
Because look at how quick that even though Aurora was getting slowed down, he's catching up, right? From 3 levels, now it's 2 levels, and eventually it's not going to matter anymore. And then it's about gold investment. I don't think he has enough of a hedge fund just yet, but I think that Team SMG are hoping that Imperial make that first move with and then get punished.
Usually the breaking point is at 15 minutes, more or less, and we are getting very, very close. But if you look at the wave management, you saw Team SMG send 1 member to the top side, but they don't push it in immediately. They want to make sure it builds up, and they're trying to use this macro play to really pull Imperial Esports apart. If one of them is forced to go up to the top side, it's going to be quite the easy Lord.
เกมแรกครับ เกมแรกครับ
Half health
เสร็จเข้ามาครับหลอดตัวที่ 2 ครับตรงนี้ครับกันเงิน 5,300 ครับ มาคินโยครับอยากเข้ามาเล่นครับแต่เจอ Xbox สแปมเข้ามาไม่ได้เลยครับ โอ้แล้วเปิดมาสวยจัดเลยครับ Xbox ล็อกกระแทกเข้ามาครับโอ้เปิดผีหนีออกเลยครับแต่ว่ากล็อกจะแตกเอาครับมีเกาะเกิดไล่เข้ามาครับโรเจอร์ครับต้องถอยครับเดินดาเมจบูโน่ครับแรงจัดครับซาซ่า
Oh, they need to find something to reset here. If Fashion can cancel some recalls, maybe that could be good. But right now, Saksa very healthy, smooth, almost about to get his Faraga armor back. And of course, Sasa not even worried at all. He's got Hotspot. He can top up off of anything.
I don't know waves are available for Imperial Esports right here, but they do have Marquinhos with the penalty zone up soon, so they can attempt a fight if they really want to, or they can just let SMG just suffocate them even further into this game. That team fight was just so difficult for Imperial to deal with, particularly because there's not a lot of mobility in the hands of Marquinhos, man. When he gets slowed down like that, it's so difficult. You might have to try and find some items to really deal with the slow over the damage.
Yep, we're getting to that break point of 15
จะมาตรง
minutes, you
นี้
know?
ครับ
That's what you were talking about earlier. I feel the arms
เรื่อยๆเข้ามาครับ
chokehold at this point, but still, I was hoping that Team SMG would just be a little more aggressive. I think they were hoping for more there.
Yeah, still. Actually, here could be looking for more, but this is what they do. They play around Migo, they play around Smooth. Steph's gonna get trapped, takes a ton of damage, is taken care of quickly.
แต่ยังไงครับตรงนี้ครับใส่เข้ามาครับไหลมาครับ เป็นทางด้านของบูโน่ครับจ่ายเข้ามาตรงนี้ครับ
Imperial still pressured on the defense.
God, I love a good grok
ด้านล่างครับ
player,
กล็อกครับ
man. Being able to
พยายาม
alter
ประคอง
terrain
เข้า
is
มาครับ
such a powerful tool.
สวัสดีคนด้วยนะครับเข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามด้วยนะครับ
7 moments in this game alone where the barrier has isolated one of the members of Imperial.
ลีเลียครับกล็อก
And
ครั
the
บ
only reason why
เสียง
they
ยัง
haven't
ไม่
been
คื
punished
นเลย
is
อะ
because for the most part, every single one of them have dashes.
คืนยากแล้วเสียงพี่อะ
Marquinhos, that's why it's so difficult for him right now to really move up and try and find
บูโน่
some
ดาเมจ
opponents.
น่าเกลียดมาก
And even in
พี่ว่า
Marquinhos,
ไม่ใช่เรื่องของดาเมจอย่างเดียวหรอก
Stefe becomes the second
มัน
because
คือ
as soon
เรื่อง
as
ของ
he
ไอ
doesn't
เทม
have
ที่
his
เป็น
lead,
ใจ
then
อะ
he's in a lot of
ไอ
trouble.
ไอ
He's
เทม
forced
ก
to
ง
use
เล็บ
his
อะ
abilities, and he's forced, and maybe they can even get some good ultimates, like for an example, in the Nether Realm from Fashion.
Yeah, that's
เมื่อก่อนมันก็ไม่ได้โหดขนาดเนี้ยกงเล็บมันไม่ได้ดูดเลือดเยอะอะ
As we get further in the game, you know,
ก
we're
ง
already
กงเล็บ
past
มันไม่ได้
that
มี
15-minute
ติด
mark
ขี้
you
ตี
guys
ไวมันก็ไม่
mentioned
มีคน
earlier.
ใช้อ่ะ
It's gonna get more dangerous, right?
กู
Especially
ฟ้า
with
ครับ
Urn
โดด
here.
เข้ามาครับ
If they can stall it out,
จอยสไลด์ใส่เข้ามาเปิดผีรับไม่ไหวครับ
On point. Steffi this time can't be saved. Now Imperial once again down a member.
But I tell you, it's just one after the other. A result of one thing
เจอทางด้านซาชาครับ
consequences from another.
Stefe just uses the Tyrant's revenge into in an aggressive way, so he can't really jump over the barrier. Once again, it's Miko. Even though he was
ไอเทมมันเอื้อเฉยๆครับไอเทมมันเอื้อให้กับบูโน่เยอะเกินไปครับวันนี้ทุกคนด้วยนะครับเข้ามาแล้วขอคนละ1 ไลค์ 1 หัวใจนะครับคนดู400มีคนกดไลค์160ครับน้ำตาจะไหล
I mean, as much as we talk about like game plans that you set before, you know exactly what comp you want to play, you know what you're expecting from your opponents. The individual performances here from the side of Team SMG have been extraordinary, making this game, move along a lot faster compared to what we usually see.
Yeah, not only that, but just the way things are falling into place, the layering, I should say, of Team SMG and their ultimates and everything else is what is doing the damage to Imperial, right? Other than the fact that, yeah, at this point, Sasa, he's stacked.
เสียงไอ้ว่าบอลรอด M5 นั่นน่ะดิ
Exactly, it's just
กิน
takes
ยา
a
ทุ
couple
กวัน
shots
เลยอะ
and most likely Imperial is going to be down a member. So how do you play around that?
ไม่เป็นไร
This is
จบ
the
ทัวร์นี้
time
ก็ได้
where they
พัก
have
แล้ว
to be able to utilize these
ใช่
17 minutes that they've garnered themselves and actually have a good defense against this Lord push.
Well, Arashi, quick thoughts on this. Can Imperial find this flank angle to get on top of Sasa?
I think flanking is exactly what
แล้วใส่เข้ามาตรงนี้ครับเรียบร้อยเลยครับลิเลียหายไปเลยครับเจอโรเจอร์กับทางด้านของฟารามิดครับ
Still keeping it together, smooth immortality.
แล้วเสียเอ็กบอกอีกเอาจะโดนส่วนคืนเฉยครับอยู่ๆวูบครับ
Sasa on the run.
นิดเดียวครับซาซ่ารอดออกมาได้ครับ
They worked for it, but Smooth still alive. Imperial stays in the game though.
Team SMG
เกือบแตกอะคิดโคตรแรงอะ
by Imperial Esports. It's unusual to see Stormy get picked off in this particular manner.
That's when it's the most dangerous, man. Imperial has nothing to lose, and they really need to try and find something before the Lord happens. The fact that Stormy was not with his team, I think was a bit of an oversight. And now they're going to push immediately to try and find some more resources.
ไหลเข้ากลางมาครับซ่อมได้นิดหน่อยครับวันนี้ทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
Usually the goal difference starts becoming
แล้วบอก
irrelevant.
อยากให้แจกส
Now it's
กิน
all
กัน
down to
แค่กด
execution.
ไลค์กด
And Team SMG,
แค่กดไลค์กดแชร์ยังไม่กดไลค์กัน
but can they keep it up
พวกคุณ
until the end of the game?
กดไลค์เดี๋ยวผมจะแอบแจกสกินคนที่กดแชร์ไปแล้ว
Might actually just backfire here, considering the 4 items already completed, and now for the final item coming in from Aurora, especially with the new changes towards Roger's side, I don't think that Miko can walk
เสร็จ
up
มาตรงนี้ครับ
as
10 ต่อ 7
comfortably,
ครับ
especially if he is healthy.
Looking at the items here, for Ure, he has the great dragon
เทนิส
spear,
ลา
by
ครับ
the way. So all these
หลอด
slows coming from
50
Team
วิครับ
SMG, he can kind of deal with it by being speedy. The only real hard crowd control is going to be the hands of Miko, and usually Imperial will force him to use it on other members before Ure is
เสร็จ
even
กัน
in
มา
the
ตรงนี้
fray.
ครับ
I mean,
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
okay, I'm thinking of like layers upon layers upon
เมื่อวาน
layers
คนที่
here, right?
74
I'm
ไม่ได้รางวัล
going conspiracy at this
คนที่
point.
80 เอา
I'm
ไป
on
แดก
Reddit, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and I think that at this point of time, the front to front from Team SMG seems better, but I think that Imperial so far, if Sefe is able to get the person who is able to peel them off the most, in this case, it's not Smooth. Faraga armor
เมื่อวาน
really
แจก
annoying.
899 ไป 3 ตัว
Continuously attack Stormy and priority target being Sasa if he walks up too far forward might just be the answer here.
And if they fight in a clumped up formation,
Yeah.
it's also going to be very difficult because for the most part, Ure is hitting everyone.
เกมดูเครียดคนเล่นก็เครียดพี่ก็เครียดเนี่ยแต่เสียงแบบ
So Sasa's walking up
แห
trying
บ
to do
มากเลย
damage. Say for Stormy, they can get hit by collateral damage from that passive, and that could
หู
be
ฟ้าครับโดนเล่นแล้วครับ
Again,
โดนทางด้านของ
this is
Xbox ครับ
what they could need here if they can actually contest this
ไล่
Lord.
จุกเผาออกไปเลยครับ
Despite the
Xbox
deficit going on, they're on this side of the jungle.
ลิเลียมาจ่ายครับดับเบิลสโลว์ครับกระแทกเข้าไปจากก๊อกครับตรงนี้เข้ามาไม่ได้ครับโรเจอร์ครับพยายามจะไล่ครับแล้ว Xbox ครับมาฆ่าทางด้านมาคินโยครับเรียบร้อยครับ เสียทางด้านของ
The
เทนิส
timing,
ลาครับ
the
ตัวเปิดด้วยครับ
timing. Had they just finished that Lord just slightly quicker, they could have abused the fact that Marquino's death timer is getting really, really long at the 20th minute of the game, just missing it by 2 seconds.
ปัญหาคือปัญหาคือเสียตัวทับจังหวะไปแล้วครับ
In the fight, he can't really do much. In the 1v1, he can't really do much. He's forced to just stick with the team.
อู้แล้วล็อกยกมาจะมาดักฆ่าบูโน่ครับจะมาซ่อมครับ
As the rear guard for Team SMG, that's the ideal circumstances. But look at this. Hang on.
Okay.
เราซ่อมได้แน่นอนครับจังหวะนี้บูโน่ครับกดเกาะกันไกลครับรอดไม่รอดครับอูรอดเฉยครับกดเกาะกันไกลสู้ครับ
And look at the base. They're going to put the focus on there. Your falls, fashion, trying to keep it together. Immortality from Sox is going to go down, but the Lord is now there. Marquino gets back.
โอ้ถ่วงเวลาได้เฉยครับ
Chaos everywhere. And Stefan finally falls towards.
แต่ว่าบูโน่มาแล้วนะครับบูโน่กับจอยเข้ามาเล่นอีกรอบหนึงครับ
A couple hits away
น่าจะได้อยู่ครับ SMG ครับเรียบร้อยครับ 1-0 ครับโคตรสวยเลยนะเมื่อกี้ดักสวยมากเลยนะดักสวยมากเลยขอบคุณสำหรับน้องๆที่กดแชร์นะครับ
Didn't even break a sweat, leaning back on his chair, and after the fight was over and looking for that end game, that's when he leaned forward and was like, okay, now
มีประมาณ 68 คน
cancels the coup for us all, times the purify perfectly so he doesn't get that initial hit.
69 แล้ว 69 แล้วคนแชร์มี 69 แล้ว คนดู 500อะครับคนกดไลค์อยู่คนกดไลค์อยู่ 240 เองขอคนละ1ไลค์1ใจได้ไหมครับ
They're down. They're so down. I love seeing SMG.
บูโดมีล้างด้วยเมื่อกี้กูฟาชาร์จเข้าไปเลยแบบกูฟาชาร์จเข้าไปเลยแบบฟรีเลย
That's why I was really concerned for them because this wasn't the polish that I was used to seeing in the regular season.
Yeah, I feel like they had to make some adjustments themselves, right? Over that, but still, given this whole game, the way it went, again, this is longer. I believe longer than our average game time. I think it was like 18 minutes is our average game time, right now for the wild card. And again, they kept things together well, but Imperial, I feel like it was just the momentum, the snowball happened too much, and they were at a point where it's like, you know what, we can't even contest these lords. We have to just go for something. You know, they were put in that situation, and they tried to, again, game number 1 here, they might as well have done that, but again, they might have to make some major adjustments for the draft for game 2.
They've revealed a little bit here, and I think, you know, that's the best part about the best of 5s. But in the meantime, let's have a look at our most valuable player. Give it up, everyone. It's going to be Smooth, making sure that those fire missiles are effective, winning out the lane, making sure that Marquinhos had a tough time. He did it all.
He was literally dominating Marquinhos. And even in the Lord dances, the fact that he is so annoying in the front and he is so unpunishable due to the Firaga armor, it's a great pick, but it's an even greater execution by Smooth right here. Looking at his optimization, he went for the Ice Queens one early on as well, and that's partially why Marquinhos on the Terizla, if he wants to get away from Smooth, he is forced to use a penalty zone, and that's just a bit too expensive when they're trying to contest for an objective like the Lord. So I think that is something that Imperial can build on. But for SMG, man, this is the way to go. Dominant laners in the side lanes. I think it's working out really well for them.
It is working out really well for them, but it's
ดูก่อนยอดคนแชร์เยอะเปล่า
edge of like, man, if one fight went bad,
จะแจกกี่ตัวกูก็แจกได้อยู่แล้วเพชรกูมีนี่ไงขิงไว้ก่อนเลย1 ดอก
Gold laner that we haven't seen pop up too much, right? And there's a reason for that, right? He also takes a little bit of time to build up, but then even you're exposed to a lot of mobility, and that's what kind of lineups are built off now, and that's why you have to rely that never realm. There was a lot of good attempts, right? But Smooth, being the MVP here, he did great in the early game, which allowed him to even further bully Marquinhos, right? And already that matchup, X-Board versus Terizla, is not what you want to be on if you're on the end of the Terizla, right? So, and then you get a lead. We saw how much focus was there, and then things kind of fell into place for Team SMG.
As we go into the highlights brought to you by our Grab Unlimited sponsor,
เฮ้ยเด็กรุ่นใหม่มันดูดราก้อนบอลนี่ป่าวะ
this is what I love seeing from the side of Team SMG. But as we start to rotate out of there, I feel like it was just one big ultimate Jenga tower, you know, each piece being an ultimate that needs to be used in a particular order.
And for SMG,
เราก็ไม่น่าทำมีมแบบนี้เลยนะรู้สึกแก่ทันทีเลย
Because usually for Imperial, once they get that Pyramis, it's just
คู่สองครับคู่สอง
right? Moving all around the map,
มีโอกาสเข้ากี่เปอร์เซ็นต์ก็มีอยู่ครับอยู่ที่หลายๆอย่างครับ
with this composition, with the Grok and the X-Borg, the final 2 picks, they're able to avoid the bulk of the engages. So what it is that they wait for the right moment, the very easy fights they can take, and then they go in.
And usually that condition is whether or not you have a dash or whether or not you're missing a battle spell at that point of time. And if you can get that Nether Realm out of fashion, then it's go time. But the same can be said for the side of Imperial, right? Let's say, for an example, Saksa is out of the fight where the Firaga armor is broken. But most importantly, if Miko doesn't have that wild charge, that's when you see Imperial just bite back.
Yeah, even here, right? There was some moments where they were able to fight back, and that's something you have to be able to respect from Imperial, given how that early game, that mid game went. But again, some of these timings from Miko were just on point, especially with the Guardian's Barrier, right? The way they worked around that. And just at this point, you know, towards that later part of the game, you're starting to see some of this firepower come through from Imperial. Again, some of these placement issues, these positioning things, and the fact that you can't contest these objectives 20 plus minutes in the game, it gets very difficult to find a winning condition here.
particularly with the difference in movement speed and mobility, man. I think that's a big problem. If the fight goes fast and everyone commits, I think there is value in the composition of Imperial.
รู้ป่าวว่า
But
ทำ
if
ไม
the
เมื่อ
fight
กี้
drags on and SMG can kite
มัน
back,
ขึ้นจ
that's
มู
why
ก
it
เสียง
becomes
อะ
very difficult. Hence
คือ
why whenever they're able to get a
พี่อะ
pick
ชอบ
off
เอากระดาษ
and
เช็ด
force
ชู่
an
อะ
engage, that's where they really win out.
เช็ดจ
But
มู
those
ก
members are too few far in between. And looking at
ชอบเอากระดาษเช็ดชู่
the
เช็ด
post
จ
game
มูก
sets
เว้ย
right here, every single neutral
แล้ว
objective is completely dominated
เหมือน
by
กระดาษ
SMG due
ก
to
ระดาษ
that
ชู่มัน
approach,
มี
right? We
สารอะไร
fight
บาง
back
อย่าง
and
ที่ทำให้
then
เรารู้สึกแบบ
counter-engage when it's necessary. And if you don't
จมูก
want
มัน
to
ต่อ
actually
ต้าน
full
อะ
commit, it's fine because we have Lily
จมูกมันต่อต้านอะนะน้ำมูกไหล
That is what they were really abusing to chunk down Marquinhos and Steffe before anything even happens.
I think it became very apparent here that the only reason why this game wasn't ending as well quickly as it should have been is because Stormy was getting caught out at awkward times coming in from Steffe. I feel like, you know, Stormy was feeling himself a little bit, right? It's a front to back comp. You're trying to just slow down the front line, let him come into it, just peel. But Stormy's pushing up in the sideways, making sure that the wave management is pristine.
And he had multiple MVPs yesterday, right? So
Exactly.
he comes in today feeling pretty good. But you pointed this out, right? The fact that you went with the flicker instead, you are susceptible to getting bursted down really quickly before you even get a chance to actually use the black shoes, right? So this was something that was apparent for Team SMG, and I feel like if some way, somehow we got another 5+ minutes for Team Imperial, there probably was a moment where they swing things back, right? There was an opportunity for that. So it was better for Team SMG to end things while they did. And again, it makes me wonder exactly what Imperial wants to do. How do they want to learn from this game, number one? Because most likely, we just got to expect the YSS is going to be permabanned this series.
Yes,
Unless.
that's definitely something to to expect from Team SMG. I think for Imperial, the big problem that needs to be fixed definitely is in the EXP lane, right? You don't have a solid tank that can move with your team. I think they were expecting a full-on pure team fight, and they're not really understanding the matchup here, leaving it open for the final pick for Team SMG. So they gotta get something a bit more dynamic, a bit better for Marquinhos, because we've seen what he can do on a Dyrot, for instance, where he was able to get an MVP. Picks like that.
But that's the thing, right? It's about picking and choosing what strategy you want to go with. I think in this game of rock, paper, scissors, Team SMG have come out just slightly on top here.
Right.
I do agree with you about the Marquinhos point. I do feel that he did get a little shafted here in the draft because they're sacrificing as much as they can just to make sure that Aurora gets ahead. But the game plan coming up from Team SMG made that even harder.
Well, we have to see the adjustment, man, because the Teresa was
สวัสดีครับ
picked
สวัสดีครับ
first, by the
Yeah,
way.
it
It was
was.
the first pick from Imperial. So if they
ทิช
want
ชู่
to
มั
try
น
and
มีเศ
hide
ษ
that
รอง
matchup a
เล็
bit
ก
more,
ๆ จะทำให้จมูก
how
เคือง
critical
ใช่
the EXP lane, matchup is being in recent times, with the objectives also being more
แล้ว
important.
แล้วลืม
The
ไง
first fight when it's closer to the EXP lane is becoming more
ใช่
and
เป็น
more
ภูมิแพ้
important.
ครับ
So that matchup also needs to be taken a bit more seriously, not only the gold lane.
This is why I want to see again, going back to the player head-to-head before
ต้
we
องออก
get
กำ
to
ลั
the
งกาย
game, is some
จบแล้ว
growth here, maybe we see a surprise, right, for Aurora
ตา
alone,
แห้ง
and
เล
how
ย
they
เนี่ย
work around this. Because looking at this in the objective department, right, 0-0, Turtles, Lords, very low in the turrets, which they got towards the end there when they had some of those winning skirmishes and team fights. But that's the thing. I feel like when you're going against a caliber of this, and they need to be able to contest those objectives early on. They need to be able to actually
บางที
initiate
ก็
those
คนเรา
movements,
ก็
because
อยาก
that's
ทำ
what
อะไร
Team
มาก
SMG
มาย
is
นะเว้ย
looking for,
แต่ว่า
right? So if that means
บางที
maybe
ก็
for
ไม่ได้
game
ทำอะไร
2
เล
you
ย
opt for a utility jungler, we see Aurora kind of go into that play style, that could be the best thing for them.
Or they can double down on the aggression and go for winning lanes. Because if you look at the whole picture, the XP wasn't winning, the Golden wasn't winning, and the mid lane against Lilia definitely wasn't really coming out on top. So if you want to have an aggressive jungler, you have to back it up with aggressive laners to ensure that you can go aggressive. Looking at the cards though, the carry is Euro on the Clint. So the late game damage with the AoE, with the passive, definitely is dangerous. But if they want to use it, they gotta try and get it up to speed, get the power spike a bit earlier into the game.
I mean, if he is going to, again, it's one of those things where do you kind of push your focus into, right? And I think, at least for the side of Team SMG, it was very clear, okay, early game, we're going to go to the EXP side, because we've got a winning matchup, and more importantly, they also knew where the Roger actually started on what buff, and because of that, you can immediately draw a circle, draw a pathway of exactly how Imperial is going to actually move around. And I think, this Grok pick coming in from the side of Coach Pal, really smart. I think that it does everything that it needs to do to be able to open up these bushes, to be able to isolate targets, and more importantly, as a very easy disengage tool, as a way to say, hey, Aurora, if you want to be able to chain kill, no, you're only taking me.
Yeah, and that's why, even early on, we kind of wondered if that
เอาจริง
timing
พี่
from Miko
พี่
early on when it resulted in a big win for Team
ดื่ม
SMG.
ชาร้อน
The
ๆดูครับ
use of the
ต้ม
wild
พวก
charge.
ใบ
Sometimes
ชา
he's
เขียว
holding
ชา
on
แด
to
ง
it. Sometimes he uses it when you might think it's too early, but it's all part of the plan, it seems, right, for Team SMG. So again, you
เคยเป็น
kind
ท
of
หาร
have
แล้ว
to.
รัก
I
ษา
know
ธรรม
we've been
ชาติ
talking about Aurora a lot, but this is once again it falls on Steffe as well, as it has up to this point, right? And even on this Kufa, I feel like he did a relatively great job. He found a
เฮ้ย
lot
จ
of
ริงๆอ่ะ พี่
initiation
หายไป
when
พักห
you
นึ่งแล้วนะ
didn't think they could, right?
มีอยู่ช่วงหนึ่งที่กินยาภูมิแพ้แบบ
game number 2
ยากินยาภูมิแพ้แบบรัวๆเลย เพราะว่าเขาบอกว่าเหมือนหมอเขาให้กินแล้วก็แบบเหมือนแบบมันจะหายไปยาวๆเลยแต่ว่าอันนี้ส่วนหนึ่งอาจจะ
I think the
พัก
rover
ผ่อน
and
ไม่
making
เพียง
the
พ
place
อ
happen is
ด้วย
definitely something that has to really work
นะครับพัก
for
ผ่อนไม่เพียง
Imperial.
พอด้วย
And
เมื่อ
they
คื
have
น
to
ก็
really start
ตี
respecting
สาม
the-
ตีสี่อะไร
the
เงี้ย
micro execution
เฮ้ยจะบอกว่าไม่พอ
intention
ก็
from
ไม่ได้
Team
ด้วย
SMG.
ตี
Because in
สี่
this
ตื่น
game,
มา
we saw
ก็ประ
several
มาณ
moments where
บ่ายโมง
quite frankly, right, the
พอ
Team
ปะวะ
Imperial just got
ห้าหก
outplayed
เจ็ด
in
แป
the
ด
bottom
เก้า
lane
สิบ
earlier
สิบเอ็ด
with
สิบสอง
the
ก็
juice,
แปดชั่วโมง
with
นะ
just the ultimate cancel to the
ตื่นมา
Kufa as well.
ตื่นมา
And
เที่ยง
also
ครึ่ง
with
ก็
how
แปด
they're
ชั่วโมง
playing
กว่า
fights,
นะ
right, how they're able to actually select their targets
อาจจะ
and
พัก
pass
ผ่อนดึก
around
ไป
the danger
แล้วก็
zone. I think they have to
อีก
try
อย่าง
to
หนึ่งช่วงนี้
understand
จิ๋ว
that
พั
that
ด
is
ข
going
น
to be a big problem, and they have to try and prepare for it as well.
Okay, so some of the adjustments we're expecting coming in from Imperial is going to be along the lines of finding aggressive
จิ๋ว
laners
พัด
if
ข
they
นด้วย
still want to play on Aurora. But I want to give you guys, and as well as here at the table, the question of when do you want to sacrifice some of these picks? You know, maybe you're not looking for Aurora's S tier pick, but maybe take a step back. Look to play a more team fight
เอ
oriented
อมันเป็นช่วงที่
composition.
จิ๋วพัด
Is
ขน
that the
ด้วย
way
อะ
that they
ก็
could
อาจจะมี
potentially
ส่วน
take
ด้วย
against Team SMG?
แต่
The
ส่วน
new
แล้วก็
angle,
มี
perhaps.
จากการใช้เสียง
I
เยอะ
think they definitely
มี
have
ผ
it
ล
in
เหมื
their
อนกัน
arsenal, right? I think it's a bit too far-fetched to assume that Imperial can only play with this playstyle. I
ใช้
think
เสียง
they
เยอะก็มี
definitely
ผ
have
ลครับ
adjustments
เพราะว่า
down. We've seen them make
เขาเรียกอะไรวะ
adaptations before.
คอ
So maybe even if it
คอ
doesn't put
อะไรหู
Aurora
จ
as the
มูก
star
อะไรเงี้ย
player,
มัน
it
ใน
can
นี่กั
still
น
be a better option. Just considering the matchup, right? Because you brought a lot of MMA analogies in this game, in this matchup, and in MMA, we talk about how styles make matchups, right? Sometimes the guy
วิว
with the
การ์ดเอา
best
สองทีม
striking
ครับเอาสอง
doesn't
ที
really
ม
do well against the best grappling. So maybe Imperial, for lack of a better comparison, like can change their striking.
อู้หลายอย่างเลยอะ
that works better.
เอาจริงๆนะ
Maybe judo.
ถ้า
Maybe judo.
ถามแบบตัวพี่เลยนะ
All
เว้
I
ย
know
ว่า
is wrestling. All you know
พี่
is
อยากเป็น
wrestling.
สตรีมเมอร์
That's
ขนาดนั้น
well,
ไหม
I mean,
ไม่
you know
นะ
what?
เว้ย
We're getting
เมื่อก่อน
deeper
พี่
and
เป็น
deeper
แค่
into the
YouTube
fight
นะเว้ย
topics, the overall
พี่ไม่ได้
styles,
อยาก
but we
เป็นสตรีมเมอ
definitely-
ร์อะไร
I get
ข
where
นาด
you're
นั้น
coming
นะเว้ย
from, right? I think that in these types of situations, to kind of shake it up, I think they're going to move straight to the blue side. That's number one, right? That's the first step.
Yeah, they could start
พี่
there.
อยากทำพวกวีล็อก
Again,
มากกว่าบอก
what we're
แบบ
basically
พวก
talking
กิน
about
พ
is
วก
the
เที่ยว
fact
พวกอะไรพวก
that
เนี้ย
we need to see the playstyle adapt here for Imperial, right? Because this is Team SMG for the most part. I feel like they have shown different playstyles, but it's more or less the same. They've just refined it and execute it very well, right? That's what works for them. So Imperial,
ได้
like
ครับ
you
ขอบคุณ
mentioned,
มากครับ
Arashi,
พี่โน่
they have
ข
a
อบคุณ
playstyle
ครับ
that
ตา
they're
โน่
known
ครับ
for throughout the wild card and even in the
จริงๆก็เคย
region.
ซื้อมากินอยู่
But
ช่วงหนึ่งนะ
now they're forced to
แต่
adapt,
ก็
right? And this is something that's going to happen throughout the
ร่างกายผม
entire
แม่งติดเป๊ป
M5,
ซี่อ่ะ
right? The entire
ผมแม่ง
journey.
แม่งติด
These
เป๊ปซี่
regions,
อ่ะ
these teams, even the well-known teams, they're going to have to adapt to some of the new strategies being pulled through. So Imperial, once again, like I said, let's get that utility. Let's get that team effort strategy going on. And yeah, maybe Aurora isn't that shining star, that one getting all those kills this time around, but the rest of the team gets the shine.
Exactly.
I mean, if they, man, we're gonna have to wait until we get into the draft before
เนี่ย
we
นั่งทำไปนี่อยู่นี่ไง
confirm this, right?
นั่ง
I
เก็บ
mean,
ข้อมูล
again,
ทีม
the
อยู่เนี่ย
adaptability can only go so far, and let's not forget.
ที่ไม่อ่าน
the
คอมเมนต์
SMG
เนี่ยนั่งเก็บ
were
ข้อมูล
the ones
ทีม
to
ริว
ban
กัน
out
อยู่
And when you ban out Yushin Shin, therefore, a lot of other meta picks actually get to slip on through. I'm rather surprised that there wasn't any early consideration for maybe even going for Matilda.
เพราะวันสอง
even,
มัน
was
ไม่ได้
that-
แข่งนะ
was
นี่หว่า
that
มัน
even
แข่ง
an
วันสาม
option?
นี่หว่า วัน
Was
สอง
it
แม่งไม่มี
the
แข่ง
first 3 bans, Rashi, just to double confirm?
Matilda was banned by Imperial, actually. It's the first ban that they made. So they traded that for basically the Paramis, I think. That was the
ไอ้อย่างที่พี่ทำเนี่ยเขาเรียกหน้าที่ analyst นะครับ จริงๆนักกีฬาเนี่ยจะมี
I think that's why the Terizla pick was
analyst กับโค้ชนะครับแยกกันนะครับงงป่ะ analyst ทำหน้าที่หนึ่งโค้ชทำหน้าที่หนึ่งนะครับมันจะแยกกันนะ
Well, I think it's time. Let's get into the drafting phase here for game number 2 in this best of 5 series between Team SMG versus Imperial. Let's see which side they're
อ๋อ
going
วัน
to
ที่
be
สองมัน
on.
ก็แข่งนี่หว่า
What's funny is,
แป๊บหนึ่งนะวันที่สอง
as
มันแข่
someone
งคู่แรก
who is from the MPL Philippine region, and I heard what you said about
เขาเรียก
over
หน้าที่
there
ของ
in,
analyst นะครับ
yesterday. Right. We're known for our lore dances. It might not be super action-packed, but you know, there's a certain sense of finesse in a Lord Dance, an extended one. I feel like Wildcard, we haven't seen that many Lord Dances. It's been rather wild, right? And that's why I'm saying, I think now that we know what sides they're going to be on, Imperio, let's see if they can build around that, because I feel like they're going to be forced in that situation with Team SMG here.
Any predictions for first pick, Sarashi? Because this time around, I don't know whether Imperial wants to show off what the jungler is going to be, or maybe even the EXP within the first phase.
I think they can get this Bruno here. Ur, as you can see, was the highest damage output, and he can hold his own. But no, they go for the Nolan, man. They want that aggression in the jungle. But now for SMG, they can go for a Faramis. They can counter these assassins, and they can go for the Brunos if they really want.
มาครับมาดูเกมที่2กันก่อนดีกว่าครับสวัสดีทุกคนด้วยนะครับไม่เป็นไรฮะ
Tai Chi.
We're in Tai Chi.
คู่เช้าก็ใช้เสียงเบาๆไปแล้วกัน เดี๋ยวไว้
we'll see it
ช่ว
a
ง
little
เย็น
bit once we get into that second phase. Next two picks coming up inside.
ช่วงเย็นช่วงเย็น
This time it's going to be Turizla as well as Bruno.
ถือว่าพักเสียงไป เดี๋ยวไปซื้อยาช่วงพัก
Maybe I can get an export early on.
This is the question, can Marquinhos play the X-Borg, right? This is where the flexibility of these players are tested, because you can do well
แบน
on
มา
one
ทิว
or
ครับ
two or even 3 heroes, but even
แบน
after
จอย
this,
แบน
once
อาร์ลอ
those
ด
get
ครับ
taken away contextually or by direct bans,
เกมหนึ่ง
can you
SMG
still
ชนะครับ
maintain the same kind of
SMG
performance? Imperial will go for that Faramis though, but I think if they want to go for the Faramis, a prerequisite for this pick is to get solid engages. They can really force your opponents to stay in there. Now that there's a Teresa on the side of SMG, I think that's a bit easier because we saw what issues Marquinhos was struggling with in game 1.
Well, let's see whether or not this first half is going to be beneficial for him or maybe another teammate, and it looks like no, they're going to lean back into the Clint versus Bruno matchup.
I don't know how I feel about the Clint, man. I know
ไอ้ที่เราเห็นพี่ดับข้อมูลแน่นๆหรือว่าแบบว่าอธิบายหรือว่าเดาดับ
I think it can work
เดา
good.
ดับ
For
ฝั่งตรง
example,
ข้าม
they
ได้
can
เย
get
อะ
the
เนี่ย
Nolan to go,
หนึ่ง
snowball
คือ
up,
ประสบ
get
การ
some
ณ์
early
นะครับ
damage out, let the Clint shine later
ไอ้เรื่อง
on.
ของแอนาลิ
But
สเนี่ย
that's
มัน
still
เป็น
begs
เรื่อง
the
แบบ
question, how's the XP lane matchup
ส่วนหนึ่ง
gonna be?
ก็มันจะช่วยได้เยอะเหมือนกัน
It's tough, man. With the EXP once again moving in towards that second half, things are going to start spicing up. Oh, wow, we see an early Cho pickup from the side of Team SMG. And if you don't know who the crowd favorite is going
Imperial
to
ครับ
be
ไม่
here,
จับ
have a
บู
look
โน่
at the
ครับ
drums. It's hard to hear even
เลือก
ourselves.
จับโน
I
แล
can't
นครับ
imagine
ปล่อยบู
the
โน่
coaches
มาครับแล้วก็เสีย
screaming
บู
on
โน่
that anger at their players, but to
ค
quickly
ลิป
lock
ลา
in
ครับ
their
แล้วก็ชู
heroes.
ครับ
Earlier, I turned my headset volume up, and I'm still having trouble hearing the two of you.
I'm gonna start
Man.
doing sign language soon, guys.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do like non-verbal communication.
ยังยืนยันว่าจะจับคลิปเนี่ย
Dude, the Malaysian crowd, Gideon, your home crowd is absolutely wild, man. This is crazy.
You know, think about the growth of the crowd, by the way.
พี่ว่าคินกับบูโน่ไม่น่าแรกอ่ะเขาดูไม่กลัวบู
We
โน่
didn't
แต่
have
พี่ว่า
that.
บู
We
โน่
actually
แม่งไม่
picked
น่า
that up
ปล่อยอ่ะ
pretty recently in our seasons, you know. We learned a lot from our older brothers in MPL ID a little bit, you know.
Hey,
you
the
know, they got
Philippines
super
did
fans.
too.
Oh, that's true.
They did
That's
too.
true.
They learned it there as well.
Oh my goodness.
It's part of the game now, man. The fan base cheering. You have to feel for Imperio, man. Against a home crowd this passionate, you have to be feeling some kind of nerves, right? It might not like derail their whole game plan completely, but it's definitely something they're feeling.
I mean, they're feeling like they're into the nether realm because right now, Farmers is currently the most picked. 19 times
คือ
a mid lane hero
อารมณ์พี่
overtaking
นะ
Valentina.
ถ้าจะเล่นบูโน่นะก็ไม่ควรปล่อย
The meta here at Wildcards is so different.
ไม่ควรปล่อย
You know, there was a time,
ไอ้ถ้าจะ
though.
เล่นคลินก็ไม่ควร
And,
ปล่อย
I feel
บู
like
โน่
I'm
อะ
yelling at this point, but there was a time that it was
มันเหมือน
always
อารมณ์ว่า
Valentina and
คลิน
Fairfax.
กว่ามันจะเกิด
You
อะ
know,
บูโน่
so
แม่งเกิดแล้วอะ
It's like we took 2 steps forward, but we also took a step back.
I gotta bring this question to Arashi, right? Now,
What's up?
let me just quickly wrap up the other bands. Lilia, Phobius, Minotaur, and as well as
แบนโฟเวียสออกนะครับเพราะว่ากันเอามาโดดนะครับ
has been pretty awkward in recent times, right? The number of picks that you actually have access to has really dwindled down.
I think now it's first of all, you have to have good wave clear. I think now that's a very important part of mid laning that needs to happen. You have to have good wave clear, but then you have to pick between being full utility or full damage. That's what it feels like it's going to happen. So for SMG now, they picked up the Akai also. And we've seen this yesterday, by the way. A Teresa and Akai, and how sometimes they can really cancel each other out. So you have to wonder if they're going to do that, or are they going to do the plan we saw, I believe, in day 2, where the Teresa will start to engage, but the Akai will split the team apart into 2 segments so that the team fight really falls into their favor.
Which is actually quite beneficial here. Now, we come back to Imperial side, they lock in the Yuzong. This is going to be a very volatile matchup between the Terizla. A single kill can skew it into one of these EXP's favors, and there's nothing much you can really do about it. The state of EXP as of right now. But that final pick, it's going to be locked in right here, right now. It's Kufra once again. Stefe crushed it in game number 1, but not enough to get a game win. Team SMG finish it off with a Valentina.
จะมาเป็นคูฟ้าวี่จงครับปิดมาด้วยวาเลนติน่าครับ
Two Nether Realms most likely on the board, but still, I like
ฮีโร่ SMG ก็ยังได้เปรียบกว่าอยู่ดีครับ
Stefan had a great game, like you mentioned, Gideon. So if he can replicate that and do even better here, they can build around that. And my biggest question mark, once again, is the Nolan. We've seen teams opt for it. It works out well for some, and others, it just falls flat on its face.
Yeah, is it in the same situation as Roger, or what are we thinking here?
I think it's a bit more difficult even compared to the Roger. You have more safety, as in you're a lot more mobile than the Roger. Technically jumping over, you can dash over a lot of
มาดู
walls
เกม
to
ที่
escape.
2 นะ
At
ครับ
the same time, you need to enter from a very safe angle, because otherwise you are very vulnerable to crowd control, and the only real way you can escape is your main damage tool.
That being said, it is time. Let's test the mettle of both these teams as we head into our second game in this best of 5 between Team SMG versus Imperial Esports.
Whew, look at the battle spots right here. There's some purifiers available, but you have to wonder here, in the jungle matchup, it's going to be a utility jungler against a damaged jungler. Who's going to have the better clear? Because Nolan is infamous, but
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
clears very, very fast.
I don't know about you, but I feel like whoever makes
มา
that
ดูครับ
first
เกม
mistake
ที่
in
2 ของคู่นี้นะครับ
it's going to heavily snowball in one
ระหว่าง
team's
Emperio
favor, right?
ครับกับ
We
ทีม
all see what
SMG
happens
ครับสวัสดี
when
ทุก
turtle
คนด้วยครับ
goes,
ด้านบนครับเป็น
control, and Miko
วี่
looking
จง
to
ครับเลน
find
กลาง
some
ครับเป็น
trades.
ฟารามิดครับกับคูฟ้าครับ
What he does every
ด้านล่าง
time,
เป็น
right? So
คลิ
this
น
is
ครับ
why I'm
แล้วก็
saying
โนแลน
Steph as well. He has to be able to protect you. He has to be able to come to these side lanes.
Nolan
help them out if
jungle
they
นะครับ
need. And if they can get some type of win, that would be great, right? Miko does this time and time again. But if they can put things into place before that first turtle, like you mentioned, Gideon, that could be great for Imperio here.
I think Miko here.
ส่วนนั้น SMG ครับด้านบนเป็นเทลิลาครับเลนกลางครับ
In this early stage,
เป็นทางด้าน
there's so
วา
much
เลนกับ
danger.
ชู
He
ครับ
has
แล้ว
that
ก็
one
อา
hero
ไค
with
ครับ
so
เป็น
much
จังเกิล
mobility
ครับ
and built-in shielding, so he can really find some information for his team.
Oh, already with the drag back, Stormy. Forced to flicker out. That is what Imperio needed to do. So he's not going to have it for now, at least for a couple minutes. So that should give them that little bit of an advantage for that turtle. The Soxa, though, in the mid lane alongside Miko.
That's some great comms coming out for the side of Team SMG. They knew he was on the bottom side, so it's very safe to assume that he's going to be somewhere along that river line, inside that brush. But let's look at the emblems.
Mobility, agility, and wilderness blessing for the Valentina and Cho.
เสร็จกันมาครับด้านบนครับวี่จงครับเจอกับเทลิลาครับสูสีครับ
For Asaxa, he's
คือต้องบอกว่าต่างคนต่างปาดเลย
for a bit of extra tankiness, and he's going for the season hunter to ensure that he can just
วี่จงกับเทลิลาเนี่ย
in the farming
พี่ว่ามัน
rotation
ไม่ได้
as well.
กินกันขนาดนั้นอะ
In the EXP window, we're seeing
แต่
this
ว่า
matchup
ทีมไฟท์มัน
is
พอ
being a
กัน
lot
อะ
more even. But here we
ใคร
go,
เปิดได้สวยกว่ากันเท่านั้นเอง วี่จงได้ตรงไล่เทนิลาได้ตรงแบบว่าถ้ามันหวดอันติเข้าแล้วรู้เรื่องเลยเหมือนกัน
It's like Turtle's gonna reset. So Team SMG happy to get some of these ultimates
คือถ้ามันหวดอันติสวยๆทีเดียวนี่แทบจะยกวงอะ
Okay, let's go right in as they contest that purple buff.
Oh, and with that, the fracture is going to be gone as well.
ยังไงครับตรงนี้ครับออโรราครับ
They're probably going to give up the turtle. Miko caught behind the lines here. Should be a kill for them, but he's going to make some fancy footwork and get out fine.
ชิวๆเลยครับตรงนี้ครับ SMG ครับ
They need lockdown. Now that there's not a lot of utility coming from the mid lane technically, without
การเงิน
exposing
ขึ้นนำ500ครับ SMG
they need ways to lock someone down. Seeing the Cho pick so early on in the drafting phase, they don't really have any tools to really lock him down there to ensure that he can't be that pesky nuisance on their sides.
Well, that's only for the time being, right? Eventually, once they get their ultimates, now they have like an almost reliable way, but it's really the onus of Miko. Can he dodge it at the right moment? Now, cutting back over to that awards, the EXP side, Swo's doing a pretty good job here having that level lead, but notice down on bot side, a lot of importance. The roamers, the junglers are hovering around this gold lane.
For now, no real movements towards each other's junglers. I think for Team SMG, they're happy to just go for this more calm playstyle. It's their
ริว
identity
กันนี่
anyways.
เล่น
And
มา
against
ทิศ
the
เป็น
Netherrealm,
หลัก
there's
เลย
always the chance that something can go wrong. So if they want to scale up to the late game, they have a Bruno, they have a Valentina. These are very strong heroes with a lot of damage in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, they're going to be able to work on it. They're trying to get Stormy here. They get the Nether Realm down. Still going to be going for Aurora. Can't catch up to him. Heavy spin going to be utilized to push him out of there.
ปั่นมาสวยครับตรงนี้ครับอาใครครับเป็นทางโดนแลนล่วงไปก่อนครับ โอ้ SMG เล่นอะไรก็ดีครับวันนี้ครับกองเชียร์แน่นด้วยแหละ พี่ว่ามีผลมากเลยนะกับเรื่องกองเชียร์ครับกองเชียร์โคตรแน่นเลย
Aurora is the one working against the clock here. He wants to abuse the assassin early game power spike. The longer the game goes, the more utility has a bit more value. That is what Saksa brings to the table.
โอ้แต่ว่าสตอมบี้เล่นวาเลนน่ารำคาญจริง
I mean, it's important that this Nolan does get this purple buff, but at the end of the day, I was hoping to see that
สตอมบี้นี่เป็นผู้เล่นวาเลนที่น่ารำคาญสุดๆเลยครับบูโน่ครับมิโกะครับ
like simply like how they dealt with Aurora in game number 1.
Again, they just want to like put him in a situation where they want him to come and fight them, right? They want to whittle him down a little bit. But yeah, if they can put some pressure there on the purple buff, I'm sure they'll do that. But so far, things have just been falling into place for Team SMG. Even right now, this looks like another turtle going to
ลืมเยอะเลยนะวันนี้ตื่นขึ้นมาแล้วสมองไม่โล่ง
He took the orange, dude.
ยังไงครับบูโน่ครับมิโกะครับ
Happy about it. There's the drag back, but Miko's just fine.
ตามหลักอะครับมันต้องตื่นมาสักชั่วโมงถึง2 ชั่วโมงถึงจะใช้เสียงประมาณชั่วโมงนึงแล้วนี่ตื่นมาใช้เสียงเลยเสียงมันเลยยิ่งแบบมันเลยยิ่งคืนช้าครับตอนแรกนี่คิดว่าวันนี้มันแข่งบ่าย3ไงคิดว่ามันแข่งบ่าย3
Because they have the mobility advantage right here, right?
With
the Joe and the Valentina just being everywhere so much faster than Fashion on the Paramis. It's almost like the Paramis pick is kind of giving Valentina just a better ult to have more presence in these big fights. And look at this. Every single time they're trying to set up for something,
คิดว่ามันแข่งบ่าย3ครับคิดว่า
again,
มันแข่ง
it
บ่าย
becomes a huge problem. And if they commit to it, they're going to waste a lot
อันนี้
of
จัก
time
ใจเลย
there
คิดว่าไม่
once
แข่ง
again.
บ่าย3ตอนแรก
I feel like they're just kind of scrambling around right now, and that's what Team SMG is doing so well against Imperio. So Imperio, they have to be able to find something. Get on the board here. Miko going to use
ไหลๆเข้ามาตรงนี้ครับเป็นหน้าของชูครับโยเข้ามาครับมีท่านอาใครครับฟารามิดนี่ก็ไม่กล้ารับเลนเหมือนกันครับบูโน่ฟรีเลยครับซาซ่า
But all of this for that turret, they're happy.
ขู่เพื่อเอาป้อมฮะ
Okay, really good gatekeeping.
ไม่ได้กะตีอะไรใดๆทั้งสิ้นครับ
Has the rest of the team, he'll be just fine.
Dang, so many deterrents just walking up like, oh, you want my boy? You got to
ขู่
get
เอา
through
ป้อม
all
เฉยๆเลยนะเมื่อกี้เนี่ย
Exactly, that's what a Teresa that's on curve can do. That is not what we saw in
เออ
game
ขู่
number
เอา
one.
ป้อมเฉยๆ
SMG
เนี่ย
playing a whole different game. See, Miko just zoning, going behind, threatening an engage, and if Imperial doesn't respect it, then there could be a big fight. And slowly but surely, when they are too preoccupied, Sasa just takes down the turrets bit by
สวัส
bit.
ดีครับวันนี้ทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
They gotta whittle them down somehow.
เข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามนะครับ
Opportunity, and now, honestly, the kill count in this game is much lower. You know, only first blood achieved by the side of Team SMG. 7 minutes into the game, we haven't seen nothing too crazy just yet. But in terms of
เสร็จกันมาตรงนี้ครับสกอร์ยัง 1-0 อยู่แล้วจ่ายเข้ามาตรงนี้ชูล่วงเลยครับเทลิลาหวนมาสวยแต่เพื่อนก็มาเติมไม่ทันครับบูโดสไลด์เข้ามาฟารามิดเปิดผีรับครับหนีออกไปได้ครับโอ้แต่มีคนกำลังจะตายครับหนียาวออกไปได้อยู่ด้านหลังครับเข้ามาไล่ครับโอ้แล้วอาใครเข้ามาปั่นวี่จงกับบูโดเตะฟรีครับคินเข้ามาจ่ายดาเมจติดอาใครครับ
Only Marquinhos down the trade.
Holy, what a fight!
What a sequence, it's back and forth, but that's Imperio equalizing. But look at the goal difference, it's still up there because of the farming difference. Miko now picking a play.
Oh, the bola comes through, keeps Miko in his tracks.
Woo, that reaction time! Now, while that entire fight was happening, the backline
Aurora
of
ครับ
Imperial Esports was kiting away, and Smooth actually flickered forward to try to take on a 2v1 while he
เกือบ
was
แตก
low,
แล้ว
and he
ทำไป
was
เล่นใบยืนแบบ
close at completing it.
That's one of the rare moments in this game so far where Team SMG
สวัสดีทุกคนด้วยนะครับเข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามนะครับไหลเข้ามาตรงนี้เข้าไปเยอะจัดครับคูฟ้าครับยังหนีออกมาได้ครับอาคายพยายามจะปั่นทางด้านของคลินครับแล้วโดนจ่ายทุกสกิลฟารามิดเปิดผีรับสวยอยู่ครับหนึ่งกลับมาเป็นชูครับแล้วไม่ได้คิวครับแล้วหลอดตัวแรกครับเปิดแน่นอนครับ SMG อาศัยความได้เปรียบครับ
Four from both of these sides. Nobody wants to give their opponent an inch, and if they find a kill, they're looking for a trade. And I'm expecting that Imperial Esports this time, they want to trade, but unfortunately, not until Stefe is back.
They lost multiple ultimates in that fight as well. Team SMB used a bit, but they still had 3 while they were going for that Lord. Stormy now also getting the Lightning Truncheon. That means that for Imperio, now it's not just physical damage they have to worry about. They gotta be worried of, out of nowhere, having a surge of burst damage coming in from Stormy on the mid lane.
I am a little curious about the items, though. I would like to have a look at it just to kind of see the pacing of where Aurora is, but wait, hold on.
They might try to find something again. Sox are going to heavy spin, find Steppe for the lockdown, waiting for the rest of the team to make their way. Smooth also joining the fight from the backside, looking for his own entrance. They're going to find Steppe, he's caught out. Way of the Dragon comes through.
เรียบร้อยเลยครับเสียทางด้านของคูฟ้าครับแล้วไหลเข้ามาทันทีครับเป็นจีฟารามิดครับน่าจะเอาให้ได้ด้วยครับสตอมมี่นี่เป็นคนเล่นวาเลนน่ารำคาญจัดๆเลยครับตัวแล้วรอดออกมาด้วยครับดูดิ
Team SMG. Meanwhile, the top side, gets taken out by Sasa. And Team SMG.
โคตรน่ารำคาญเลยครับสตอมมี่นี่เป็นคนเล่นวาเลนได้น่ารำคาญจัดๆเลยครับ
That just can't be real right now. It feels like Team SMG.
แล้วได้เข้ามาด้านบนครับเงินขึ้นนำ 4,000 5,000 ครับจบไวแน่นอนนะ
See if they can keep it together once again. Marquino takes a couple.
ไหลมาแบบนี้ครับแล้วปั่นเข้ามาครับดูฮะออโรแตกเลยครับทั้งออโรราทั้งยูครับเสียตัวดาเมจด้านหน้าไปแล้วครับโดนแลนด์ครับจ่ายดาเมจเข้ามาแบบนี้ครับแล้วจ่ายเข้ามาครับโอ้ดูครับยูครับพยายามจะกันครับ2-0น่ะชิวจัดเลยอ่ะ
Dang! What a game! It was
เอ็นจีโคตรชิวเลยวันเนี้ย
seesaw, kids at a seesaw, and then as
ขอบ
they
คุณ
grow
กัน
older,
100 ดาวด้วย
they're
นะครับ
realizing,
ขอคนละ1 กดไลค์นะครับ
the
1
weight
แชร์ได้ไหมครับ
distribution is just too big. We can't balance this out. Team SMG, so much riding on them.
That's crazy,
แต่นักพากย์กากจัดเลยวันเนี้ย
them being so tentative, so careful. In the end, it's a slugfest. Woo! No quarter given, man. They just kept
โคตรอ่อนแอเลยวันนี้โคตรอ่อนแอเลยรู้ตัวเลยนะแบบวันนี้โคตรอ่อนแอเลย
It's like, hey guys, we need a breather. You can't punch
เมื่อวานไม่น่าแหกปากเยอะไปหน่อย
In these cases, don't worry, no marshals were hurt in this broadcast, but man, what a game that we have before us. I mean, it's not like Team SMG is
พวกคุณไม่ห้ามผมเลยอะเมื่อวานนะ
outplaying certain situations. I would say that even Imperial themselves are making them fight for every single one of these inches, but once we started to get into that later stages of the game, man, the decision making, one important really bad decision coming in from Imperial made them lose an inhibitor turret. And unfortunately, all points across the map, I thought for sure maybe Bruno was going to die in these spots, but no. Bot side wins, top side wins, inhibitor towers fall at the same time.
I think that the gum and the riding on the hand is paying dividends right now, especially for Miko, because the way that he found some of those Way of the Dragons in the midst of everything was just on point, the right target every single time, and that is something difficult to do because, again, this game, you have the same pick for Steppe, but he was not really able to find any setups this time for the team, anything to help turn the tide of the momentum building there
พว
for
กคุณ
Team
ไม่ห้าม
SMG.
ผมเลยอะเมื่อวานนะ
Maybe Miko has a curse technique. A writing curse technique. And on his hand, whatever he writes, the different words give him power. I bet it says dare to be great.
It's just there to be great.
ซีวิกส้ม
That might just be it, man. But right now, let's take a look at the MVP brought to you by the Republic of Gamers.
There he is. Oh!
Discipline!
It says discipline.
Love it. Saksa coming up big time for the team. You have to love this, man. He's coming in 3-0-3 with a 60% kill participation. But boy, was this a slugfest.
เขาเรียกว่าทัมมิ่งเป๊ะครับที่แบบเนี้ยโคตรน่ากลัวเลยครับทัมมิ่งทีมไฟเป๊ะชิบ
That's
หายเลยครับ
why it was so difficult for Imperial to find those pickoffs, man. These beefy members in the front, Terizla and Cho. On top of that,
Timing team fight โคตรเป๊ะเลยครับ
and Akai, and on top of that, the team behind them as well. There's just so many problems for them to really try and figure out. And while that's happening, there's a ton of damage coming out from the backline too.
Yeah, I feel like Sasa was having the time of his life. Half the time, we cut on over to him from the observers. He's just standing still. He's just kicking balls. He's just like, yep, I'm having the time of my life. I don't have to kite. I don't have to do much. The rest of my team is doing that for me.
I have a phrase for this in MPL Philippines. I call it the gold lane experience.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you can just have that kind of gameplay where, hey, you don't have to worry about too much, man. You can just farm up in your lane, get to where you need to be, rely on the rest of the team to do everything, and then you pop off later on. That's the gold lane experience, and I feel like that's, again, what they had here.
Yep, in the highlights brought to you by Grab Unlimited, we saw a lot of these moments, right? I think Imperial had some really good ideas, but unfortunately, just the way that Team SMG likes to go for these disengages, there's so many tools to do so.
And you have to remember that this one fight, they got a pick off, but it's always on Miko, man. This man was so annoying that Imperial used multiple ultimates to catch him off, and as a result, they get punished after. And that seems like the beginning of the end, because that's where the laning phase officially ended. And from there, with that winning fight, SMG just went wild. And even here, that play, oh, he survived that, by the way, with a Netherrealm.
Yep, he does. Just everything that could have gone wrong for Imperial, especially here at that 9th minute, went wrong. And it's really unfortunate to see how things started to snowball out of control. I don't know how much of the crowd had to play a part of this, but considering how loud they are, it's already affecting us here on the desk. The support is incredible.
The arena right now is absolutely crazy, man. We can barely hear ourselves in the middle of the game, dude. Y'all need to chill out.
They can't.
ทำมิ่งวิ่งมากเลยครับ SMG
Home turf.
Look, I mean, this is match point.
ไม่แข่งเร็วไม่แข่งตามเวลาเหมือนเดิมมึงเชื่อพี่ดิ
Pocket strats to pull out. If Imperial needs to crack the code, it is
ทัวร์
right
พวก
now.
นี้
It's
แม่
a
งแข่ง
2 to
ตามเวลา
10
เหมือนเดิม
scoreline, and one of the faster games coming up for
ไม่
Team
ไหวหรอก
SMG. 10 minutes. I haven't seen this.
คิด
in a
ว่า
long
ไม่ไหว
time.
นะ
For some reason, I didn't even know it was 10 minutes right there, right? I mean, it seemed like things just quickly collapsed for Imperio here. And that's what I'm saying, you know, when you draft something like this, again, this was
เพ
very
ราะว่า
similar
เขา
to
กะ
what we
เว
talked
ลา
about
ระยะ
in
ห่าง
Game
โบ
1
5
draft.
ไว้
Like, it's
ไม่ไหว
risky.
หรอกแม่ง
You
เบรก
have
เป็น
to
ชั่ว
be
โม
able
ง
to
เลย
pull
เดี๋
it
ยวมึง
off
คอยดูดิ
early on, because if you are not able to, you have this tendency to get shut out by these early skirmishes, these early
เบรก
sets,
จน
these
เบื่อ
early objectives. Again, 0-0, and specifically the turtles. Like if we could just start there for Imperial, right?
Yeah.
Get that point where you can contest the first turtle even. If you, whatever that has to be for them for game number 3, they're facing match point here against Team SMG. They need to be able to fix that alone and then approach, hopefully get to that point where then you can allow Ur to get where he needs to be. This is the second time we've seen the Clint. It's not doing too hot in terms of statistically.
And you're on the Clint. He was running the weapon mastery as well, but 10 minutes, bro. It's not going to really take effect right there. And that's I think the idea behind SMG. They have such good execution and such good game plan. And for the most part, Imperial has good ideas, but as a whole, they're not really sure what to do in minute 2 or minute 5, right? At this moments in the game, they seem to be quite confused and trying something, but they don't really have a long laid out roadmap on how they're supposed to achieve that victory, get to those team fights.
Actually, I disagree with that. I disagree because mainly the way that Miko was kind of revealing the plans on those rotations made it particularly difficult, right? Getting that early walk into figure out where the jungle was going to be. And then as soon as they sniffed out where Steffe was, a lot of the things started to fall in place. They figured out who was going to be the spearhead and which side of the map they were going to attack on, and they could rotate accordingly, allowing rich guy Sasa to come up with 824 gold per minute. And of course, Stormy, the forgotten one, with 6 assists, being able to support all the holes.
We think that the Faramis is going to be the more supporty type mid laner. The Valentina should be doing the damage. But if you look at the cards, man, Fashion is the carry, and the forgotten one instead is Stormy. And I do wonder if that's the main problem here.
สตอมบี้เป็นคนที่เล่นวาเลนน่ารำคาญเห็นตั้งแต่เมื่อวานแล้ว จังหวะจ่ายสกิลจังหวะรับเพื่อนโคตรดีเลย
roaming squad, right? The roamer mid lane and jungle. That's what really swings the balance in favor of the side laners.
That's again why I always point out, you know, the way that Team SMG has worked so much on every single lane, right? There's a reason why through the wildcard too, the MVPs from their winning games, winning performances has been pretty much spread across the board, right? For the most part, everybody does such a great job, and even Miko, right? The effect he has alone, just on a Cho, to be able to put pressure where he needs to, find the targets he has to, it does so well for the rest of the team, and that's why I love to see, even with a Bruno priority here for them, Sasa gets to shine so much and have, once again, that experience in the gold lane that allows him to shine later on.
So how do we get around this? How does Imperial take, again, step-by-step process, right? We don't need a massive solution, but maybe simple fixes here and there could potentially stop the bleeding early on?
Objectives.
I feel like they're trying so hard to really get an advantage in the early game. The problem is, as you said, Gideon, SMG keeps denying it, right? So I think if they
อย่าว่าอย่างนั้นอย่างนี้
try
เลย
and
ก๋วย
get
เตี๋ยว
more
ยังกินไม่หมดเลย
definite,
เนี่ย
they need stronger lockdowns. Of course, that also leads to other problems in other aspects. But at this point, I think it's quite well worth a try, right? Maybe if they can get this, more catches, then they can lead to more snowball, and then from there, maybe it goes to that 1v1.
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับสวัสดีทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
Imperial likes, and maybe then they'll have a bit of a chance.
วันที่
I don't know
2
about
ครับ
this one. I feel like number one,
สมูท
it
ก็
really
อาร์ลอด
comes down to the way that you approach that draft, and I think Coach Palmer as well as Analyst Lung have done a phenomenal job on both.
ถามว่าคิดได้ไปไหมก็อยากให้น้องได้ไปอยู่แล้วครับ
The consideration coming in from
ทีนี้อยู่ที่ความนิ่งของเขาครับ
is our star player.
เข้าใจใช่ปะ
The rest of our team needs to be able to step up, and they can't do that without the right tools. Somebody always has to sacrifice in these drafts, and I think Aurora might have to take the first one here in game number 3.
That's what we were saying even from the previous game, the way that it ended, right? This is now the time where, yeah, Aurora might have to step back here for a little bit, go for the utility if he can, and then work around that, build around that.
Yeah, considering with all the plays that have been happening here today and the past couple of series, let's have a look at the Kadia play of the day. Because when we talk about Aurora, I think about this moment in my sleep sometimes.
It's been only one day, I think. So in your sleep, that's pretty extreme. But that's how good this play was, man. He was in a bad spot, but there he just showed again the mastery of the hero, knowing how to outplay it, and he's willing to stay there on a squishy marksman hero and just trade toe-to-toe.
Out of the pan, into the fire. This time, we're going to be bringing the 2 players that have made some significant impacts for the team. Aurora, the off-meta Maestro, and Miko, the untouchable, the player with the most deathless games,
Wow.
and M5 wildcards as a roamer.
Wow, look at those. I mean, again, the Cho, the Matilda, and this is why we've been kind of pointing him out, because Miko, the capability that he has to kind of psych some of these opponents out, even without really committing to setups. A lot of the times we see roamers and just go for it half the time. Sometimes Miko, his whole job is just to fake them out, right? And then build on that. So, and again, I love non-meta hero picks. I love that, right? But this might call for a moment now that they're facing the match
พี่
point,
ไม่เอาขน
that
มมา
maybe,
โฆษณา
again,
บ้าง
you let Aurora take the back seat. Just this one.
ใช่
Let's see if they
ใช่
can get one on the board for the
Right.
series, right? To get it to a
อ
game
ยู่ที่
4
ความนิ่ง
and
นะ
let the rest of the team, because that's the thing. If you go with something risky like the Nolan or like that, the rest of the team has to pick up from there. So let's see if they can switch it around.
Yeah, if they can switch it around, it would be exciting to see them play
อะไร
what we're used to here in Southeast Asia. Maybe that could potentially do something. But with that being said, it looks like we're getting information. Something's happening. Maybe backstage, maybe on
อ๋อ
stage.
มัน
We're
ใน
gonna be
นี่
going
ไง
over
รูปไง
to
ขนม
an
วาว่าอะไรสัก
interview.
อย่างไง
Take it away.
เอ็มมันเอามาโพสต์อยู่
Thank you very much, casters. And now it's match point for Team SMG. And with me and Mara is the brother of the mage prodigy, Stormy. Harris is here. And here, we need an insight. You've been at the crowd. You've been cheering on Team SMG. Show us a little bit. How was the energy during the games?
The energy? Well, I think you guys should come to Geospace and experience it by yourself. We have been screaming out our lungs, all our voices. You guys should come here and feel the experience. Look at this, guys. It's so beautiful.
Let's get a sample. Let's get a sample. Let's get them hyped up.
Geospace, make some noise. Let's go.
So this is your brother, your little brother?
Yeah, yeah.
You're the eldest.
Yeah.
How many of you are there?
There's my sisters here.
The sister. Let's show the beautiful sister. Who else is here?
My mom.
The mom is here?
Our relatives, my cousins, my uncles, and my aunts is here.
So the entire family is here.
Yeah.
It's a very
So-
big family, by the way.
How many? How many?
Yeah, there will be like 10 to
10.
15.
15. Oh my
person in
God.
I thought I was going to say 10,000, and I would believe it.
There's
It's
a
a
whole
very
group
big
of
family.
people. So give us an insight of how the entire family is feeling, because right now your brother is one game away from making it to his very first world championship.
I think as a family member and as an SMG fan, obviously, we are confident that we are one game away to M5. So let's give all our best and support them to this very end. Let's go!
Speaking of which, as a brother, I gotta say, Stormy is one of my favorite players to watch. He's the mage prodigy. He's very aggressive. how proud are you that he's been in the Mobile Legends Professional League for quite a while, and now again, like we said, one win away from going to the World Championship. How proud are you, and how proud is the entire family?
At this moment, on this international stage, and on this proud moment at all costs, I think I'm really proud at his abilities to show all Malaysian that he's proven that he's the best mage in our country. So let's give him all the support.
You
Let's
know
give
what's really-
every players, not only him, other players as well. And obviously, homeboys are in the M5 groupings already. Yeah, let's give them support as well there. Let's go, boys. Let's go, boys. Woo!
What's amazing about you, I've noticed, since day one, you're front row and center. You haven't been absent. Now, if he goes to the M5 World Championship, which is pretty close, who are you looking forward to him going up against head-to-head? Him being the best mage, you say, in the country. So who are you looking forward to?
I think it's Haji. You know Haji?
Haji,
Yeah,
yes.
from Blacklist.
From Blacklist International.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to looking at the group and other players as well. So let's see what they got.
Tell us how he's feeling right now. You seem to know everything. Like you seem to be very, very close to him. Did he tell you if he was nervous, what he's thinking, what he's feeling?
No, not at all. He's cool, calm, and collected. Cool as a cucumber.
Cool as a cucumber.
I can already see Stormy smirking up on stage. So while they're still up here, they can still hear what you're saying. Anything that you want to say to Team SMG? And as I say that, you wear the headphones. Of course, that's a Stormy thing to do.
To Stormy and his teammates, do your best. No matter what happens, we are all proud of you. Let's go! Woo!
Before we go into the game, we need to see the level of support Malaysia has for Team SMG.
We're gonna get a little bit of help here. Come on over here. We have this entire group that's been cheering for SMG. Here we go. You're gonna lead them.
Ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole. Malaysia. Malaysia.
Malaysia.
Ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole. Malaysia. 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 Malaysia.
We're gonna get this game 3 started, so it's time to head back to our casters. We're gonna see the players become
ใช่พี่ก็
better
ชอบ
than great.
ต้องหวานมากแน่ๆพี่วาสายกินโค้ก
As we look at the rest of the players, nah. Let's have a look at the players. Enough of us. We need to get and conclude this game, Mara. This is too exciting here at the wild card stage. This could potentially be a first representative from Malaysia going over to the Philippines, or this could just flip. This could be an entire reverse sweep if Imperial have cracked this code.
It could be, right? You can't count them out yet, but I think, and probably a lot of people watching will wonder this too, based off the last 2 games, will they actually adjust in terms of the jungle pick? I feel like that's something that really has to be said here, because 2 games now in a row, 0 turtles, 0 lords, right? You have to be able to match up to that, because even if you are able to reverse sweep and you manage to book that ticket to the Philippines, you know that's going to be happening, right? Start here, start in the wild card, start for this game number 3, make that adjustment and see if you can pull it off.
I don't know, considering how Aurora is very similar and, looks up to Mobazay, and I'm expecting, Fredrin just something just pop out of nowhere here, We haven't seen
The
Fredrin.
fallback.
The fallback. Or
The
maybe
ban.
even Boxia. Something a little bit more tank utility, or at the very least something that can keep up with how fast Team SMG has been approaching these situations and punishing if Miko decides to overextend himself.
Yeah, that hybrid kind of playstyle, right? A fighter can do damage, but still is tanky. I think it's definitely going to be beneficial for Aurora. But the common factors from game 1 and 2, there's actually quite a lot of them, right? There's a Faramis, there's a Clint and Kufra. any one of these have been tried twice. So if they want to change something, right?
เกม
any
สาม
one of
ครับ
these can also work as an experimentation. So we'll have to see what exactly does Imperial want to go with right here. Because usually when the going gets tough, a lot of teams default to their comfort.
The
That's
tough gets
very,
going.
very true. Yeah, I mean, when the tough gets going, you just got to go back to comfort picks. I don't know whether Imperial is going to be in that particular situation, but
Hero นัก
I
ยิง
think for
ทำไม
Team
เขาเล่น
SMG,
แคบ
there's
จั
a
งวะ
lot less stress on them in comparison to their counterparts. I'm seeing the
ยิง
Yishin
เขาเล่น
Shin
อยู่
once
แค่
again getting
4
banned
ตัว
out. Angela, Team
ไม่ถึ
SMG
งคอร์
on
สด้
blue
วย
side and Imperial on the red side. I'm noticing similar
ยิงเขาเล่น
bans
อยู่
to
4
game
ตัวหวาน
number 1. I'm just going to double check this with Arashi. Is that correct?
For SMG, in game number 1, they banned the Yusunchin, Angela, and Wan. So that's actually the same. For Imperial, in game number 1, they banned the Mathilda, Nolan, and Arlet. So
They
hey,
gotta ban that out. They gotta take out the Matilda.
they
Right?
gotta.
Yeah, they
Okay,
gotta.
okay.
All right.
All right. So on the dot, things are working very similar to game number 1. SMG, is it going to be the exact same thing, or are they going to switch things up because this is potentially the final
Bruno's
game?
open.
Oh,
Might as
man.
well.
Might as well. It's going fast. This draft is quick.
I would love to see Imperio take the Cho.
Oh,
Like that, I feel like that could
Bang
set
yeah.
things up. You know, not sure how confident Sefe would be with that pick, but again, the fact that they took out the Matilda, you know, obviously towards Miko, you grab yourself to the Cho, so Miko doesn't have it. He's caused havoc so far, right? So maybe get yourself that. You can go then for those pickoffs. You can go for that early kind of centric pickoff potential, build the snowball, build the momentum early, and then also, yeah, have a fallback for the objective takes for the Lord dances as well.
You have to keep in mind that the presence of a Cho also
มา
deters
ครับมาดู
assassins.
เกมที่
So
3 ก่อน
if
เห็นปะ
Imperial
สักประมาณ
pick it up,
ชั่วโมงนึงอะ
technically they're getting a bit more
สักประมาณ
security
ชั่วโมง
for Aurora
เสียงหนึ่ง
if he wants to
เสียง
go
มัน
for
จะเริ่ม
something
มา
more
เว้ย
aggressive. However,
เสียงมันจะเริ่มแบบ
there is gonna be a problem
โอเค
because
ขึ้นใน
it
ระดับหนึ่ง
wasn't a Cho. It was a Grok that Nico used to really shut
แต่
down
ต้องรอแบบ
Imperial, but
เนี่ย
this
คือ
is
ถ้า
the
ยัง
Direwolf
พูดอยู่
man.
เดี๋ยวมันก็
A
จะกลับไป
standout
ลูปเดิม
pick technically for Marquinhos.
yeah. This is what I'm excited to
เดี๋ยวมี
see
เวลา
about.
ได้พัก
The
อยู่
last
ครับ
time
เดี๋ยว
we
มี
played
เวลาได้พักยาวๆ
it
อยู่
was
เพราะว่าถ้า
something
จ
that
บ
I was
3-0 เนี่ยได้
curious
พัก
about
แน่นอนแหละ
because it used to be like, Dyro used to be the king. It's like, you
Yeah.
want a 1v1, it's over when you pick Dyroth. And then Khalid starts coming in. And then Trizla started to get up. And Yuzong obviously is going to be there, but doesn't usually win.
แบน
in
ยี
the
ซันชินครับ
lanes
แอง
as
เจ
hard
ล่า
as it
ครับ
does
แล้ว
now.
ก็
Yeah, the
หวาน
winning
ๆ
the
ครับ
lane is definitely something that's important. right
Emporio
here.
ครับ
But as
แบน
you mentioned, Gideon, there's so many ways now to actually
แบนโนแลนด์ครับ
and
แบน
you
อาร์ลอ
need
ด
to
ครับ
win
แล้วก็มาชูดาครับ
If you can shut down the lane and at least come out even, that's gonna be
จับไปเป็น
technically
Dialot
shut
ครับ
down a
กับ
hero like a Direwolf,
โอ้
but we
Dialot
also
ว่ะ
like on snowballing. Unfortunately, SMG though, they pick up the joy, and we have seen it flex over to the EXP lane, by the way. So keeping it a bit more flexible,
เดี
technically.
ยร์ลอดกับฟาราบิดครับ
Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. Very similar. A bit of both of game 1 as well as game 2. Bad
Yeah.
ชู
game
กับ
1,
จอย
picks
ครับ
from game
เอาอีกแล้ว
2.
เห็นปะ
A little variation here.
Yeah,
Oh
one
yes,
something
there it
else.
is. All right. I'm already gonna say it. I'm liking it.
You're liking it?
I'm loving it.
Even if Fredrin goes into the EXP.
Whoa, what if it is a flex and Dyroth goes in the jungle?
Oh wait, you're right.
That'd
Fred
be
in
kinda
the XP.
nasty.
It'd be
It's
crazy. It'd be
possible.
wild
I
for the
think
wild card.
Very fitting.
I would think that it would be a bit too bold, especially with Team SMG having access to the Way of the Dragon, right? Like, I would much rather be on a Fredrin than I would be on a Dyroth, because
Oh,
at
yeah.
least with the Fredrin, you know you can actually take that type of damage. In comparison to Dyroth, where it's like, man, I missed the kill because Tro kicked me out of the way.
Yeah, mostly when Fredrin does pop up, he just automatically goes to the sandbag, right? Like he is the sandbag. So this, again, I'm hoping it's going in towards Aurora here, and they can build around this. I love what they're doing. Hopefully they can get even the last 2 picks that they really need.
แบนอี
especially
เชี
in
ย
the
ออก
gold lane.
นะครับ
Hopefully it's not.
ตรงนี้
I don't
เลือกแบน
I don't
ลิเลีย
have to
กับ
get
เทนิส
kids
ลานะครับ
right? But hopefully we see some variation there as well.
Right. I mean, that's probably why SMG is also banning away the Ixia. They might be reading something from Imperial, and the fact that they
ชนะ
banned
ได้
Guerrilla, I
3-0
think
ช
is
นะ
so
เลย
so good. Because usually, when you, especially if you're trying to contest for the neutral objectives, what's not noticed is the damage that Distilia outputs and the slow. Right. Now having a tanky jungler, having the Distilia denied away from SMG could be a great solution to that problem, and also the Nether Realm counter.
โดนแบนยีซัน
That's
ชิน
what
ทีเดียว
makes
ง่อยเลยอะ
Saksa untouchable, and that's why he's one of the untouchables, because 4 out of the 5 SMG players are in the top 5 of at least deaths per game. Miko and Stormy at 0.88, and Smooth at 1.0, Saksa at 113. Now, the one player, we're not gonna give too many hints. You've got a 50-50 chance of guessing which one it is, but let's get back into the draft. Now, It's going to be Imperial making that first pick in the second phase.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm still loving it. I'm happy.
โอ้โอ้โอ้
Shaping up a bit more.
เอาอยู่พุ่งพล่านเฉยอะไรวะเนี่ย
The least, the lowest death ratio. It also comes with a very low kill ratio, so you have to remember the context of that clip. I mean, of that fact. But for SMG now, they go for the dominant EXP laner once more, and then they have the Valentina. So it's going to be a duel of Nether Realms. But both mid laners, both side laners,
อยู่ๆขึ้นจมูกเฉยเลย
a
อ่ะ
healthy
บ้า
amount
บอ
of
กว่าแต่
damage to really dish out and take away the HP of that Nether Realm.
Okay. That's a good amount of AoE overall. They've got some decent pickup. I feel like at least for the side of Team SMG, their battle lines aren't as clear cut as it was in game number 1 and as well as game number 2. It looks like they might even be playing like 3-2. Oh, Guinevere, we completely forgot about that.
Wow.
We certainly did.
บอดี้กวินเวียครับวาเลนมาอีกแล้วครับแล้วคือเขาปล่อยวาเลนให้เขาเล่นทุกรอบเลยนะ
Who has had kind of a I feel like
ปล่อยวาเลนให้เขาเล่นทุกรอบเหมือนกันนะ
We'll see if it works here.
I mean, you have to shout out Yasu right here because he said we're not going to see any Guineveres in wildcard for the most part, and he would hate to see Fredrin, and it's both happening right now. So shout out Yasu in the backstage. We love you, man.
I mean, who could have seen this coming, right? Who can see this coming? I think with the
Yasu
meta,
can.
I mean, Yasu can apparently, but I think that overall the meta as we know it has a lot of different variations in terms of style that kind of counter each other in very small, significant ways. And then
วันนี้ครับ
once
วัน
you
นี้
start
ครับ
getting
วันนี้
to
คน
the
ด้วย
higher
นะครับ
tiers, the higher tier level of competition, M5 in particular, that's where it gets exciting. As we get into it, the wild card stage, we might find our first representative heading over to the Philippines, or is this the beginning of the end? It's going to be Team SMG versus Imperial Esports.
Now you have to really wonder what can Aurora do on this Fredrin. It has healthy clear, and it's a fighter up against an assassin. It does seem like he's kind of slow on the clear though. Saksa actually getting it done before him. Is it going to lead to more aggressive moves into the jungle of Imperial Esports?
Oh, this is already the attention that needs to happen here for Imperial.
มาครับมาดูการเดินเกมเดินเลนกันดีกว่าครับด้านบนครับเป็น
to have a
บูโน่ครับ
for himself because he struggled
เลนกลางเป็นชูกับวาเลนครับด้านล่างเนี่ยเป็น Xbox ครับ ส่วนนะครับจังเกิลเป็นจอยครับเนี่ยตัดคีปครับโคตรสวยเลยครับ
In theory should work out really well just like this. Stormy gonna be just fine. Drag back though. Still gonna be working for it. Not gonna be able to get it.
โอ้จะเอาด้วยครับชู
Will survive. And Miko with some finesse.
Dude, Miko was like,
นิดเดียวเองเกือบแตกอ่ะ
I can kill, but I'm not. Just know.
เฟนลินครับเลเวล3ครับ
Yeah, just know that it's possible. It's my choice. But man, we can see the difference in attention though from the roamers. Earlier, Miko was all up in the gold lane trying to swing the balance there. But for Imperial, they're really wanting to really make this EXP lane work. If Marquinhos
เฟนลินเพิ่งจะเลเวล4ครับ
good for
จอยนี่ไปเยอะกว่าแล้วครับ
but it's also gonna shut down smooth.
In the meantime, we're seeing a lot of motions across the map here. And so, I mean, considering that Steffe has been
จอยเกือบ5แล้วครับตัดได้เยอะกว่าครับทางด้านของจอยทำมิ่งบล็อกสวยมากครับตรงนี้โซนได้ก่อนก็ไม่ได้หมายความว่าจะได้เล่นก่อนนะ
The map is just split. The entire river is being controlled by Imperial.
That's usually a very good play, but for Miko now, he is just so annoying, man. He can get away from so many different situations.
เลือกไม่เล่นเลยครับทางด้านของ NMG ครับเลือกที่จะไปตัดบัฟแทนนะครับเพราะว่าจังเกิลจอยมันสู้ไม่ได้นะครับเห็นป่ะจอยเลือกตัดบัฟบูโน่เลือกตัดเขียวนะครับทำมิ่งดีมากครับทำมิ่งดีมากเฟรนรีบมาแล้วครับเพราะรู้ว่าจอยอยู่ในนี้ครับ
That's his goal. He doesn't want a team fight just yet. He knows that his team needs just a wee bit of time, so he's going to play towards that gold side as much as he can.
แล้วเทลิลาจะเข้ามาตัดแดงครับโดนเปิดเลยครับ จอยเข้ามาไล่ด้านหลังครับเปิดผีรับจากฟารามิดครับเข้ามาลึกเกินไปแล้วครับตรงนี้
An absolute slugfest and no one
แต่ยังมาเอาบัฟแดงคืนไปได้นะครับ
Aurora taking away the orange buff that he exchanged with Saksa. And you're seeing now that this tankiness is really allowing them to really contest ground against Team SMG.
ถ้า
So it's
คู่เย็น
becoming a
อา
more
การยังไม่
even
ดีขึ้นนี่
brawl
เซ็งเลยนะ
technically. And even in the laning phase, right? The fact that they have a Brody and a Dairoth, they're really going all in to fix all the problems they had in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I think they might have a really good recipe here, and this could be an interesting lane gang situation on that top side. I'm noticing that Stefe is walking up in that brush, making sure that it's going to be difficult. And even for Yor, he's not revealing just yet. He's positioning in an interesting manner. Miko going to show up now.
Usually we also see that Stefe kind of goes over aggressive and gets punished, but on this Guinevere pick, your engage is a built-in escape into it as well. So this is a really great pick that allows him to be a bit more risky and open up more space and possibilities for his entire team.
For the time being, no first blood. Despite how much this has been a slugfest in the early days of this game, and especially when it comes down to invading jungles, I'm surprised nobody's died just yet.
I think this is good for Imperio though, right? Get on the board objectively, try to control some of these, your side of the jungle and everything else, allow your side lanes to farm up, and that's where you want to be. Now, they found themselves in a good situation to contest the second turtle. Going to be forcing out Stormy here. What's he gonna do? He uses the Nether Realm himself, and now
ใส่กันนัวเลยครับตรงนี้ครับมีหน้าของ Xbox ครับเผาอยู่ด้านหน้าครับจอยครับสไลด์ไล่เข้าไปด้านหลังครับพารามิดครับพยายามจะเข้ามาเล่นในไฟครับเปิดผีรับแล้วสวนมาจากเวนิเวียอันติจอยเหนียวมาได้ครับเล่นเต่าลำบากครับยังฝืนเข้าไปโฉบก็จะแตกเอาครับซาชาแล้วพารามิดไล่เลยครับเรียบร้อยครับ
And now Miko could be the one in trouble. Stephanie won't be able to land the spatial migration, but meanwhile on the other side.
ได้คืนมาจากทางของ Xbox ครับ 2-1 ครับตรงนี้ครับใส่เข้ามาครับเป็นทางด้านของสมูทครับจะแตกครับเรียบร้อยครับ
Oh, and Miko.
+1 even. Imperio, they did all that without Marquinhos. He's all the way to the bottom side, still pushing, man. That's an overwhelming victory on all fronts for Imperio Esports. And what a big change from the previous games. Now they can kite back, now they can sustain and actually brawl in. And even Yor has more space to maneuver right there. And the fact that he held on to the torn apart memory for so long made it baited out several spells from Team SMG that were just waiting for that ultimate to hit.
Okay, Aurora once again gonna get kicked by Miko though. He bit off too much as he falls, and now the rest of the team gonna be running smooth with the last insanity. But he has to back off. Steffi gonna be able to jump in.
แล้วเรียบร้อยครับทางด้านสมูทครับเกมนี้กลายเป็นทางด้านของเอมเปอริโอครับเล่นดีกว่าครับ
Still fighting here, but Imperio in the driver's seat.
Wow, that was actually pretty interesting because at least
เสร็จ
Profession
กันใหม่เลยครับตรงนี้ครับวันนี้ทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
time when Aurora went for the invade, but as soon as they start making their way out and going for the disengage, it comes back just in time.
เข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามนะครับ
It's just opening up so many opportunities in these quick scrambles against Team SMG.
We talk about it so much on the desk, but the spammable nature, the fact that it's on such a low cooldown but such high impact, that's a big problem for Team SMG right here. They don't know when it's going to begin, but look at Miko.
Miko on the hunt. There's the way the Dragons are going for Makino again. He's going to have to flicker out.
ไหลเข้ามาตรงนี้ครับจ่ายดาเมจเข้ามาครับเรียบร้อยเลยครับเดียร์ลอดครับโดดใส่ครับ มาคินโยเล่นเดียร์ลอดโหดว่ะ
Now 2.6k gold behind.
6-2 ครับกันเงินขึ้นนำอยู่ครับจอยมันเหนื่อยจังหวะไฟช่วงต้นอ่ะเงินมันจะห่างอ่ะไม่เดี๋ยวถ้าเกิดน้ำมูกมันขึ้นมันก็จะเป็นอีกกินยาไปแล้วล่ะโอ้แล้วเข้าสวยครับแต่ว่าฟารามิดเปิดผีรับไว้ได้ครับมาแล้วครับสตอมมี่ครับ
And now Imperio has decided, let's just get this third turtle. They clean sweep the
เต่าตัวที่3ครับเป็นของด้านเอมเปอริโอครับ มันเป็นจากกระดาษเช็ดชู่เมื่อเช้านั่นแหละเสือกไปหยิบมาแล้วแบบพลาด
His early game damage, especially against Zaza earlier, is definitely something that Team SMG need to start respecting. They can't just walk up like that.
Yeah, the Abyssum Strike, the fact that it's AoE and there's a lot of setup available to lock someone down for it is definitely dangerous, and now Smooth once again has become the main target.
Again, focusing on Smooth. This is his job as this X-Borg once again, the fight for this purple. Gonna be taken, but look at the entrance, Miko!
ใส่มาสวยอยู่ครับจ่ายดาเมจมาจากเฟรนลี่ดึงหนีออกไปได้ครับจุกออกมายังไม่มีใครตายครับแต่ว่าการเงินนี้ห่างไป 3,000 กว่าครับ
think for SMG, the play is just to wait for that late game, man. Stormy's gonna end up doing a lot more damage depending on what ultimate gets picked up. And if you look at the overall composition, the Dyrant is supposedly going to fall off unless Marquinhos builds full damage, which he usually does. But the Joy can do AoE burst damage. Technically, he can count as DPS as well due to the rhythm, the electrifying beats. And later on, the Bruno can do a lot more damage consistently compared to the Brody. So that is where I think Team SMG can get a guaranteed victory. If they want to take fights before that, though, that's their call.
Yeah, looking at the gold lead so far, 3.1k, a majority of that is actually coming from Marquinhos. He is 2.3k ahead of Smooth. Smooth was dominating in the past 2 games, and now Marquinhos is like, this is my time to shine.
In the jungle, though, you're seeing Saksa actually go a lot better than Aurora, but Miko now getting jumped on.
Miko should be fine. Torn apart memory gonna go and come through. Oh! He isn't fine as he drops in the jungle. Right now, Imperio just finding win after win.
They are starting to snowball. They're really starting to snowball. And, do they want to kind of set up an ambush on this one? No. They're just going to take the Lord, make it quick and easy. Since it's only the 9th minute, no point waiting all for so long. We can just wait to clear it out and then wait until the Luminous Lord comes up after this one.
It's such a good solution for the Cho, the Brody pick, right? You can stun him, cancel the engage, and if he is trying to be pesky, he'll escape with a sliver of HP like always, but then the torn apart memory secures that kill like we saw earlier. So now, even Miko is getting pressured, and he can't really be the same kind of nuisance that he was in the first 2 games.
See how far that is actually going to go, right? Because, again, Sasa hasn't yet to scale. And for the most part, even Smooth, pretty under-level considering that Marquinhos is 3 levels above him. Even when we come down to Stormy, a level down compared to Feshin. And then we look down towards Miko, 1 level down. And finally, Saksa, level 13, the only person who is actually ahead of the curve.
I would say, out of everything that we talked about before this game, Imperio has answered that, right? They deal with Miko. They keep things at bay. Now
หลอดตัวแรกครับเป็นของด้านเอมเปอริโอครับไหลลงมาตรงนี้ครับวาเลนติน่าครับโบดี้ครับไหลเข้ากลางมาครับเจาะป้อมอย่างเดียวแล้วครับตรงนี้ครับไหลยาวมาเลยครับด้านบนครับเอกบอกครับเปิดระเบิดเคลียร์ไปก่อนครับเคลียร์หลอดตัวนี้ได้แล้วครับไหลเข้ามาเลนกลางต่อเนื่องครับ
Given the 5K lead, they might just be happy with that and take the resources that they can for now.
Free tower there for Team SMG, and this is a big problem, right? For both these teams, they don't really have a long range. With the mid laners all the short range fighting ultimates, they have to bank on a big team fight, potentially in the base. And we all know that's the most dangerous situation right there. Especially Team SMG with a lot of crowd control and a lot of ways to really counter-engage. The only saving grace they have right here is the fact that Smooth has that second chance at getting picked off with the Firaga armor.
เข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามด้วยนะครับสวัสดีทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
And a Fredrin as well as a Guinevere, they're doing a great job just avoiding these fights because it's a lot of engage, a lot of crowd control available on such short cooldown for Imperial Esports.
Yeah, and I mean, if anything is going to change
ยังไงครับ
inside
ตรงนี้
Team
ครับ
SMG, then they're just going to have to be patient, right? They've got no outer turrets, no kind of fail safes to fall back to, especially when they have to try and contest this upcoming Empowered Lord. And for the time being, it's really, can they find that big pick with Miko? It doesn't necessarily have to be Yor, but it just needs to be an isolated target.
Miko gonna give the go signal. They get the Nether Realm to save Aurora. Can they win the fight?
แล้วใส่เข้ามาครับไล่ออกมาจากเอ็กบอกครับเปิดมาสวยครับฟารามิดหนีออกไปครับแต่ว่าเดียร์ลอดเข้ามาจ่ายบูโน่แตกเลยครับไหลเข้ามาตรงนี้ก็มาคินโยครับเดียร์ลอดที่เป็นคิวครับโคตรโหดเลยครับเดียร์ลอดแล้วโดดเข้ามาฆ่า4ครับโหดเกินครับโหดอ่ะไม่ใช่คำว่าโคตรโหดเลยครับเมื่อกี้แม่งโดดเป็นกบเลยครับ
to make this happen for a complete wipeout against Team SMG. What a finish coming in from Imperio.
จบเลยครับ
Oh, and with that, they're going to march it in. Imperio came out swinging and will extend the series as they take game
เดียร์ลอดแม่งโดดเป็นกบเลยเมื่อกี้
Man, what a show. Marquinhos. The crazy
Lord แม่งโดดเป็นกบเลย
Dyrant, man. He just finds a way to make it work. We thought it was going to fall off, but no, man. Instead, he gets a maniac out of nowhere.
Yeah, and with the help of Veshin, right? There was a moment where I thought, okay, he's got the first three, the fourth one, and the fourth and maybe fifth one might be a bit sketchy, but man, that nether realm makes the difference.
Oh, we saw him waiting for that moment. He had Sasa in his sights, and then he just ends up getting a maniac from that. Again, Dairoth, one of the picks that, you know, might work for some teams, but this time it worked perfectly for what Imperio wanted to do. And like I said, I love the fact that this time we saw the Fredrin come through, the utility option for Imperio this time. It worked wonders for them, especially again, this is the first game now where they were able to get those objectives they needed early on. The turtles secured by them, all three actually.
Well, you do wonder though, right? It's the third game, technically, right? So why didn't they try this out in game number 2? Like, there was potential right there. You have to wonder if it took that much longer for them to really process and find winning solutions. But when they did, you can't really argue with the results, man. That was a dominant showing all the way from the laning phase, in the jungle, in the neutral objective contest, and even in the teamfight execution. I think Imperial Esports in this game completely just outdone SMG at every single level.
I agree. I think, you know, everything
ถ้ามัน
that
เป็น
we
แบบ
were
นี้
talking
จอ
about
มัน
at
จะ
the
ดำ
beginning
ปะวะ
of the game, all the problems that we mentioned over the past two have been corrected for the
ไม่
most
ดำไม่
part
ดำ
of it, right? Which is great to see, but now it's time for SMG to
กล่าวว่าจะพัก
actually
เสียง
get
2-1
challenged.
ซะ
This
งั้น
time,
เอ
we're
อ
gonna go on a short break.
ไม่
We'll come back. More
ความ
MLBB
ผิดพลาด
action.
ของวันนี้นะ คือผมอะตื่นมา แล้วผมมาคิดว่ามันภาค3 โมงผมคิดว่ามันบ่าย 3วันเนี้ยตอนแรกผมคิดว่ามันบ่าย 3ผมก็ตื่นมาตอนเที่ยงครึ่งใช่ป่ะคือพอตื่นมาเนี่ยถ้าเป็นคนที่ใช้เสียงหนักๆครับตื่นมามันต้องเหมือนมันไม่ใช่เชิงการวอร์มเสียงหรอกตื่นมาแล้วห้ามใช้เสียงเลยอะครับตื่นมาแล้วห้ามใช้เสียงเลยต้องแบบอยู่นิ่งๆแล้วกินน้ำสักพักนึงอะให้กล่องเสียงมันคืนตัวเหมือนคนเพิ่งตื่นนอนใหม่อะนะเหมือนแบบ
This is why the Dairoth was respect banned eventually. So we'll see if that actually becomes a thing because you know
เหมือนให้มันรีเซ็ตก่อนอะ
one thing, others come through. So
เอ
the
อ
fact that Marquinhos
ใช่
now
ซา
has
ซ่า
flexed
อยู่
on his
โอนิก
Dairoth
ชุด
pick, this
2019 ที่
might
ตก
just
มาว่า
become
เกมมิ่งยับ
a
อะ
catalyst to really enable the rest of his team to really find more picks that can work against SMG.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because usually when you have damaged Dairoths, you get punished very, very hard. It's like, yes, you win the lane, but then how do you participate in team fights? How do you stay relevant in these moments? And I think, you know, Marquino, and especially for the rest of his team, that split-second decision of noticing that Team SMG was falling back into the funnel of their own jungle, that's when Marquino knew, I can do this. I can 100% get a lot of people in that Abysm Strike.
Love that he has the pose as well, as he got the Maniac, you know, in this game. So, again, it's just a great performance from him and the team as a whole. I said this in the game. The boxes that they needed to check to win this game number 3 and extend the series, I feel like they did all
คือ
of
มัน
it
ต้องพัก
and
สัก
then
นิด
some.
นึง
You
อะ
know,
แล้ว
that's
แบบ
one
มัน
thing.
ไม่ได้พัก
The
เลยอะ
other is still, if there's more utility up for favor, if they want to actually just lock in the Fredrin once again for Aurora, work around that, then I think that's going to be great because really there was no room for Team
นี่
SMG
นั่งทำนี่
to
อยู่นั่ง
maneuver,
ทำ
to
นี่อยู่
move around with this game.
I think it's really good that they actually balance it out, right? They went for a Fredrin as well, and then with the Dairoth. So technically, the lack of tankiness in the EXP lane gets solved out. So his role is almost like the assassin is not in the jungle, it's in the EXP lane instead. And it really works out well here because without him, right, for the most part, the team is self-sufficient. So the presence of Marquinhos becomes a bit more optional, and that's where you have no idea. Is he in the fight? Is he not? If you don't really read it up properly, he shows up right behind you, and it's just a world of trouble. And the early game diving from Imperio has always been great. They've always showcased it in the previous matches, and you're seeing it again against Team SMG.
Yeah, they've done a phenomenal job here, right? I mean, so many times that we
มาทิต
were
กวินจอย
expecting certain things from the side of Team SMG, and especially with the way that the first minute and a half actually went, we cut back to Imperial, right? Their communication is getting cleaner. Their drafts have been really, really good in this game, but then we start thinking about the adaptation because we see the problems here, right? As you mentioned before, the lack of that tanky front line, the fact that they're frontline together, the fact that their laners were actually struggling because of that pressure. Does that mean that Team SMG has to go above and beyond, or is this just a quick, simple fix if they want to deal with a composition similar to this in game number 4?
I feel like they gotta do a bit more than just, it's not just a simple fix, in my opinion, because the fact that it took so long for Imperial to find that solution, I think it's the same way. They fixed a lot of things at the same time right here. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes more than one game for SMG to adjust. But it is SMG we're talking about. They have been on point with that adjustment, with that correction. And noticing the combos as well from the side of Imperio, I think you have to also mention the fact that Euro was doing a lot better here as well, with more space to do damage, with the fact that there is a physical defense shred coming in from Marquinhos, right? The turn-apart memory does a lot of damage, and similar to the Clint, it's almost like a better Clint, right? Same kind of a mobility tool in the second skill, same kind of disable crowd control, and you can also do AoE damage in more or less the same way. So I think it's just a much better pick suited for the playstyle that Imperial are trying to play against SMG.
Okay. That's got me thinking, right? If we're looking for something similar, because I'm expecting that Team SMG are going to be like, we could just target ban some of these things to kind of push it out of the way so we don't have to think about it, or are they going to let something through? And I have a sneaking suspicion, but for the time being, let's just hope that Imperial are going to stay on this track, because so far the Aurora on this Fredrin is able to take the full brunt of it. He's getting hard targeted, and he's like, all right, I'm willing to take it. My teammates will do the rest.
That's what we said he had to do, and I feel like it worked really well here once again. Go for that utility route, secure these objectives, and then let the other lanes shine. And the fact that we have the Guinevere in play too, I'm kind of thinking maybe this is banned out the next game, because this played a integral part in their success early on, landing those spatial migrations, landing the multiple member violent requiems. Like, it works so well for them, right? And it's kind of finicky, because when you're trying to work against that and you have your own form in the Netherrealm, you're taking that from Feshin, it's too much being thrown at Team SMG to handle, and at one point, it just kind of collapses on top of them. We saw this happen vice versa on Imperio the previous game, right? So this time around, this is where you really wonder, okay, draft-wise, the targeted bans, like you mentioned, I still see the YSS being banned out. Maybe now you see them opt for the Guinevere, unless somehow Imperial paints the draft themselves to get this again, because I feel like the Dyroth as well can be shut down if they decided to go for it once again for Game 4.
With Yor being the rich guy and as well as Carry, we're seeing a big flip in how this post-game stats are going to look like. Feshin being the forgotten one this time with 5 assists, and actually Miko being the sandbag of the game. I would have expected the Fredrin to be taking a good amount because Miko was purposely targeting him prior to these upcoming Turtle and even Lord takes, but man, just brutal amounts of damage.
Then the fact that Miko is the sandbag here is very telling, because if it's an all-out brawl again and again, I fully expect Aurora to be the sandbag, but considering that there's a lack of fights here, because SMG, they weren't exactly engaged on, they're kind of pressured and zoned away of the potential of engage alone. I was about to mention the Guinevere, nice and that's a very good point. The fact that he just stands there in a bush, you have no idea when that spatial migration is going to come out, because it's not really a slow telling kind of skill. It just comes out before you know it. So Steffe just walks around in the area and even goes 1v1, right? Uses the kit to just get a bit more sustain. And with him being there, it just zones everyone away before the fight even happens. That's why Aurora is taking relatively small amounts of damage, because when the fight happens, he's just there to actually do crowd control and do damage instead of tank it.
The lockdown has been very impressive from the side of Aurora. It's not like he was like, it's not like he's just sandbagging things and not doing anything, right? He's still securing his objectives. He's still making sure that he's canceling the correct abilities. But, oh boy, this has been one sweaty game. This might actually go all 5 games if Imperial continue with this type of momentum.
I think it can, right? If they just... I'm expecting, like I said, they're going to have to make some small changes to this draft. They're not going to most likely have the same draft. But if they have the same concept, the same idea and execution here, it could be a Game 5 ahead of us, right? Now you have to wonder, all right, how does Team SMG adjust from that, right? What do they decide to do here? Because we've seen the targeted bans, the respect for them, and that's where it kind of pops into play, like what is going to slip through the draft, right? Because we have seen some iconic plays just in the wildcard alone from both these teams so far.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been great, but also don't just stop at like looking for some of the best heroes, builds, and combos. Get ahead of the competition and reach Mythic or Mythic Glory, maybe even Mythic Immortal with the Secret Lab Titan Evo gaming chair. The ones we're sitting on right now.
Right here, these gaming chairs, they are outfitted with pro-grade ergonomic materials, the best that you can have. They're also engineered for maximum performance and comfort. We can speak for that one, because sometimes we spend a lot of time in these chairs. These pillows are great, so don't forget to go ahead and check out yours for now.
Yep, these chairs are great. I've got one at home. I don't have this particular design because every single M series, there's always a new one, and it's like, man, do I have to get mine reskinned again? Again, another one. It's now a monthly subscription for me at this point.
I was gonna say I thought about yearly here.
Yearly? Oh, trust me, I cycle between them.
All right, I got it.
You can't just have one all the time.
It's like an outfit for you, like every week, just want a different chair, a different vibe.
Yeah.
But man, I really do think the next game is going to be very interesting, though, because I think for both teams, they've shown that they can do the assassin playstyle, the fighter playstyle. So I think now, with both teams trying to predict what they're going to go for, because it kind of counters each other, you're going to try and use those flex picks to really confuse you, right? Because they're really trying to read in for the next game.
Let's see whether these fake outs are actually going to happen here, right?
ใช่ครับ
I'm curious to see whether SMG
ใช่
wants
ใช่
to
ใช่
back on blue side again, or are they going to take red side? This is kind of interesting because they've won on both sides already, but the fact that we did see Imperial win on that blue side, I don't think they're going to give it again, right? It's just rule of thumb.
Yeah, and what I like too is, the fact that Bruno has been priority for, now throughout the series for quite some time, going in the hands of Sasa here. That last game, I'm wondering if he even wants to switch that up. Maybe even if the Bruno is open, go for something else, because even the gold lane matchup itself, so far we've seen a dynamic in it alone throughout the series, right? How do they want to change that? How do they want to work with that? And not only that, but once again, this could be a moment where we're talking about, hey, Aurora's probably going to go utility again. What if this is the time for Aurora, as we saw him stay cool and calm and collected here? What if he has a niche pick that we haven't seen yet, right? Is this the time to pull that out? We've already seen the YSS and the Roger. That's pretty niche so far, at least from what we're used to seeing, right?
Yep.
But what if there's more?
Thomas Jungle?
Ooh, I mean, that's the big question, right? We have a lack of intel here for them, but on the gold lane, like we were talking about, Naisu, I think going with something else compared to the Bruno could work as well, because Bruno has a lot of damage, strong laning, but with the aggressive nature of Team Imperio, it's almost like you want to get something with a bit more utility, a bit more safety for yourself, in order to actually win out in those team fights, because we saw how difficult it was for that Bruno to even do anything in that late stage team fight, especially if the Direth does fall through in the drafting phase for Team Imperio.
Well, that begs the question, right? If we're talking about this Direct, we also have to talk about the EXP as a whole. X-Borg was a good way to actually
สวยแล้ว
Drizzler, you would say it
ไอ้
was
ที่
one
นั่ง
of
ทำเมื่อ
so
กี้
on,
อยู่
so
ๆแม่ง
forth.
เด้ง
I
หายไป
feel, personally for me,
เชี่ยแล้ว
Stormy
สาด
play Angela. You're taking away a lot of the mechanical
เชี่ย
elements
แล้ว
of that game, the outplay ability that
โอ้ย
you actually do, and
กู
you're
นั่
kind
ง
of
ไล่อยู่เมื่อกี้
just
แม่ง
sitting
เด้ง
around
หาย
being
ไป
as annoying as possible. I would like to see Smooth go on something like a Benedetta if this Direct gets picked again, and that's a very fun matchup to watch.
The Benedetta. I would love to see, what
เรื่อง
kind of
จริงเนี่ย
variety
อยู่
we
ๆโปรแกร
see,
ม
but
แม่ง
we're
ปิ
going
ด
to be
อ่ะ
jumping into the draft here for this game.
เออ
Again, a
โปร
lot
แกรมแม่งปิดไป
on
เฉ
the
ยๆ
line,
เลย
of course, for this.
เชี่ยแล้ว
So far, Imperial has been able to garner themselves another game when they were facing match point, and we'll see. There's the Arlot ban. It is going to be Imperial on the blue, SMG on the red. Angela comes out as well. And I was wondering about that
เกมที่
Arlot,
4 ครับ
actually. You know,
แต่
when we
พี่
were
เห็น
building
จุ
that
ด
up,
อ่อน
like,
ของพี่เห็น
all right,
จุดอ่อน
now
ข
that
องนิว
Smooth
กันแล้ว
has
นะ
had that first, I think that's his first loss on the X-Borg that he's played so far. I was wondering, maybe he goes the Arlot, but
ได้ครับได้ครับ
Yeah, I mean, I don't
สวัสดี
think
ครับ
any
สวัส
one
ดี
of
ทุกคน
these
ด้วย
teams
นะครับ
want to let Arla through, considering how aggressively people have been playing it here at the wildcards. Nolan gets banned out, and this is Yishin Shin. Once again, Team SMG are not letting that through.
And still the Angela as well. If they go with the same pattern, it's going to be the 1-1. Because it really seems like they're trying to limit the outplay potential, right? The crossbow of Tang can definitely be annoying. What's up, Gideon? Why are you laughing?
Can you translate?
I translate. We're just, Santai is relax, Relax, Team SMG. We'll support you till we're deaf.
ชิบหาย
Till we're deaf.
Deaf. That's so accurate, though.
It is accurate. They are loud in this hall at Geospace. So come on over, because it's free seating. I would highly suggest you take it a grab to come on over here, because parking is going to be a bit of a trouble with so many people wanting to see these members fight it out.
Well, now for Imperio, they ban out the Faramis, but SMG, they usually ban out the 1-1, but if they do, now they're letting go of a Mathilda. I think Imperial has caught them in a bit of a
สวัสดี
sticky
ครับสวัสดีทุกคน
situation
ด้วย
right
นะครับ
here. 1-1 will be banned away, but will the Mathilda come through for Imperial, or do they have something else in mind?
Another draw.
ทำไมแบรนด์ยีซันชินจัง
he
นะครับ
wants it.
ก็
He wants it.
เป็นฮีโร่ซิกเนเจอร์ของ ทีม
you
เอ็มเปอริโอ
know,
ครับ
It's all right.
โหดชิบหายเลยครับยีซันชินอ่ะ
It's it's still about okay, you know, not the greatest, but still,
Hey,
at least
he's
he's
happy
getting
about it.
something.
Like a 10 roll.
It's a 10 roll, man. At least he's getting some cutscenes.
คือเป็น
It's
ฮี
the
โร่
worst
ที่
where
เขา
you just
เล่น
see a
แล้ว
bunch
โห
of
ด
nothing,
ชิบ
you're
หาย
like,
อ่ะ
oh, well,
Yeah.
That's sad.
disappointment.
That's true.
That's painful.
Or that means that you already have a ton of skins.
Very, well.
Maybe he's a Chad.
พี่
right?
ยังว่า
He has
แม่งเล่นโคตร
all
โหดเลย
skins already.
That's true.
นั่นแหละ
He's been
เขาเลย
rolling
แบนครับ
since a long
เป็น
time
ซิก
ago. But
signature
what will
hero
SMG
ของ
roll
ทีม
in
เขาครับ
Matilda, man.
I don't know. Probably there is a consideration for Phoveus every single time we do see that Matilda. A lot of times it's like, oh yeah, you get basically guiding wing. Oh, that's 2 free dashes almost instantaneously, and then you can start going for those big hitters. Now we do see that Team SMG is starting with the same opener this time, the Bruno as well as the Turizla. They're not changing it up too much here, and the real question is that even if they do decide to go for those like
แบนอาร์ลอดครับแบนโนแลนครับแบนฟารามิดครับ
Now I'm wondering if the Terizla, we're just talking about the Dyeworth, hyping it up.
NMG
But now
ครับ
they're
แบน
showing the
ไอเจล่า
Terizla
แบน
in
ตัว
other
อย่าง
positions. We've seen it flexed away into maybe like a
นะครับ
mid-lane position.
ยีซันชินครับ
Considering,
แล้วก็
we
ห
don't
วานๆครับ
know. I mean, we'll have to see, man. Like
จะมาเป็นมาทิวดาครับเฟสลินครับ
kind of impact for Imperial though.
แล้วก็ Dialog ครับ
We're talking about
NMG ครับเลือกจับตัวอย่างเทลิลาครับลิเลียครับบูโน่ครับ
Really interesting matchups all across the board. I mean, Daira definitely has just a slight advantage against the Turizla, but this is highly dependent on whether or not one kill gets to go over, or more importantly, the way that they trade at specifically level 1. Because almost immediately after that, it becomes a uphill battle for the Turizla if that level 1 trade does not go through. Now, real question, boys. Matilda nerfs, no problem.
Yeah, even with the Flask of Oasis, right? She still remains 100% contested at the M5 wild card. Again, I think it's just the amount of mobility and utility that this hero brings. It's kind of hard to dethrone that, you know? I mean, even with some of the changes and whatnot, we've seen some of those KDAs that some of these roamers have. And, you know, even Miko alone. And I feel like that's great that Imperial took that from him. You know, they took that from him. They still get the Dyeroth. They have the Fredrin. I said this earlier. I love what they have. I'm loving it.
It's really impressive. Considering the fact
ลิ
that
เลีย
like,
ครับ
all
บู
our
โน่
heroes
ครับเทลิลา
are
ครับ
usable. They really work so much better with the
มาทิว
Matilda
ดา
as
ครับ
well.
แล้ว
That's
ก็
why I think
เดียร์ลอด
it's
ครับ
contested.
แล้วก็เฟสลิน
The
ครับ
presence of a Matilda will immediately bring upon
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีทุกคนด้วยนะครับ เข้ามาดูพี่ว่าผ่านนิโมทีวีได้นะครับสวัสดีทุกคนด้วยนะครับ
is available, right? I was seeing it earlier. The fact that they know that their second pick means that their first pick in the second phase, and they have left the Guinevere open.
ใช่ครับเป็นภูมิแพ้ครับ
Too bad for the side of Team SMG, right? It's going to force Imperial to actually take Purifies, and I think, hiding it first also is pretty decent because the Akai is a great way of actually dealing with this. I don't expect Saksa to be like, you know what, direct counter, I'm immediately going to go back onto that droid, or I'm immediately going to go back onto something like Hellcrit and turn off the lights.
Well,
It's funny
Akai
though,
ครับ
because the class, I feel like what's the classic matchup for you guys with the Fredrin? Is it the Martis?
Usually it's the Martis.
Yeah.
We're a little bit behind, but we're hyper aggressive. We like the early game a lot. That's why
Right.
they lean in more to
I
the
was gonna say,
Martis.
it's either the Martis or the Akai, so.
Well, Martis, Akai, and the Fredrin, that's the kind of matchup. But I think with SMG's playstyle, with how more calculative they are, instead of just going full-on aggression, I think we'll prefer the Akai over the Martis.
โนวันเลียครับ
Imperio though, that's the Novaria that's been very uniquely used, right, for utility as well as burst damage, and it's going to be the Brody. So final card right here.
Brody ครับ
Can they really surprise Imperio with something?
Well, it looks like Aurora, more information on him, that ranked as the first among junglers in average damage dealt and DPM with 47,944 and also at 3,040 when it comes down to
ลาฟาเอลครับกับลิเลียครับ
This is not okay.
Yeah.
This really is not okay.
Hey,
That's crazy.
it's okay for them, right? And that's what I'm saying. I love that he's adapted now, picking up the Fredrin here. And you saw that Rafaela picked last pick for Team SMG, a debut pick here for the wild card. We'll see if that's going to help them out with what's going to be thrown at them, because I was saying, you know, I was expecting Imperial to have not a complete same draft, which they don't, but they still have a lot of great picks that they had from the previous game, and then they sprinkle in a little new ones.
Rafaela debut here the combo with the Bruno is definitely the
ใช่ครับ
main
ชนะเข้า
selling
M5
point.
เลยครับ
But even now, against this composition, there's a lot of slows available in the hands of Imperio. The fact that they have a Rafaela that now removes that slow effect for a certain duration means that the Varia loses value, means the Diver to a degree loses some value as well. This could be what they need to really kite back in and out like they did in game number 1.
Potentially, all eyes are in this game to make it to that break point. Will our representatives all the way from halfway across the world be able to start a reverse sweep against the hometown favorites? It's going to be Imperio on the blue side versus SMG.
Now it's a jungle fighter matchup, fighter duel in the jungle between Saxar and Aurora. We'll have to see if the ganks do come through, or is it going to be a passive early game until
ด้านบนครับ
the
บู
turtle
โน่
shows
ครับ
up, because I think that favors Saxar.
เลนกลางครับเป็นลิเลียลาฟาครับด้านล่างครับเป็นเทนิสลาครับ
What we saw from
ส่วนด้าน
Stormy
จังเกิลเป็น
before,
อาคายครับ
Steffi gets a a little bit of damage here, but Stormy has to just be a little more careful than what we saw from the previous
ฝั่งนี้ครับ
performance that he
Emporio
had
ครับ
earlier
โบ
in the
ดี้
series,
ครับ
not to get just bursted down, right? And
เลนกลาง
feel
เป็น
like
โนวาเลียครับ
Nico is kind of is
เฟ
gonna
ส
be
ลิ
a
น
big
ครับ
part
แล้ว
of
ก็
that.
มา
Let's
ทิว
see if
ดา
he can take care of Stormy a little
ด้าน
bit.
ล่าง
Of
เป็น
course,
เดียร์ลอด
the
ครับ
flashes
จับ
are
เดียร์ลอ
down.
ดมาอีกรอบนึงครับ
It
เอ
gets
มโปริโอ
even
ครับ
more vulnerable. So
เมื่อกี้เดียร์ลอด
we'll
มี
see how
ส
that
ยอง
resolves
ขวัญเลยครับ
throughout the course of the game.
I'm looking at the battle, at the emblems right now. Steffe has the focusing mark on the Mathilda. This is an aggressive choice. Usually Mathildas go with the quantum charge
Second
to help
by
with
ครับ
the ability, try and help with the regeneration as well. But no, he wants to go for pickoffs against a team with a healer as well. I feel like it's a bold move for sure, but looking at the rest of the emblems right here, weapon mastery for Ur. He wants to bank on that late game still. And for Sasa, he's going for a bit more tankiness, knowing that he'll be targeted
ด้าน
by
บน
a
ครับ
lot
โบ
of
ดี้
guys.
ครับ
But then he'll still be trying to just duke it out.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the differences here, right? Common emblem coming in from Miko compared to support emblems. Oh, support emblems coming in from the side of Steffe. This
เฟสลินครับเข้ามาไล่ตรงนี้ครับออโรรา
They still want to actually find it
ดึง
out.
กลับมาครับ
Marquinhos doesn't have the Abysm Strike yet, so even though they were there on time, where they need to be, they're just going to do this all before the first turtle for taking.
Oh, this is where it gets
Lilia ครับ
complicated right here. Miko with the healing, with the slows. Stormy with more slows as well.
Ma
If the
Tilda
Miko dance
Fetlin ครับ
around, it's a guarantee that Imperio will be taking a lot more damage. Now they're trying to go
ไล่
in
มาตรงนี้
potentially.
ครับ
Team SMG still going to be fighting it out, and for this fight, Marquinhos
ไล่
now
เปิด
level
มาด้านหน้า
4,
ครับ
but
ลิเลีย
still might just call it off. Right now, Team SMG should be able to secure themselves this first turtle as they
Whoa.
do. Whoa, Steffe,
ไหลมาตรงนี้
interestingly
ครับ
enough,
มาทิวดาครับ
walking into multiple members will flicker out.
Man, no circling eagle. It just walks up right there. Yes, going to be able to get out with the flicker, but that was quite the odd play considering how how the turtle was basically done at that point.
Yeah, he might have accidentally pointed it the wrong way. Even Steffe, you can see in the camera, it was just like, woo! Well, the most they got was my flicker. Thank God they didn't get first blood. But at the end of the day, I think, there's standard protocols here, right? Imperial are very dependent on their EXP laner to kind of even the odds when it comes down to that full fight around the turtle side. And the fact that at least Smooth was able to get some really good trades against Marquinhos and prevented him from getting level 4 on time, allowed them to take the turtle for free.
I feel like now it's not going to be as simple for Imperio to just go in aggressively, considering the amount of crowd control and especially the amount of long duration crowd control, like the heavy spin, like the penalty zone that just lasts on the ground for long periods of time. It's going to really be a big problem. And remember, you're on the Brody, the auto attack animations do get cancelled by the pulls of the penalty zone. So in a big team fight, there are a lot of things that can really go south for Imperio Esport.
Yeah, they got to be able to take care of Ur here, and again, that's why they're doing this. Going to find the lockdown with heavy spin,
ใครครับตรงนี้ครับ
Eagle there as well. But Team SMG spots
Bruno
it
ครับ
out. They just
ด้านบนครับ
disengage, and that's what I was saying. Leading into that, they got to be able to take care of Ur, allow him to scale up once again on this Brody, and we've seen how
ไล่
well
มาตรงนี้
Novari
ครับ
has
ออโร
worked
รา
on
ครับ
these lineups.
ดึงมาครับ
Miko's
ลา
gonna
ฟา
take a
ครับ
shot
โดนจ่าย
there,
ครับ
But again, a lot of just poking back and forth.
เป็นเรื่องของอาคายครับ
Done by both of these teams. Team SMG are making sure that they're making an off-tempo play so that their ultimates will be back up once a turtle comes on that top side, and then Imperial trying to cut them off in the middle of their jungle,
ไหลๆลงมาตรงนี้
looking
ค
for
รับ
an isolated target to punish the rotation in the first place. It's really well thought through from both sides. But as we
ด้าน
get
บน
into
ครับ
this upcoming turtle fight, I'm seeing a lot more ults coming in for the side of Imperial in comparison to Team SMG, as theirs are coming off
เป็นเรื่องของ
quickly.
ลาฟาครับ
Team SMG can just dance around for a little bit, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of eyes on Miko right here. Imperio definitely want to punish this Rafaela, especially when she oversteps. But look at these slow cancellation coming in from the healing.
This time again, the battle
จ่ายดาเมจเข้ามาครับแล้วปั่นเข้ามาเรียบร้อยเลยครับได้เดียร์ลอดมาก่อนครับใครปั่นสวยครับแล้วเต่าตัวนี้ครับพยายามคุมพื้นที่ไว้ครับมีทางด้านของมาทูดาบินเข้ามาใส่ครับแต่ว่าเต่ารีเลือดเฟนลินครับออโรร่ารับหนักอยู่ครับต้องถอยครับ
Team SMG winning that skirmish with both junglers deciding to just go with a stalemate. I think Aurora might still actually want to contest this.
No, this is awful because Team SMG, they're doing this on purpose. They're delaying this turtle. The turtle technically doesn't matter to them. It's a fun little bonus to get. But Steffe is getting punished for it. Marquino's getting punished for it. And more importantly, Aurora has to make these calls. Do I just walk up or no?
The long game from SMG, man. They know that Imperial are trying to go in aggressively, so when the play happens, they just lay off the turtle immediately and went for bodies first. And afterwards, that's where they just get the clean, calm, calculated turtle. And even if Imperial backs away for a bit, the fact that there's a Rafaela means that the sustained game is just so much better out there. It's a great strat from Team SMG, and for Imperial, they have to wait for some more items maybe to really get that kind of dominant fight they require to win.
Man, right now, oh, hold on. Smooth could be the one in trouble. Defensive penalty zone out. Waiting for Stormy and the rest of the crew to get here. Now Aurora going to be the focus. Stormy, Smooth, chasing him down. Ooh. Should be just
one of those.
Black shoes to go back. Steffe using that circling eagle around, but has no backup. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Ur is in trouble. He has to go back. So as we were saying, you know, with this Dyro effect this time, the answer seems to be either that heavy spin or the Holy Baptism. You have a couple tools to throw at him now if he initiates.
That's true. A lot more ways to kind of disengage, but they're really prolonging, they're purposely prolonging laning phases, and every lane is won at this stage of the game. This is the same philosophy in game 1 as well as game 2 that Imperial were trying to clamp down on in game
ไหลขึ้นมาด้านบนครับเป็นทางด้านของเดียร์ลอดครับมาคินโยครับสมูทครับพักเสียงนะไม่มีอะไรหรอกเดี๋ยวเย็นต้องไปใส่
I mean, Stormy's up against a Novaria.
แพ้อากาศไม่พอแพ้คนในใจเขาอีก
lockdown again. Aurora going to be the one in trouble.
เรียบร้อยครับได้เฟสลินมาครับ
is going to jump in as well, forcing him back, Steffe. But you saw
ไม่หรอก
the
เมื่อวานแหกปาก
combination,
ห
the
นักไป
heavy
นิดนึง
spin, the baptism. It's too much.
The layers, as they say, the layers on this cake is looking real good. But so far,
อะไรอ่ะ
at the very least,
อะไรอ่ะ
whoever
แพ้
wins
อากาศ
this
ไม่พอ
early
แพ้
game,
คนในใจ
apparently,
เขา
whether it
อีก
be
อะไร
Imperial or
อ่ะ
Team SMG secures
อะไร
every
อ่ะ
one of these turtles
ใครเขาเล่น
uncontested.
มุกอะไรอ่ะ
Smooth, the one could be in trouble now. It's too much. And Ur gets that kill, but the turtle in the hands of Team SMG.
แพ้อากาศไม่พอแพ้คนในใจเขาอีก
It's always so good. I think partially why it's going so fast when one team is dominating is because both teams are just so good at pushing their advantages and looking for opportunities to snowball even more. Right now for Stormy, it seems like there's a bit of utility involved right here. The boots and the first item choice, it's all about spamming out those spells and having it up for the big fight. And for Smooth, he's going with the Dreadnought armor first, but he has the Fury Hammer because he wants to be a legitimate threat for the backline at least. If he lands the penalty zone onto the Novaria or the Brody, that could be a bad situation for Imperial Esports.
I also feel like Imperial, as of right now, right, you know, they're getting a little bit of setbacks, but that's why they're pulling every single one of these members. They're pulling Dyroth away from the side lanes to try and protect their main win condition, which is going to be letting Thor actually stay up.
จริงนะป้าน้อยพี่พูดตรงนี้เลยนะพี่ไม่เคยคิดว่าพี่จะแพ้คนในใจใครเลยนะเว้ยจริงๆพี่ไม่เคยคิดว่าพี่จะแพ้คนในใจใครเลยนะเว้ยเพราะว่าแม่งอยู่ในใจเว้ยพี่อยู่ข้างนอกพี่ทำอะไรก็ได้เว้ยอยู่ข้างในใจแม่งจะทำอะไรได้เราอยู่ข้างนอกอยู่ข้างนอกเนี่ยเราจะจับอะไรก็ได้อยู่ในใจมันจะทำอะไรได้นะอยู่ในใจมันจะทำอะไรได้ผมอยู่ข้างนอกเนี่ยผมจับได้ทุกอย่างเลยนะผมทำอะไรก็ได้ใช่ป่ะไปอยู่ทำไมในใจบ้าบอกคนแตก
I guess for Imperial Esports, the only way they can really get a dominant win in a fight is if Team SMG is willing to engage them in an exchange. Because otherwise, how exactly are you planning on catching this Rafaela, this Lilia, this Akai?
ใช่ดิใช่ดิ
so many ways you can really dip out of
ไปอยู่ทำไม
once it looks unfavorable
มาคินโยกับเดียร์ลอดครับ
for Imperial. Well,
หลอดตัวแรกจะเกิดแล้วครับ
Matilda and a Fredwin. Those are very short duration crowd control tools.
now, with the Lord already spawning, you see Team SMG, they're immediately trying to take control. I mean, look at that wave management. Bot side immediately shoved down. If Team SMG want to start a fight, now is a pretty good time to do so. What
ไหลมาตรงนี้ครับ
across the map.
Yeah, he's going to make his way there, though, too. But is he going to get here in time? Lord, half health. They're going to work on a heavy spin on Aurora. They're trying to get him out of the picture.
บูโน่ครับเตะยับเลยครับตรงนี้ครับแล้วเป็นทั้งดับเบิลคิวครับที่เป็นคิวครับจบเลยครับจบเลยครับแทบจะจบเลยครับหลอดไม่ต้องตียังได้เลยครับตรงนี้ครับ
What a fight for Team SMG.
20 กว่าวิครับโอ้แต่ว่าไม่ได้ครับป้อมมันมีเกาะระเบิดป้อมมันมีเกาะระเบิด
Team SMG. I mean, the heavy spin,
ชื่ออะไรอ่ะเราชื่ออะไรวะ
even the black shoes was already gone. Marquino, he had that moment, but Miko said no.
ปลาน้อยครับ
The crowd
จะไป
control
รู้ได้
usage
ไง
from
ล่ะ
SMG is just absolutely insane right now. At every turn, Imperial layered their approaches. They go in one by one to avoid getting comboed. But look at what happens, man. Aurora gets locked down. Marquinhos comes in
อยู่
late
ใน
and
ใจ
right,
นะพูดออกมา
gets
ก็เรียก
locked
ว่านอกใจ
down. Steffe
เยี่ยม
getting a two-man knockup. No follow-up due to all the lockdown. Team SMG are just so good at this right now.
ไล่มาตรงนี้ครับสมูทครับ
Enter the state of
โดดสวนมาเลยครับตรงนี้ครับยู แล้วโบดี้ครับต้องฟิกออกเลยครับบังคับให้เสียฟิกเฉยๆครับ
Team SMG even surprising
หลอดมาด้านบนครับสกอร์6-2ครับ6,700ครับอย่างการคู่2ครับ
I definitely think you're panicked there a little bit. Not entirely sure what he could have done.
ลิเลียครับไล่ลงมาด้านล่างครับ
Especially since Steffe probably could have pulled him
สล็อต
out.
กำลังจะเป็นของมาเลเซียครับตรงนี้ครับ
Especially at a critical moment like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of nerves, especially in such a
มา
tense
ทิวครับ
moment. The Lord coming in
ไหล
there,
มาด้านบน
SMG,
ครับ
they're not really synchronizing
บูโน่
the
ครับ
waves. The mid and top side maybe.
มาแล้วครับ
That's
อาคายน่าจะเข้าเลยครับ
just dueling. That's the Matilda power. Is that enough though? Because Team SMG, they're going in for a play.
ไล่เข้ามาตรงนี้ครับได้บนแล้วครับไหลเข้ากลางต่อครับลิเลีย ไล่เหยียบเลยครับมาทิวดาต้องถอยยาวเลยครับ โนวาเลียครับ จ่ายเข้ามาตรงนี้ครับ
Team SMG just fully expose the base and back off here. That's what they're after. Finally, the bottom turret will fall.
No minions, no problem, man. They just stand there, take the hits, take the turrets, because they have a healing dispenser, man. Miko is just there topping everyone up. Fashion is trying his best to poke them down, but it doesn't matter at all.
Oh, this
เสร็จ
is
กันใหม่ครับ
this is difficult. This is really difficult to watch because from Imperial's POV, this feels like they're getting suffocated out once again. But Team SMG are really taking the initiative to make sure that they maximize their abilities while minimizing Imperial's overall impact. An 8.4k lead is almost a death sentence. Just 1.6k more to really close out this game for the side of Team
แต่ดา
SMG.
เมจมาตรงนี้ครับ
40 more
ไล่ไหล
seconds
กันเข้ามา
until the Lord
เรื่อย
falls.
ๆครับสวัสดีทุกคน
Okay,
ด้วย
the
ครับ
items right here, the Wind of Nature is completed for Sasa, a great measure of security. But for Stormy, he also has the glowing
ตะ
wand.
ไคร้ครับ
Stefan
มาทิว
now
ดาครับ
able to escape, maybe.
Look at the damage coming through here. Steph
จ่ายเข้ามาไล่ครับตรงนี้ครับ
But he just has to go back here. Team
เสื้อ
SMG
สวยจัง
just
เสื้อ
waiting,
AE ครับ
taking
เสื้อ AE
everything. They're 20
อันนี้
seconds
เสื้อ
away
ของ
from the
แท้
Lord.
เสื้อพี่
Oh,
ป่ะ
just lethal on that Lilia, man.
อันนี้เสื้อ
The fact that
AE
he
ของ
does
แท้ครับ
percentage HP
ของ
damage
แท้โคตร
means
สวย
that
เลย
the
ส
one
วย
he
จริง
saves,
เลย
including Aurora,
คือแบบ
is
โคตรสวยเลยอ่ะ
defensive
อันนี้ต้องยอมรับเลยว่าเสื้อแบบ
Oh, this is difficult. I think that at the very least, if Imperial wants to make an
เสื้อของแท้
offensive
สวย
play,
จริง
they're going to need to find a
พี่
way
ยังอยาก
around
ได้
Sasa.
แบบทีม
Because
อื่นเลยแต่
he's
ว่า
the most
ไม่
difficult
ไหวว่ะ
target to actually get
ตัวละ
to bypass,
2,000 น่ะ
right? The first person who bypasses Sasa is
ตอนนั้นมี
immediately
ตัง
going
ค์
to
ไง
get sent into
ซื้อ
the wall by that heavy spin.
ตอน
No
นี้
doubt
ไม่
about
เหลือ
it,
อะไรเลย
But even then, there's that added
ตอน
layer.
นี้
The information
ตั
has
งค์
been
ไม่
given.
มีไม่เหลืออะไรเลย
You know, going to jump into the front.
บูโน่ครับ
Aurora as well. He's got to be careful
เฟรนลินครับ
not
อ
to
อ
get
โรล่า
locked
เข้ามา
down.
ด้านหน้าครับโดนจ่ายจากบูโน่ครับมาทิวดาครับโดนไล่ออกไปครับ
Lord still going to be half health here. Team SMG going to
โอ้น้ำสอน
continue it
คนละ
on.
เกรดเลย
Here looking for their
คนละ
own
เกรดกับ
entry
เสื้อ
point.
AE เลยโอ้แล้วปั่นโบดี้ได้ครับ
The flicker route
แต่ยังดิ้นหลุดออกไปได้ครับ
Lord and now a fourth of the health. Aurora going to be in trouble.
จ่ายดาเมจเข้ามาเรียบร้อยเลยครับตรงนี้ครับเตลินลาครับ
For Imperial, make it 3 as it's the triple
แล้วเรียบร้อยครับเสียไป3คิวครับน่าจะจบเลยครับตรงนี้ครับหนีกลับไม่ได้แล้วครับ
Team SMG running into
เดียร์ลอดกลับไม่ได้ครับโนวาเลียตัวเดียวครับ กันไม่ไหวครับโนวาเลียตัวเดียวกันไม่ไหว มอบเลยครับมอบเลยครับ สล็อต M5 ครับเป็นของ SMG ครับ1สล็อตครับ
Team SMG, for the second time in a long time, they have a chance to go to the M5 World Championships in the Philippines.
We'll be seeing you in the Philippines, Team SMG. What a performance right there. Completely demolishing, denying Imperial Esports.
It's been a very long time since we have seen another team make it into the stage. And for Team SMG, this is an important moment because now it's just the beginning of their journey. The last time that they were in an M series, it just wasn't enough. Now they want to make it work. With that being said, let's have an interview with our winners up on stage.
Everybody, Imperial Esports.
Right now we are witnessing both teams greeting each other, but yes, now we have to invite Imperial Esports on stage.
Everyone, let's give Imperial Esports a round of applause. You may now take your final bow.
Oh, hold on. All right.
เอาเว้ยแถวนี้มีคนโสดเว้ย
Let's give a final bow. I'm gonna do a count of 3. In 3, 2, 1, we give the final bow. All right? In 3, 2, 1, bow.
ลี
It's been a great journey
โอ้ยอีก
for
นานกุ้ง
Imperial
เชื่อพี่ดิ
Esports, and
Thank
we
you very
hope
much.
to
ตาม
see you
ตารางจริงอะกุ้งแม่ง
stronger
แข่ง5โมงอะ
next year. And now, it's time to announce the new Malaysian
ตามตารางจริงแม่งแข่ง
representative
5โมง
for
อะ
the M5 World Championship,
Let's invite Team
SMG! Congratulations, everybody! Now you get to participate in the M5 World Championship. What's going through your minds right now?
How are you feeling?
Wow. Amazing. Just feel very good. Just nothing to say. Just very good.
All right. Honestly, now, Sasa, since you were holding the mic, I do have to ask you a question because we watched your interview and you said going to this wild card, there's a lot of pressure. There's pressure everywhere for you guys to perform, and if you don't perform, it's over.
เอาจริงพี่เห็นจุดอ่อน
Now,
ของ
you guys
ทีม
are
ริว
going
กัน
to M5.
พี่เห็น
How
จุด
do
อ่อน
you
ของริว
feel the
ทีม
pressure
ริว
is
กัน
gonna
นะครับ
affect your performance?
อ๋อยิ้ม
I think after
คือ
we go to M5 now, the
พี่
pressure
เห็น
is
บาง
all
อย่าง
gone already. Just like
แล้วก็
if
พ
go
อ
to
ดี
M5, then we just all in on
พี่
it.
ทำรูปอยู่เมื่อกี้แล้วโปรแกรม
Just
แม่ง
do
เด้ง
our best in M5.
ไอ้เชี่ย
The
ทำรูปอยู่
pressure
โปร
is
แกรมแม่งเด้ง
gone,
โคตร
but
ขึ้น
they're
เลย
gonna do their very best. They're gonna go all out for
กำลังนั่ง
M5.
ทำรูป
And now
อยู่
this
ครับ
one
แล้วโปร
is
แกรมมันเด้ง
for Miko, for Saksa, for Coach Pao.
เลยเซ็งเฉยๆครับ
How meaningful is this victory for you, especially that
ทำ
you
รูป
get
แล้ว
to
โปร
go
แกรม
back
มัน
to
เด้
your
งครับไม่
homeland,
ได้มีอะไร
but
หรอก
this time you're waving the Malaysian flag.
Sobrang saya po kasi bilang player, ang sarap po i-represent tayo
คือ
sa sarili mong
นั่ง
bansa.
ทำอยู่ตั้งนานอะ
Pero
โปร
ngayon
แกรม
po
แม่ง
kasi,
เด้งเลยเซ็งๆนิดนึง
parang dalawang bansa po yung nare-represent ako po.
According to Miko, as a player, it feels really great to represent your country, but now he gets to represent both country, both Malaysia and Philippines. Saksa?
Sobrang saya ko na makapasok sa M5. Kasi yung mga nakaraang season, 2 beses ako nag-top 8. Tapos di ako makapaniwala na sa M5 na ako.
He feels really good to be able to make it to M5 because the past 2 seasons, he just made it to top 8 and he can't believe that right now he's in M5.
So for me, I'm very happy and thankful at the same time for the Malaysian community. Guys, you guys are so awesome, guys. And we'll do our best, guys, to represent you.
Now I have a question for Smooth. Smooth, you went to M3, it didn't go well, but now you're going to M5. How is the journey in wildcard, and how is the journey you're expecting going to M5?
Melayu
Melayu ulit, nanti I translate. I translate, no worries.
Okay. Kita orang punya journey dekat wildcard ada baik ada buruk dia. Kita orang belajar kesilapan kita orang dekat wildcard, kita orang akan baiki dekat M5. Dekat M5 nanti kita orang akan buat lebih baik.
He said during the wild card, they've encountered a lot of things, a lot of mistakes, each of which they will fix, they will improve, and they will give their very best at M5. And now, Stormy, I have to ask you as well. Your family is there. and we talk to each other, you were talking about your dreams. And your dream is to go to the world stage. And now you're going to the world stage. How does it feel for you?
I'm very, very happy actually. Yeah, that's it.
You're very happy that you're achieving your dream, but you're weeks away from fighting against one of the best mid laners the world has to offer. What's going through your head?
Bring it on.
Bring it on. Stormy, you know, you have a very supportive brother who's been here since day one. We interviewed him earlier. Your mother is here. They were actually in tears earlier. Even your sister right now can't stop herself from crying. With such a support from such a great family, is there something that you want to say to them right now?
อย่าง
Actually,
วะ
my sister gave me a letter
สวัสดี
actually
ครับสวัสดี
before
ครับ
the game.
Oh, she gave you a letter.
Yeah.
What did it say? Can you tell us?
But it's too long.
It's too
ไหวอะไหวครับ
What does it say?
แล้วอยู่ที่ความนิ่ง
You know, it's
ด้วย
really
ในระดับหนึ่ง
amazing
ครับ
when you have such a strong support.
Oh, it is very
อยู่ที่
long.
ความนิ่ง
From the
ด้วยครับ
Can you summarize it? Can you summarize it for us?
I can't.
I cannot.
Stormy,
Do you want me to try?
summarize it for us. You summarize. If you can summarize that and just tell us what the letter is about. Just tell us what the letter is
It's
about.
just about me
อยู่
and
ที่ความ
our
นิ่ง
child together,
ส่วน
and
หนึ่ง
she's
ค
very
รับ
happy for me and my family also.
คือ
And she
ต้องนิ่ง
says-
ให้พอครับ ต้องไม่หลุดเกม ต้องไม่เล่นเกมได้ใจ
That's
ส่วน
something
มาก
that
นัก
not a
กีฬา
lot of
ยัง
people
ติด
have,
เรื่องพวก
and I
นี้
hope
อยู่
that
ค
you
รับ
appreciate and
เกมได้ใจ
treasure.
นะครับ
So
แล้ว
thank
ก็
you to Stormy's family for supporting
คื
his
อ
journey
คือไม่ได้บอกว่าทีมไหนแม่
here, especially
เป็น
with
นะ
him becoming a
คือ
pro
หมายถึง
player,
ว่า
and it
เกือบทุ
all
กทีม
worked
เลยครับ
out because
ส่วนมากนั
now
กกีฬาจะไม่นิ่งตรง
Stormy
นี้ครับ
is heading to the World
จะมี
Championship.
เรื่องของเกมได้ใจนะครับ แล้วก็
Now, before we proceed further, I do have to say, SMG's analyst, Lung,
มีเรื่องของเกมได้ใจอะหลักๆเลยครับหนักตรงเกมได้ใจอย่างเมื่อวานที่แบบขึ้นไปเล่นตรงบ้านเขาอะหวังจะปิดจบเลยอะไรอย่างเงี้ยกลายเป็นว่าเสีย2แล้วก็เงินแบบวุบไป 3,000 กว่าเลยอะไรเงี้ยต้องมานั่งแบบกลับมาเซตใหม่อะไรเงี้ยทั้งที่แบบว่ากลับมาเซตใหม่ตั้งแต่แรกก็ได้อะไรเงี้ยไม่ต้อง
Please
รีบ
help
อะไร
us
เงี้ย
celebrate.
คือถ้าเกิดประคองให้เงินนำตลอดอ่ะมันก็ได้เปรียบกว่าครับ
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to everybody on stage. Happy birthday to you.
Now it's not just an imaginary candle. You get to blow an actual candle. Your wish has come true. You are now heading to the M5 World Championship. What would you like to say to everybody?
Let's give it to Haru. Do you have anything to say to everyone here? It's not just SMG fans. It's basically everyone from Malaysia supporting SMG.
To everyone who has been supporting us since day one, even in MPL League, we would like to say thank you very much. Even though we lose during the grand final, but you guys still came today for us. So we would like to appreciate you guys and thank you so much. All I said. And the Flame Boys also, everyone. Thank you so much.
And now, Team SMG, you may now take your bow.
All right. Can someone help to take the cake for a while? You know, let's them, you know. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Team SMG is heading to the World Championship. You may now take your bow and take your walk of victory.
Let's give a big round of applause for Team SMG!
Team SMG is Malaysia's second team to represent them in the World Championship. For the first time in history, Malaysia has two teams to represent them.
I would say, as a Malaysian, this is a very proud moment. And Team SMG, they worked very hard the entire wildcard stage. They were unable to do it during the grand finals of MPL Malaysia Season 12, but they have redeemed themselves. And now, looking forward to bring the trophy back home.
The entire Malaysian community is proud, and they're cheering for Team SMG.
But it's not over for today, because we have another best of 5 coming up. And it's gonna be an exciting best of 5. We'll be going for a short break, but after this, we'll see which is the next team going to the M5 World Championship. We'll see you there.
Stay tuned for more MLBB action. It's time to be better than great.
มีเงินรางวัลมีเงินรางวัล30,000 เหรียญก็ได้ไปต่อโอ้30,000 เหรียญเป็นล้านเลยนะล้านหนึ่งเลยนะเป็นครั้งแรกที่มาเลได้เข้าชิง2 ทีมเมื่อก่อนเนี้ยมันเป็น MPL มาเลกับฟิลิปปินส์MPL มาเลรวมกับสิงคโปร์เขาก็จะให้สิทธิ์ประเทศละ1 ทีมนะครับหรือไม่จริงนะไอที่บอกว่ามาเลเป็นทีมเดียวเป็น2 ทีมที่ได้เข้าชิงอันนี้ไม่จริงอันนี้ถ้าแบบรีดข้อมูลจากในหัวพี่มานะมาเลเคยเป็นเจ้าภาพตอน M1 ตอนเป็นเจ้าภาพมันจะได้สิทธิ์2 สล็อตอยู่แล้วเป็นเจ้าภาพมันได้สิทธิ์2 สล็อตอยู่แล้วเป็นเจ้าภาพเนี่ยได้สิทธิ์2 สล็อตออโต้เหมือนปีเนี้ยมาเลได้ไปสล็อตหนึ่งแล้วแต่ว่าเป็นเจ้าภาพเลยได้สิทธิ์คอลิฟายไวด์การ์ดอีกสล็อตหนึ่งได้สิทธิ์คอลิฟายไวด์การ์ดอีกสล็อตหนึ่งเพราะว่าเป็นเจ้าภาพแต่ว่าก็จะให้เจ้าภาพ2 ทีมจะให้เป็นเจ้าภาพ2 ทีมเลยอ่ะมันก็ไม่น่าจะเวิร์กพี่คิดว่าน่าจะมาจาก M1 น่าจะมีมาเล2 ทีมนะถ้าพี่จำไม่ผิดไม่แน่ใจเหมือนกันนะครับแต่คิดว่าสิทธิ์ของเจ้าภาพอะครับประเทศไหนเป็นเจ้าภาพมันจะได้2 สล็อตอยู่แล้วออโต้2 สล็อตในสิทธิ์ของการเป็นเจ้าภาพคือเหมือนแบบเพิ่มมาอีกสล็อตนึงอะเหมือนปีที่ฟิลิปปินส์เป็นเจ้าภาพก็แม่งกดไปคนเดียว3 สล็อตเลยอะไรเงี้ยใช่นี่ปี M1 มีโทดักกับASIC eSport เนี่ย2 สล็อตเป็นไงเนี่ยเรื่องส้นตีนพวกเนี้ยจำทำไมก็ไม่รู้ทำไมกูไม่จำไปจำศัพท์ภาษาอังกฤษจะได้แบบหลุดพ้นนาทีอะไรเงี้ยไปภาคภาษาอังกฤษเงินเยอะชิบหายค่าจ้างวันหนึ่ง3-4 หมื่น 5 หมื่นเนี่ยมาจำเรื่องอะไรวะเนี่ยนะชีวิตเราแม่งคนเรานี่แม่งเสือกจำที่แบบว่าเรื่องที่แม่งไม่ควรจำนะแบบโดนปั้มครั้งแรกโดนปั้มครั้งแรกอะไรเงี้ยโอ้จำได้ติดตาเลยไม่ใช่เห็นไหมอันนี้แค่ไปเปิดเช็คเฉยๆนะแต่อันนี้มันเป็นกติกาปกติอยู่แล้วถ้าเกิดมาเลถ้าเกิดมาเลได้ถ้าเกิดมาเลเป็นเจ้าภาพมันได้2 สล็อตออโต้อยู่แล้วปีนี้กากกว่าด้วยเว้ยปีนี้กากกว่าตรงที่ได้แค่สล็อตเดียวเก็ตป่ะปีนี้กากกว่าตรงที่ได้สล็อตเดียวแล้วอีกสล็อตหนึ่งต้องไปควอลิฟายยังดีว่าโชคดีว่าได้เข้าก็ได้สิทธิ์เป็นเจ้าภาพในการฟิลิปปินส์เป็นเจ้าภาพอ่ะเนี่ยต้องบอกว่าฟิลิปปินส์เป็นเจ้าภาพแล้วก็มาเลเป็นเจ้าภาพไวด์การ์ดเขาก็เลยเอามาเลมาควอลิฟายอีกทีมหนึ่งต้องบอกว่ามาเลเป็นเจ้าภาพไวด์การ์ดเลยได้สิทธิ์เข้ามาสล็อตหนึ่งเพื่อควอลิฟายคิดดูดิเป็นเจ้าภาพเพื่อต้องการสิทธิ์ควอลิฟาย1 สล็อตอะเฟี้ยวป่ะไม่เล่นทำการบ้านทำดาบไปน้องอยู่ ทำข้อมูลให้น้องอยู่แอนนาลิสต์ให้น้องอยู่ชวนลงเล่นเล่นเชสไอ้พวกนี้ดิเปิดคอร์สสอนภาคโอ้ยกุ้งถ้าคนอยากจะทำจริงๆอ่ะไม่ต้องสอนอะไรขนาดนั้นหรอกมึงนั่งดูคลิปพี่เนี่ยนั่งดูไลฟ์ทุกวันเนี่ยลองไปนั่งภาคตัวเองหน้ากระจกดูแม่งทำได้แค่ว่าแม่งไม่ทำเฉยๆเอาจริงกุ้งถ้ากุ้งดูไลฟ์ภาคพี่ทุกวันนะแล้วกุ้งภาคไม่ได้นะแม่งไม่จริงหรอกแม่งไม่จริงหรอกคืออย่างน้อยเนี่ยอย่างน้อยเนี่ยในหัวกุ้งต้องมีถึง 30% แล้วอ่ะ30% 40% แล้วอ่ะนั่งทำมาตั้งแต่เกมแรกๆแล้วแต่เมื่อกี้แม่งเด้งเมื่อกี้โปรแกรมแม่งเด้งเนี่ยนั่งขวัญอกสั่นขวัญแขวนอยู่เนี่ยว่าถ้าเกิดแม่งเด้งอีกจะเป็นยังไงกูเลิกทำแล้วนะถ้าเด้งอีกรอบนึงเนี่ยเฮ้ยแต่พี่เห็นอะไรบางอย่างจริงนะพี่เห็นอะไรบางอย่างจริงนะในแม่แข่งคู่ต่อไปคือเท่าที่พี่เห็นของริวกันตอนนี้ริวกันมีจุดอ่อนอยู่นะมีจุดอ่อนอยู่เหมือนกันมีจุดอ่อนอยู่เยอะเลยครับจุดอ่อนแม่งเยอะกว้างมากๆเลย
That's right. I'll strive for victory, but I won't lose myself in its pursuit. M World Championship. I'm back.
สวยโคตรเลยอ่ะปัญหาเยอะ ปัญหาเยอะสรุปอะวะกุ้งสรุปว่าทุกปัญหาอยู่ที่ตัวกุ้งกันแหละไม่ได้อยู่ที่อะไรเลยจริงอันนี้พี่สรุปไปเลยปัญหาทั้งหมดคืออยู่ที่ตัวกุ้งนี่แหละ
MOBA game, of course, it's China.
3-1 ครับ 3-1 แม่งปัญหาสรุปปัญหาแม่งอยู่ที่ตัวเองไม่ได้อยู่ที่อะไรเลย
I think it will grow more because they do everything to win, like that kind of mentality.
ชอบพูดอยากเป็นอยากพากเกมแต่ไม่ชอบพูดชอบพิมพ์อะไรของมึงก่อน
I don't expect much from them in this world.
ไปฝึกภาษามือนั่นไปฝึกภาษามือเพื่ออนาคตข้างหน้าโมบายลีเจนเขาอาจจะอยากได้นักพากย์ใบ้ไม่ต้องพูดไงส่งภาษามือเอา
我们想跟他们说的是，虽然我们才刚加入这个项目不久，但是不要小看我们。
Я считаю, что китайцы в будущем станут очень сильны. Я готов им отдать сразу второе место после ЕЕЦА, поэтому should KBGB the team that we fear? We don't fear any team.
面对这些强敌，我会更加有动力。我会先学习他们，然后去超越他们。跟他们的差距可能在于我们游玩的时间没有他们长，经验没有他们丰富，但是我们在短时间内的进步其实是特别大的，所以我们自己都很有自信，觉得自己能从中出现。
China is a very smart region.
They have a lot of world titles in other MOBA games.
คิดว่าทีมจีนเป็นตัวอย่างหนอดเข้าโมโหยังเกี่ยวเขาลาย
我觉得未来中国是很大的潜力吧，对我们来讲一个很大的挑战。
他们对我们有期待，我们也会尽我们全力展现出自己最好的一面。
这是我们中国队第一次参加 M 赛，但肯定不是最后一次。
我们已经做好准备登上舞台。
Mi nombre es Aurora.
It's me, Clark.
ไปซื้อว่าเจ็ดบิน
My IGN is Yahiko.
Soy el jungla y capitán de Imperio.
For Miracle Esports.
ในเมย์สปอร์ต
1 year ago, when everything started, we couldn't imagine that 1 year later we were going to be in Malaysia trying to get to the M5.
At first time when M1 came, we were like, wow, a World Cup for Mobile Legends. That's only for the big region like Indonesia, Philippines. We can just dream of it, we can just think of it.
The dream started when we make a company to organize tournaments. Popular game we organized was Mobile Legends. So my partner told me to make a team that plays that game, and that's how Imperial was born.
แต่ก่อนกับสิมีงานแข่งพ่อสมควรแต่เดี๋ยวนี้ก็รู้สึกว่างานแข่งเริ่มหลายขึ้นเพราะในลาวมันก็สิมีผู้เล่นเก่งหลายขึ้นเพราะมีทัวร์นาเมนต์หลายขึ้นเขาเจ้าแต่ตั้งใจสอบเพื่อให้ฝีมือตัวเองโดดเด่นขึ้นมา
The official tournament also came in Nepal. We can practice much, have a proper skills. We can grind more and be skillful.
Jugar contra Videtron Sans dentro de la Liga Latam fue una experiencia que nos ayudó demasiado para madurar como equipo, como personas y vivir el momento.
The experience of playing in Sao Paulo in front of Brazilian people, going for RRQ or Akira 2 meters from the player. Brazil, Brazil, Brazil. In the end of one of the matches, a couple of them ended crying because they're kids, they're 16 years old, no? And they've learned that losing is part of the game as winning.
Es una oportunidad para pasarle en equipo, entre amigos y aprender, disfrutar. Vean mucho los otros equipos y disfruten. Nosotros hace un año no esperábamos estar aquí, estamos a un mes.
After losing ISF, I was like, we're gonna need a coach. I keep on messaging each and everyone, and I found Amox is from like Wikipedia.
Other coaches doesn't want to take the risk at the new region, at the new team. For Miracle, I can see that they have dedication. I told myself, let's be the first one to give them hope.
So I hope we can clear out the
ใช่ครับคู่สุดท้ายแล้ว
suffer that hard to prove their skills to the international level.
มันก็เป็นเรื่องปกติเว้ยกุ้งมันก็ต้องฝึกกันบ่อยๆเว้ย
To be brutally honest, I would say 99% SMG will win.
กุ้งลองคิดตอนกุ้งไปรัสเซียครั้งแรกเนี่ยกุ้งรู้สึกไงอีเฮียกูมาที่ไหนวะเนี่ยแม่งพูดกันแต่ภาษาอะไรก็ไม่รู้ฟังก็ไม่รู้เรื่อง
Dedication from For Miracle.
แล้วกูจะอยู่ยังไงเนี่ย
that they have for
แล้วกู
5
จะซื้อ
to 4
ข้าว
years,
ที่ไหน
the
กิน
opponent
อะไรเงี้ย
has been
มันก็เป็นเรื่อง
over-performed.
ปกติปะวะเขาเรียกว่าทำบ่อยๆเดี๋ยวมันก็ชินเว้ย
I think we just tired before the championship. We play 10 games and then suddenly 2-0 become 3-1, right? And then suddenly we go to
ลุ้นอยากให้จีนจับไทยเกียวอย่า
nothing to lose.
其实 playoff 对我们来讲，就是今年真的很难，压力很大，因为今年很多 Philippine play 进来 ，gameplay improve 了很多。
Ever since M1 up until M3, Malaysia was one of the big three regions, including Philippines as well as Indonesia. SMG at M3, I would say, is definitely one of the saddest memory most Malaysians have of their performance.
M3 tu memang tak boleh buat apa lah. Mungkin time M3 kita punya komunikasi nak bagi pendapat antara satu sama lain tak boleh diterima. Dan dekat situ mungkin macam ada pergaduhan kan. Ada beberapa player
ไม่มันก็มีความตื่นเต้นไง
sebabkan ni kita orang tak dapat nak buat aksi yang menarik lah dekat M3.
很 sad 很 sad 然后
เฮ้ยนี่ก็ชวนจังเลยบอกว่าทำงานอยู่ใครเอาหวันนี่ไปเก็บทีดิ
M3 hari tu pun dia ibarat peluang untuk macam tim-tim lain nak masuk pun susah tapi peluang tu kita orang gunakan sia-sia.
They were such powerhouses
ใครเอาหวันนี่
during
ไป
the
เก็บทีดิ
MPL season, but all of a sudden, the moment they went to M3, everything dropped, and some insider news that I was able to get was they were basically overwhelmed because that was their
หน้า
first
จอดำปะวะ
international
ก็ไม่
experience,
ดำนี่หว่า
and the team could not handle it.
M3 的时候输了，整个人真的很不舒服，因为对自己要求很高的时候，真的可以拿到很好的成绩，但是一下子很现实，就最后一名出局。
This year, Team SMG came back stronger, finishing second at MPL Season 12.
就是 M3 之后，就每一个season都一直想去 improve 自己，觉得还可以去打过世界赛，就是至少拿个前4这样子给马来西亚。
They've come a long way to be back.
บอกว่าทำข้อมูลให้น้องอยู่นี่ก็โอ้โหชวนเล่นเกมไม่ดูเป็นเวลาเลยโหล
Malaysia to becoming a strong region again.
MLBB Malaysia untuk season kali ni improve banyak. Untuk wildcard mestilah kita nak masuk M5.
I think we really confident, but we will not underestimate the enemy.
This time, the qualifiers is in our home soil, Malaysia. This is good for SMG because now the country is behind their back.
I think not only will be SMG fans will be here. Most of the Malaysia fans that love Mobile Legends, I think they will be coming here to support the
ใครเอาหวันนี่ไปเก็บทีดิ
SMG, vamos!
Keep support Malaysia punya team.
Keep supporting us, Boss and SMG. Kita
ดี
akan
ขึ้นแล้ว
buat
เนี่ย
terbaik
ดี
di
ขึ้นแล้ว
M5 and kita akan cuba bawa balik M5 ke bumi Malaysia.
Okay. En todos los juegos anteriores siempre Imperio jugaba un poco al late game, pero hoy día han notado que ha sido mucho más agresivos en el early game. Eso era planeado, parte de la estrategia. Okay. In Spanish, in English? Okay, I've already know.
Claro, tenemos un coach que se dedica al trabajo duro ante todos los equipos que nos enfrentamos y para conocer lo que tenemos enfrente y estamos preparados, cambiamos nuestras maneras de jugar según contra quién nos enfrentamos, claramente.
Yeah, we coordinate all the time with our coach. We have an expert coach here, Max El Viejo, and that prepared all the team for the game of today. And we decided to change up a little our strategy to play more strong in the early game.
You guys really took Umbrella Squad like when you came they think that you're gonna go late game, but then in the end you're like you shocked them. How do you feel about that?
Como que en verdad se asustó, se sorprendió de la agresividad en el early game. ¿Cómo se sienten de eso?
Nos sentimos muy contentos, la verdad con Umbrella también dio un buen trabajo, nos han ganado en screens y que estimo yo que dimos resultados con el equipo en sí, en total. juntos, todos juntos pudimos.
Well, we know they were surprised. We did our best that time, but we're still working together to get it better every day.
Last one. So now, like, you guys are considered as the underdog for the game, for the whole wildcard tournament. Like, one of the underdog, dark horse. So how do you feel about it?
Like a surprise team? What's underdog?
Like, people didn't think you would make
okay,
it.
it's a surprise,
So it's considered like dark horse, underdog.
Okay. What do we feel about that?
Being like black horse, you know.
Okay. Como que Imperio ha sido la sorpresa del torneo, ¿no? ¿Cómo se sienten ustedes, todo el equipo, de ser la sorpresa?
Es la misma emoción desde el día 1 que venimos transitando toda la carrera como el equipo en general, que siempre somos la sorpresa en todos los torneos que estamos ingresando.
That has been the emotion since the day number 1. We were the surprise on the MLBB, then on the LATAM, and now we are the surprise again. We're working hard for get better every day.
Any taunting things that you want to say to the next game? Who's your next game? Like, any taunt that you want to say?
Algo que quieran decir respecto al próximo juego. A seguir trabajando.
Sin duda va a ser un juego difícil porque todos los equipos que participan en este torneo son de muy alto nivel. Claramente todos los equipos son fuertes y yo creo que hay días buenos, días malos para cada equipo y que espero que sea una partida muy buena y que ambos equipos y ambos jugadores se diviertan. Nosotros por nuestra parte daremos lo mejor para darle una alegría a la gente de LATAM.
We're going to work hard for the Latin people that follow us. And about the game of tomorrow, we're going to prepare all the level is almost the same in all the teams here in the wild card, but we're going to do our best for sure. Last one.
Is it Imperio Nuevo por Latam?
Imperio?
Nuevo por Latam.
Nuevo is new.
Yeah, new, like new empire for Latam.
Okay. You want us to tell that, to say that?
Is it too early?
Yeah. Because we have one yet.
Yeah, I think you can answer that. Yes, it's too early. It's too early to say that it's new Imperio for Latam, but we hope that, something like that.
Okay, ustedes pueden decir que somos el nuevo imperio de Latinoamérica. A seguir trabajando, ¿no? Todavía no.
Ahí respondo yo. Yo creo que en Latinoamérica hay muchos equipos buenos, hay muchos jugadores de muy alto nivel, que por ahí lo que falta un poco son organizaciones y armar un poco más a los equipos, pero que la gente y los jugadores están.
Pase directo para
y queremos claramente lo posible un pase directo para Latinoamérica o para Argentina lo posible también, que se lo merece.
Well, in Latin America there are a lot of groups, very good teams, but again we're asking for a straight place to the M6 next year to Spanish Latin America teams. Thank you.
Okay.
are here at Gamers 8 to show that we are walking the walk. We have had amazing reactions, major idea owners, and a lot of potential partners and stakeholders coming in here and taking a peek. The DS Cube over here has been the nexus of this zone.
What I saw from the outside is very mysterious. You want to know what's happening inside.
Felt like, you know, this is an MMORPG, but R is not role-playing, it's real world.
Grab only, savings ang dami, your wallet sings tonight. Laki ng bawi, pag nag-grab only, save 244 alright. Bowing, 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 bowing.
#1 seed, the champion of the arena. The fans adore me because I've never lost. You are afraid that you will lose everything. right. I'll strive for victory, but I won't lose myself in its pursuit. World Championship. I'm back.
เล่นดีครับแต่มีจุดอ่อนครับ เล่นดีมีจุดอ่อนเล่นดีมีจุดอ่อนเทียบ
MOBA game, of course, it's China.
You like to play?
เขามีจุดอ่อนเยอะเลยครับเท่าที่พี่เห็นนะ
I think it will grow more because they do everything to win, like that kind of mentality.
觉得我们队伍是一个比较敢打敢拼的队伍吧，就是无论在国外还是国内，我们都是一个很敢于去打架的。
China punya MLBB dia tak cukup lagi setahun. Masih depan mungkin dalam setahun setengah boleh kot.
I don't expect much from them in this wild card.
我觉得他们第一个牺牲吧，应该不是很好啊，这是成绩，下一次可能好一点吧，因为他们才刚开始。
Yo no creo que KUG sea tan poderoso como dicen, como porque el otro equipo chino terminó mal.
我们想跟他们说的是，虽然我们才刚加入这个项目不久，但是不要小看我们。
Я считаю, что китайцы в будущем станут очень сильны. Я готов им отдать сразу второе место после ЕЕЦА, поэтому... Should KBG be the team that we fear? We don't fear any team.
面对这些场地，我会更加有动力。我会先学习他们，然后去超越他们。
跟他们的差距可能在于我们游玩的时间没有他们长，经验没有他们丰富，但是我们在短时间内的进步其实是特别大的，所以我们自己都很有自信，觉得自己能从中出现。
China is a very smart region. They have a lot of world titles in our mobile games.
ดูด้วยครับ ดูอะไรอ่ะ
เป็นตัวอย่างนี่หนอดเข้าโมโหยัง
ดู
เกี่ยว
จน
ขอ
ง่วง
หลาย
รอแป๊บนึง
我觉得未来
เดี๋ยวรีสตรีม
大
ใหม่
的潜力吧，对我们来讲一个很大的挑战。
他们对我们有期待，我们也会尽我们全力展现出自己最好的一面。
这是我们中国队第一次参加 M 赛，但肯定不是最后一次。
我们已经做好准备登上舞台。
Mi nombre es Aurora.
It's me Clark.
ปล่อยชื่อว่าเจ็ดบิน
My IGN is Yahiko.
Soy el jungla y capitán de Imperio.
For Miracle Esports.
ในแมสปอร์ต
1 year ago, when everything started, we couldn't imagine that 1 year later we were going to be in Malaysia trying to get to the M5.
At first time when M1 came, we were like, wow, a World Cup for Mobile Legends. That's only for the big region like Indonesia, Philippines. We can just dream of it, we can just think of it.
The dream started when we make a company to organize tournaments in Peru. Popular game we organized was Mobile Legends. So my partner told me to make a team that plays that game, and that's how Imperial was born.
แต่ก่อนกับสิมีงานแข่งพอสมควรแต่เดี๋ยวนี้ก็รู้สึกว่างานแข่งเริ่มหลายขึ้นเพราะในลาวมันก็สิมีผู้เล่นเก่งๆหลายขึ้นเพราะมันมีทัวร์นาเมนต์หลายขึ้นเขาเจ้าก็ตั้งใจสอบเพื่อให้ฝีมือตัวเองโดดเด่นขึ้นมา
The official tournament also came in Nepal. We can practice much, have a proper skills. We can grind more and be skillful.
Bien, jugar contra Videtron Sans dentro de la Liga Latam fue una experiencia que nos ayudó demasiado para madurar como equipo, como personas y vivir el momento.
The experience of playing in Sao Paulo in front of Brazilian people, going for RRQ or Akira 2 meters from the players. Brazil, Brazil, Brazil. In the end of one of the matches, a couple of them ended crying because they're kids, they're 16 years old, no? And they've learned that losing is part of the game as winning.
Es una oportunidad para pasarle en equipo, entre amigos y aprender, disfrutar. Vean mucho los otros equipos y disfruten. Nosotros hace un año no esperábamos estar aquí, estamos a un mes. ¡Let's go, Imperio!
After losing ISF, I was like, we're gonna need a coach. I keep on messaging each and everyone, and I found Omox is from like Wikipedia.
Other coaches doesn't want to take the risk at a new region, at a new team. For America, I can see that they have dedication. I told myself, let's be the first one to give them hope.
So I hope we can clear out the stage so that the next generation won't suffer that hard to prove their skills to the international level.
For America, let's still holding together. There he goes, loves the immortality, gets the
To be brutally honest, I would say 99% SMG will win.
Team SMG will keep their nightmares at bay in day number 1 of the wild card as they
That 1% is the hope and dedication from For Miracle with the chemistry that they have for 5 to 4 years that is going to make us win over SMG.
I think we just tired before the championship. We play 10 games and then suddenly 2-0 become 3-1, right? And then suddenly we go to game 7. Our mind just like, we're here, just play the game like that. We got nothing to lose.
其实 playoff 对我们来讲，这次今年真的很难，压力很大，因为今年很多 Philippine play 进来 ，gameplay improve 了很多。
Ever since M1 up until M3, Malaysia was one of the big 3 regions, including Philippines as well as Indonesia. SMG at M3, I would say, is definitely one of the saddest memories most Malaysians have of their performance.
คู่แรกแข่งจบแล้วครับ รอคู่2ครับ
M3 tu memang tak boleh buat apa lah. Okay, time M3 kita punya komunikasi nak bagi pendapat antara satu sama lain tak boleh diterima dan dekat situ mungkin macam ada pergaduhan kan. ada beberapa player yang mental dia agak down sebabkan ni kita orang tak dapat nak buat aksi yang menarik lah dekat M3.
很 sad 很 sad， 然后expect 很多，就是可以 at least go to top 6。
Kita orang agak kecewa lah. M3 hari tu pun dia ibarat peluang untuk macam tim-tim lain nak masuk pun susah, tapi peluang tu kita orang gunakan sia-sia.
They were such powerhouses during the MPL season, but all of a sudden, the moment they went to M3, everything dropped. And some insider news that I was able to get was they were basically overwhelmed because that was their first international experience, and the team could not handle it.
M3的时候输了，整个人真的很不舒服，因为对自己要求很高的时候，真的可以拿到很好的成绩，但是一下子很现实，就最后一名出局。
This year, Team SMG came back stronger, finishing second at MPL Season 12.
就是 M3 之后，每一个 season 都一直想去 improve 自己，觉得还可以去打过世界赛，就是至少拿个前4这样子赢了一下。
They've come a long way to be back in the M Series, and now SMG is only one step away from the group stage. Their win could possibly bring back Malaysia to becoming a strong region again.
MLBB Malaysia untuk season kali ni improve banyak. Untuk wildcard mestilah kita nak masuk M5.
I think we really confident, but we will not underestimate the enemy.
This time, the qualifiers is in our home soil, Malaysia. This is good for SMG because now the country is behind their back.
I think not only will be SMG fans will be here, most of the Malaysia fans that love Mobile Legends, I think they will be coming here to support the home team.
SMG, vamos! Keep support Malaysia punya team. Keep supporting us, Homeboys and SMG. Kita akan buat yang terbaik di M5 and kita akan cuba bawa balik M5 ke bumi Malaysia.
Okay. En todos los juegos anteriores siempre Imperio jugaba un poco al late game, pero hoy día han notado que ha sido mucho más activo en el early. ¿Eso era planeado, parte de la estrategia? Okay. In Spanish, in English? Okay, I've heard it.
Claro, tenemos un coach que se dedica al trabajo duro ante todos los equipos que nos enfrentamos y para conocer lo que tenemos enfrente y estamos preparados, cambiamos nuestras maneras de jugar según contra quién nos enfrentamos, claramente.
Yeah, we coordinate all the time with our coach. We have an expert coach here, Max El Viejo, and that prepared all the team for the game of today, and we decided to change up a little our strategy to play more strong in the early game.
You guys really took Umbrella Squad like when you came they think that you're gonna go late game, but then in the end you're like you shocked them. How do you feel about that?
Como que en verdad se asustó, se sorprendió de la agresividad en el early game. ¿Cómo se sienten de eso?
Nos sentimos muy contentos, la verdad con Umbrella también dio un buen trabajo, nos han ganado en scrims y que estimo yo que dimos resultados con el equipo en sí, en total. Todos juntos pudimos.
Well, we know they were surprised. We did our best that time, but we're still working together to get it better every day.
Last one. So now, like, you guys are considered as the underdog for the game, for the whole wildcard tournament. Like, one of the underdog, dark horse. So how do you feel about it?
Like a surprise team? What's underdog?
Like people didn't think you would make it.
Okay,
So it's considered like dark horse, underdog. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we feel about that?
Yeah, being a black horse, you know? Yeah.
Okay. Como que Imperio ha sido la sorpresa del torneo, ¿no? ¿Cómo se sienten ustedes, todo el equipo, de ser la sorpresa?
Es la misma emoción desde el día 1 que venimos transitando toda la carrera como el equipo en general, que siempre somos la sorpresa en todos los torneos que estamos ingresando.
That has been the motion since the day number 1. We were the surprise on the MLBB, then on the LATAM, and now we are the surprise again. We're working hard for get better every day.
any taunting things that you want to say to the next game? Who's your next game? Like any taunt that you want to say?
Algo que quieran decir respecto al próximo juego. A seguir trabajando, preparando.
Sin duda va a ser un juego difícil porque todos los equipos que participan en este torneo son de muy alto nivel. Claramente todos los equipos son fuertes y yo creo que hay días buenos, días malos para cada equipo y que espero que sea una partida muy buena y que ambos equipos y ambos jugadores se diviertan. Nosotros por nuestra parte daremos lo mejor para darle una alegría a la gente de la TAM.
We're gonna work hard for the Latin people that follow us, and about the game of tomorrow, we're gonna prepare all the level is almost the same in all the teams here in the wild card, but we're gonna do our best for sure. Last one.
Is it Imperial Nuevo por Latam?
Imperio?
Nuevo por Latam.
Nuevo is new.
Yeah, new, like
Yeah.
new empire for Latam.
Okay. You want us to tell that, to say that?
Is it too early? Is it too early to say that?
Yeah. Because we haven't won yet.
Yeah, I think you can answer that. Yes, it's too early. It's too early to say that it's new Imperial for Latam, but we hope that, yeah, something like that.
Ok, ustedes pueden decir que somos del nuevo imperio de Latinoamérica. A seguir trabajando, ¿no? Todavía no.
Respondo yo. Yo creo que en Latinoamérica hay muchos equipos buenos, hay muchos jugadores de muy alto nivel, que por ahí lo que falta un poco son organizaciones y armar un poco más a los equipos, pero que la gente y los jugadores están.
Pase directo para
Y queremos claramente lo posible un pase directo para Latinoamérica o para Argentina lo posible también, que se lo merece.
Well, in Latin America there are a lot of groups, very good teams, but again we're asking for a straight place to the M6 next year to Spanish Latin America teams. Thank you.
ใช่ครับคู่ต่อไปลาวครับไหวไม่ไหวบอกไหวอ่ะ
We are here at Gamers 8 to show that we are walking the walk. We have had amazing reactions, major IP owners, and a lot of potential partners and stakeholders coming in here and taking a peek. The DSQ over here has been the nexus of the stone.
What I saw it from the outside is very mysterious. You want to know what's happening inside.
Felt like, you know, this is an MMORPG, but art is not role-playing, it's real world.
Grab only, savings ang dami, your wallet sings tonight. Laki ng bawi, pag nag-grab only, save you for all. with my word.
The number 1 seed, the champion of the arena. The fans adore me because I've never lost. You are afraid that you will lose everything. Get scared of losing, Kimmy?
Well, big girl, I think we should cherish the joy and excitement of each game. Not who won or lost.
That's right. I'll strive for victory, but I won't lose myself in its pursuit. Championship. I'm back.
I might kick over, but you could give me in no corner. I know I can make a comeback. this run, you finish this game now. Got the power on my shoulders. Yeah, you know that I'm a soldier. You can keep me off my guard, but you can't keep me from my honor. Nah, 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 I feel like the floor is lava. The energy's getting higher. You're saving my arms. 'Cause I know just what I got. I got you like na na na, and you know I hold the power. This feeling I love. Oh yeah, making my grind good to great. So don't stand in my way. Standing tall and I won't fall over. We are better than great, good. We are better than great. We stand tall, won't run away. We are fun, nothing gon' change. Great, we are better than great. Can't get it great, I'm better than great. I play my own role, I become the greatest. Transcend myself into this game, yeah. I build a power to dominate fate. Championship mind, no time for the weak. We're start to the game, shout, reveal. Better than great, that's how we feel. I feel like the floor is lava. The energy's getting higher. You're saving my arms. 'Cause I know just what I got. I got you like na na na, and you know I hold the power. This feeling I love. Oh yeah, making my grind good to great. So don't stand in my way. Standing tall and I won't fall over. We are better than great, good. We are better than great. We stand tall, won't run away. We are fun, nothing gon' change. Great, we are better than great. If we stand tall and believe we can make it, you and me, with a sense of urgency, you'll see I'm better than great. I'm better than great. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm better than. I'm better than. Making my grind good to great. So don't stand in my way. Standing tall and I won't fall over. We are better than great, good. We are better than great. We stand tall, won't run away. We are fun, nothing gon' change. Great, we are better than great.
Which country do you think is the best at mobile game?
Mobile game, of course, it's China.
China.
Является Китай.
I think it will grow more because they do everything to win, like that kind of mentality.
觉得我们队伍是一个比较敢打敢拼的队伍吧，就是无论在国外还是国内，我们都是一个很敢于去打架的。
China punya MLBB dia tak cukup lagi setahun. Masih depan mungkin dalam setahun setengah boleh kot. I don't expect much from them in this wild card.
我觉得他们第一个season吧，应该不是很好吧，这次成绩，下一次可能好一点吧，因为他们才刚开始。
Yo no creo que KUC sea tan poderoso como dicen, como porque el otro equipo chino terminó mal.
我们想跟他们说的是，虽然我们才刚加入这个项目不久，但是不要小看我们。
Я считаю, что китайцы в будущем станут очень сильны. Я готов им отдать сразу второе место после EECA, поэтому... Should KBG be the team that we fear? We don't fear any team.
面对这些强敌，我会更加有动力。我会先学习他们，然后去超越他们。
跟他们的差距可能在于我们游玩的时间没有他们长，经验没有他们丰富，但是我们在短时间内的进步其实是特别大的，所以我们自己都很有自信，觉得自己能从中出现。
China is a very smart region.
They have a lot of world titles in other mobile games.
คิดว่าทีมจีนเป็นตัวอย่างหนอดเข้าโมโหยังเกี่ยวเขาหลาย
我觉得未来中国是很大的潜力吧，对我们来讲一个很大的挑战。
他们对我们有期待，我们也会尽我们全力展现出自己最好的一面。
这是我们中国队第一次参加 M 赛，但肯定不是最后一次。
我们已经做好准备登上舞台。
Mi nombre es Aurora.
It's me, Clark.
ปล่อยชื่อว่าเจ็ดบิน
My IGN is Yahiko.
Soy el jungla y capitán de Imperio.
For Miracle Esports.
ในแมสปอร์ต
1 year ago, when everything started, we couldn't imagine that 1 year later we were going to be in Malaysia trying to get to the M5.
At first time when M1 came, we were like, wow, a World Cup for Mobile Legends. That's only for the big region like Indonesia, Philippines, we can just dream of it, we can just think of it.
The dream started when we make a company to organize tournaments in Peru. Popular game we organized was Mobile Legends. So my partner told me to make a team that plays that game, and that's how Imperial was born.
แต่ก่อนก็สิมีงานแข่งพอสมควรแต่เดี๋ยวนี้ก็รู้สึกว่างานแข่งเริ่มหลายขึ้นเพราะในลาวมันก็สิมีผู้เล่นเก่งๆหลายขึ้นเพราะมีทัวร์นาเมนต์หลายขึ้นเขาเจ้าก็ตั้งใจสอบเพื่อให้ฝีมือตัวเองโดดเด่นขึ้นมา
The official tournament also came in Nepal.
We can practice much, have a proper skills. We can grind more and be skillful.
Bien, jugar contra Virtron Sans dentro de la Liga Latam fue una experiencia que nos ayudó demasiado para madurar como equipo, como personas y vivir el momento.
The experience of playing in Sao Paulo in front of Brazilian people, going for RRQ or Akira, 2 meters from the players. Brazil, Brazil, Brazil. In the end of one of the matches, a couple of them ended crying because they're kids, they're 16 years old, no? And they've learned that losing is part of the game as winning.
Es una oportunidad para pasarle en equipo, entre amigos y aprender, disfrutar. Vean mucho los otros equipos y disfruten. Nosotros hace un año no esperábamos estar aquí, estamos a un mes. ¡Let's go, Imperio!
After losing ISF, I was like, we're gonna need a coach. I keep on messaging each and everyone, and I found Omox is from like Wikipedia.
Other coaches doesn't want to take the risk at a new region, at a new team. For America, I can see that they have dedication. I told myself, let's be the first one to give them hope.
So I hope we can clear all the stage so that the next generation won't suffer that hard to prove their skills to the international level.
For America, let's still holding! There he goes! Loves the immortality! Gets the
To be brutally honest, I would say 99% SMG will win.
Team SMG will keep their nightmares at bay in day number 1 of the wild card as they
That 1% is the hope and dedication from For Miracle with the chemistry that they have for 5 to 4 years that is going to make us win over SMG.
I think we just tired before the championship. We play 10 games and then suddenly 2-0 become 3-1, right? And then suddenly we go to game 7. Our mind just like, we're here, just play the game like that. We got nothing to lose.
其实 playoff 对我们来讲，这次今年真的很难，压力很大，因为今年很多 Philippine play 进来 ，gameplay improve 了很多。
Ever since M1 up until M3, Malaysia was one of the big 3 regions, including Philippines as well as Indonesia. SMG at M3, I would say, is definitely one of the saddest memory most Malaysians have of their performance.
SMG, the first team to be eliminated.
M3 tu memang tak boleh buat apa lah. Mungkin time M3 kita punya komunikasi nak bagi pendapat antara satu sama lain tak boleh diterima. Dan dekat situ mungkin macam ada pergaduhan kan. Ada beberapa player yang mental dia agak down sebabkan ni kita orang tak dapat nak buat aksi yang menarik lah dekat M3.
很 sad， 很 sad， 然后expect 很多，就是可以 at least go to top 6。
Kita orang agak kecewa lah. M3 hari tu pun dia ibarat peluang untuk macam tim-tim lain nak masuk pun susah, tapi peluang tu kita orang gunakan sia-sia.
They were such powerhouses during the MPL season, but all of a sudden, the moment they went to M3, everything dropped. And some insider news that I was able to get was they were basically overwhelmed because that was their first international experience, and the team could not handle it.
M3 的时候输了，整个人真的很不舒服，因为对自己要求很高的时候，真的可以拿到很好的成绩，但是一下子很现实，就是最后一名出局。
This year, Team SMG came back stronger, finishing second at MPL Season 12.
就是 M3 之后，就每一个 season 都一直想去 improve 自己，觉得还可以去打过世界赛，就是至少拿个前4这样子赢了一下。
They've come a long way to be back in the M Series, and now SMG is only one step away from the group stage. Their win could possibly bring back Malaysia to becoming a strong region again.
MLBB Malaysia untuk season kali ini improve banyak. Untuk wildcard mestilah kita nak masuk M5.
I think we really confident, but we will not underestimate the enemy.
This time, the qualifiers is in our home soil, Malaysia. This is good for SMG because now the country is behind their back.
I think not only will be SMG fans will be here, most of the Malaysia fans that love Mobile Legends, I think they'll be coming here to support the home team.
SMG, vamos!
Keep support Malaysia punya team.
Keep supporting us, Homeboys and SMG. Kita akan buat yang terbaik di M5 dan kita akan cuba bawa balik M5 ke bumi Malaysia.
En todos los juegos anteriores siempre Imperio jugaba un poco al late game, pero hoy día han notado que ha sido mucho más agresivos en el early game. ¿Eso era planeado, parte de la estrategia? Okay. In Spanish, in English? Okay, I've already told.
Claro, tenemos un coach que se dedica al trabajo duro ante todos los equipos que nos enfrentamos y para conocer lo que tenemos enfrente y estamos preparados, cambiamos nuestras maneras de jugar según contra quién nos enfrentamos, claramente.
Yeah, we coordinate all the time with our coach. We have an expert coach here, Max El Viejo, and that prepared all the team for the game of today. And we decided to change up a little our strategy to play more strong in the early game.
You guys really took Umbrella Squad like when you came, they think that you're gonna go late game, but then in the end you're like, you shocked them. How do you feel about that?
Como que en verdad se asustó, se sorprendió de la agresividad en el early game. ¿Cómo se sienten de eso?
Nos sentimos muy contentos, la verdad con Umbrella también dio un buen trabajo, nos han ganado en screens y que estimo yo que dimos resultados con el equipo en sí, en total. Todos juntos pudimos.
Well, we know they were surprised. We did our best that time, but we're still working together to get it better every day.
Last one. So now, like, you guys are considered as the underdog for the game, for the whole wildcard tournament. Like, one of the underdog, dark horse. So how do you feel about it?
Like a surprise team? What's underdog?
Like people didn't think you would make
okay,
it. Yeah.
Surprise,
So it's considered like dark horse, underdog. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we feel about that?
Yeah. Being like black horse, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Como que Imperio ha sido la sorpresa del torneo, ¿no? ¿Cómo se sienten ustedes, todo el equipo, de ser la sorpresa?
Es la misma emoción desde el día 1 que venimos transitando toda la carrera como el equipo en general, que siempre somos la sorpresa en todos los torneos que estamos ingresando.
That has been the motion since the day number 1. We were the surprise on the MLBB, then on the LATAM, and now we are the surprise again. We're working hard for getting better every day.
Any taunting things that you want to say to the next game? Who's your next game? Like any taunt that you want to say?
Algo que quieran decir respecto al próximo juego. A seguir trabajando y preparándose.
Sin duda va a ser un juego difícil porque todos los equipos que participan en este torneo son de muy alto nivel. Claramente todos los equipos son fuertes y yo creo que hay días buenos, días malos para cada equipo y que espero que sea una partida muy buena y que ambos equipos y ambos jugadores se diviertan. Nosotros por nuestra parte daremos lo mejor para darle una alegría a la gente de la TAM.
We're going to work hard for the Latin people that follow us. And about the game of tomorrow, we're going to prepare the level is almost the same in all the teams here in the wild card, but we're going to do our best for sure. Last one.
Is it Imperial Nuevo por Latam?
Imperio?
Nuevo por Latam.
Nuevo is new.
Yeah, new, like new empire for Latam.
Okay. You want us to tell that? To say that?
Is it too early? Is it too early to say that?
Yeah. Because we have one yet.
Yeah, I think you can answer that. Yes, it's too early. It's too early to say that it's new Imperial for Latam, but we hope that, yeah, something like that.
Ok, ¿ustedes pueden decir que somos el nuevo imperio de Latinoamérica? ¿De acuerdo? A seguir trabajando, ¿no? Todavía no.
Le respondo yo. Yo creo que en Latinoamérica hay muchos equipos buenos, hay muchos jugadores de muy alto nivel, que por ahí lo que falta un poco son organizaciones y armar un poco más a los equipos, pero que la gente y los jugadores están.
Pase directo para el M5.
Y queremos claramente lo posible un pase directo para Latinoamérica o para, bueno, Argentina en lo posible también, que se lo merece.
Well, in Latin America, there are a lot of groups, very good teams, but again, we're asking for a straight place to the M6 next year to Spanish Latin America teams.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
ерөнхийдөө бол одоо бидний өрсөлдөж байгаа багууд маань ингээд бид нар өмнө яг тоглож үзээгүй яг мэдхгүй яг яаж тоглодгийг мэдхгүй байгаа багууд байгаа учраас эхний тоглолт дээр бидэд нэг ерөнхийдөө бол нэг жоохон тоглолтыг нь ойлгох, мэдэж авах зорилгоор тэгээд 2 3 дахь гейм бол яг ойлгосон тоглолтын дээр зөрүүлээд контролж тоглож байгаа.
เดี๋ยวพี่ปิดเปิดใหม่แป๊บหนึ่งนะครับเดี๋ยวมาอ้าวโปรแกรมตรงนี้มันเป็นอะไรวะ
So the first game is like we try how they play, and then the second and